No, there's no funny pattern. Even though there wasn't much funny pattern here either. Okay, that was maybe. But the title there says no. Well, anyway. It's gonna crash if I'm not as well. Reload. I mean, it kinda was loaded here, but I didn't check properly. The site's been open for about an hour. I guess just start uploading this and then going off to do something else. Brum. I need to lock this. Actually, I didn't. Okay, it's not broken yet. A little later today, though. But yeah, it's starting to get hot again. I'm gonna turn on the fan. I mean, anyway, yeah, pause it.
Welcome back to Slot Live. Today's slot, one of the most insane exploits and hacks recently happened and kind of under the radar. This exploit had apparently been working for months, but was made public recently, and when it became public, seems to coincide with the hack of many Instagram accounts such as Barack Obama. Back in March, Meta announced that it was pushing AI support to all of its accounts across Facebook and Instagram, and you can probably see where this was going. The method of hacking was actually ridiculously simple. They would set the VPN to match the account's country's region, and then they would request a password reset. They would then ask the AI chatbot for more help, and then ask the AI to switch the email for them, and then the chatbot would email the recovery code to the email you provided rather than the actual account's email. Multiple videos of this working were posted, and here's a screenshot of one of them where they've asked the chatbot to send them the code. The chatbot has then sent the verification code to the email, no questions asked, so into the code, and then the chatbot has provided them with a button to reset the password on the account. Also, if you're wondering what was posted on Obama's account's hacks, this AI in your image, this caption, it seems like a lot of targets for this exploit were Instagram handles that were short and considered rare, such as @A, @EX, @H, and the list goes on. Meta spokesperson posted to Twitter saying that the issue had been resolved and their Syrian impacted accounts, and also said that claims the vulnerability was used to hack the account leaders was totally false. One site pointing out that in a blog post back in March from Meta announcing the AI support feature, Meta said that the system can prevent an account takeover and AI is able to recognize threats. So it sounds like if you ask nice enough, you too could have gotten access to Barack Obama's Instagram account. Who would have thought AI was so much power if they go wrong? Thanks for Slot Live. MacBook Neo with its $599 price was described by CEO SY Su as a shock to the entire market. You know what? Maybe the market needed a shock, because here we are just a few months later and we are looking at a smorgasbord of Core Series 3 codenamed Wildcat Lake laptops that are putting affordable PCs back on the menu, boys. We're not talking cheap plastic Chromebook wannabes. We just got hands on with devices from basically all the major OEMs, and while the details differ from one to the next, the overall message is the same. These are premium feeling machines with metal chassis, decent displays, strong battery life, and at least adequate performance, and coming in at prices that take direct aim at the MacBook Neo, with some even borrowing the idea of advertising $100 discounts for students. Intel also showed off this year a whole lineup of powerful gaming handhelds featuring their new Arc G3, a chip that was tuned specifically for compact PCs and boasts performance and efficiency that, according to Intel, vastly exceed the market leader AMD. If you somehow missed the mountain of memes, memory pricing has skyrocketed in recent months, driven by insatiable demand from the AI industry. That makes building an affordable computer these days very difficult, but not necessarily complicated. You just use less of it. That means that any laptop that competes with the MacBook Neo on price will also compete with the MacBook Neo on RAM. This is a bit of a downer because I don't relish the idea of running Windows on an 8-gig machine any more than anyone else. But PCBook Neos, as I'll be calling them, have a lot of other things going for them that could attract budget laptop shoppers. For one thing, you at least can configure them with more than just 8 gigs of RAM. Apple's A18 Pro, the SoC that sits at the heart of the MacBook Neo, was originally designed for a phone rather than a laptop, so it's locked at just 8 gigabytes of memory, and it's not upgradable. By contrast, Core Series 3 supports up to 48 gigabytes of LPDDR5X memory, or even 64 gigs of regular DDR5. And that right there is advantage number 2. While it will cost you some performance, especially
I've got to restart Explorer.
GPU or the AI cores, some PCBook Neos, like this one from Lenovo, are built with memory slots, allowing you to upgrade after the fact. Another highlight is performance. The MacBook Neo is going to have the advantage in short, single-threaded sprints, but its weak cooling and less impressive multi-core performance means that Intel's 6-core designs should keep pace fairly well. And while Intel isn't making any bold claims with respect to GPU performance, Core Series 3 will still at least benefit from a decade-deep catalog of lightweight games that can be enjoyed on PC, but simply aren't compatible with Mac. The last highlight has got to be variety. The MacBook Neo is the MacBook Neo. Screen size too small? That's nice. Don't like the keyboard? Too bad. But on the PC side, we've got a lot of choice, and we just got hands on time with half a dozen systems from the usual suspects, starting with one of our favorites, the Acer Swift Air 14. This one really feels like pretty much the complete package. Metal chassis, decent rigidity, long key travel on the keyboard with a satisfying trackpad, not to mention a convenient one-finger lift lid. Now, I know, I saw your comments. That's not a make-or-break feature for a lot of folks, but what it is, and the reason I look at it, is a solid overall indicator of the attention to build quality, because it does take a bit of extra time to get it right. Now, the display on this one probably isn't going to win any awards, but it looks solid, and this is one of the few units that we've got pricing for. It's starting at $699 with 512 gigs of storage, which puts it right smack in line with the MacBook Neo. The other one we've got pricing on is probably the one that most people agree is straight up best in show, and it's the Dell XPS 13. I love the name, by the way. Goodbye, we copied Apple's branding. Hello, XPS, it's back, baby, and with characteristically outstanding chassis rigidity, an XPS-worthy keyboard and trackpad, and remarkably, a touchscreen, all starting at the same $699 or $599 for students. Welcome back, XPS, because as long as the 16 gig upgrade isn't priced out of whack, and the only 2 USB-Cs for I/O isn't a deal breaker for you, this looks like the one to recommend for any relatives who want something decent that isn't going to break the bank. That is, unless the Asus ExpertBook has something to say about it. Build quality here feels darn near on par with the XPS, with a nice tactile, albeit louder keyboard, and it also has a touchscreen alongside much more practical I/O and a hidden stylus that you can use when it's flipped around in tablet mode. She is a bit of a fingerprint magnet, and we don't have pricing, so it's hard to compare directly, but if it's in line, this is one to keep your eye on. HP's OmniBook 5 didn't jump out at us, but seems like an overall solid machine, and MSI's modern 16S offered up the biggest screen of the bunch with a compact number pad as a bonus. Though again, without pricing for this one, it's hard to say how compelling it is. The last one I want to highlight is the Lenovo IdeaPad Slim 5i. Not because it managed to wow us with its build quality. The deck flexes enough to be noticeable while typing, but because it's one of the few Wildcat Lake designs that we were able to confirm uses a sodium slot for memory expansion. Obviously, no one wants to be stuck with 8 gigs of RAM forever, but a budget's a budget, so this machine feels like a great way to start with something affordable and then hopefully expand your memory once things get a little bit less insane. And now to change gears and talk about something totally insane, and that's Intel's new Arc G3 handheld gaming chips. How do I put this? These things look freaking awesome. Intel was showing off 4 different devices in the suite that we visited, from MSI, Acer, and One X Player. And while the details vary, like screen size, stick configuration, and whether they have a kickstand, detachable controllers, and a flipping keyboard, what they all have in common is performance that is borderline game-changing. Our graphics are all grown up, you guys. tune their Panther Lake chips for handheld gaming, Intel did a few things here. They dropped high-performance P-cores from 4 to 2, Xe display engines from 3 to 2, and Thunderbolt 4 from 4 to 2. This helped them save some power and hopefully some cost, since they can use chips that didn't make the cut for laptops. The other big change to power is in management of it. Intelligent Bias Control V3.5 may not have the sexiest name, but it does a couple of sexy things to dramatically improve frame rate stability. First, it prioritizes GPU frequency, which, okay, that's pretty obvious, but some of the other stuff is a lot less obvious. Like, it prioritizes your E-cores, your efficiency cores, rather than your P, performance cores in gaming loads. What? Well, it turns out that Darkmon E-cores are enough for most things, and by using those rather than the more power-hungry ones, it helps with that aforementioned GPU clock speed prioritization. The other big one is core parking. At 12 watts or less, this new chip will stop using its P-cores altogether, which, alongside Intel's new endurance gaming mode, which limits power and frame rate, can push your battery life as high as 11 hours in lightweight games. Like, I knew Panther Lake was efficient, but damn. And this efficiency manifests in other areas too. While Intel was proud to boast a 42% lead over AMD at 35 watts, they know that most folks aren't using 35 watts away from the wall. Most people are going to want to game at more like 17 watts, and they claim that they can achieve similar performance to the Ryzen AI Z2 Extreme at half of the power, so you can get the same gaming experience just for way longer. And all of this is alongside the ongoing software improvements that Intel has been making to ARC, including XeSS super resolution, XeSS multi-frame generation, Xe low latency, and maybe most importantly, a rapidly growing level of engagement with game developers to provide day zero drivers to ensure that our customers are not left out in the cold when a new game launches. Another fun new feature is precompiled shaders. Intel's been working on a way to do all that for you, so when you first launch a game, you just jump right into the action. Sick. There is a catch. The only handheld that I think we are pricing for so far is the Claw 8 EX AI Plus, and MSI is estimating around $1,500 US. So these are going to be expensive toys for grown-up boys, at least until the global DRAM shortage chills the freak out a little bit. Something that it seems like we'll need to keep waiting a little while longer for. But what you guys want to check out what the competition's up to, we just did a video on the ROG Xbox Ally X20, an evolution that involves an OLED display, a bunch of tweaks to the overall fit and finish, and even TMR joysticks.
Wait this again. Wait this again. Wait this again. The people are stupid. I just had enough of these comments. Oh, well. Oh, oops. My balls. Oh, my balls.
Wait, Overwatch means
¿Qué onda?
Not watching that. Fuck. Bro.
Hello everyone, this is your daily dose of internet.
This police officer thought he'd caught her red-handed.
Somebody being pulled over, you drove past me holding the phone in my hand, and you the phone. I mean, I saw you
So
with your
obviously
hand.
There's a game.
So you want to just call this a day?
I don't want to call it a day. I'm asking you now, did you, yeah, or not have your phone in your hand?
I did not.
You did not have your phone in
I
your
did
hand?
not.
Hand to God, you did not have your phone in your hand.
Hand to God.
The traffic citation was later dismissed due to a lack of evidence. They found a stowaway in their kayak.
Yo, check this out.
It's like only water in it. I'm so surprised they didn't pop. It's really...
Nah, Switzerland's different. We racing a train on the snowboard next to the Matterhorn. This different. You can't live like me.
Oh, she about to throw the pizza at it.
Just give him the pizza, lady.
Get out after you.
There it is. Run, run, run.
Meh. Had
Hold on to that
enough.
box real tight.
That's a pizza.
These biologists in Antarctica use seaweed to create music.
Hit the ball. Hit the ball. Hit the ball. Very good. Keep your eyes on the ball. Keep your eyes on the ball.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I don't care. This is worth it. It's gonna happen.
Keep it 6-7.
6-7, 6-7, 6-7.
Alright.
Oh my God. 6-7.
This wildlife photographer found herself in a strange situation when these baby elephant seals decided to pile on top of her.
Really? My favorite thing about living on my own is that now I can start to work on my cooking skills, and that's why today I decided to prepare 3 toasted dough rounds topped with a tomato puree. Of course, that's going to be finished with a delicately shredded aged dairy, and I'll show you what that looks like.
Even the mom followed orders.
Y'all, she made it and she graduated.
Echo, you got 2 minutes.
I feel like the lemurs didn't get the memo.
Most important, do not pick up or hold. Okay? Okay, push that door, go through quickly for me.
What happened?
Oh, I wanted to say, no problem, and you're welcome. At the same time, my brain was like crossing, and I said, you're a problem.
He taught his baby an important lesson.
Or
Ready?
This toy is so dramatic.
趣味赛道，欢乐驰骋，大步向前，让尽显欢乐与热血。蒋志航来了。I'm looking for directions to Prince Rupert. Hello? That way? Thank you.
It's nice to know that people like this still exist.
Found your wallet down at the river. If there's somewhere I can leave it, you got port security. I'm gonna leave it right here. Have a good day. God bless.
there was that time, and not a lot of time, but like just last week, there, like they delivered some letters from the high school nearby, to the wrong address, to the wrong building. It was just a couple feet away, like a few blocks away. I had to deliver them, but I didn't say anything to the camera. I just said, whatever, there's a hole in the door, I just put it there, and whatever. No.
Que isso, hein? Botar duas sacolas nas pernas e ela leva embora.
This shark wanted to get a closer look at the camera.
Yes. Right.
That's why you take it to a pool. Look at this. It says 5 for 9. The water. Meaning, if I was 5 for 9, I'd be grounded right now. Get off your toes. So what? Get off your toes. You can see that I'm on my toes? Yeah.
So I went to Miami Beach to see an air show and thought it'd be cool to show it to you guys.
No.
This river guide underestimated the rapids. I've never seen one of these videos end well.
Fuck.
This elevator looks a little too fast.
I'm on a run right now, and look what I just found. So sick. Good thing I always got that thing on me.
Can someone explain to me what this is and where I can buy one?
Can you see it?
It's invisible when it sprays down.
But it comes out so crisp.
Art.
This guy got a mystery tattoo and the results didn't disappoint.
That's so bold.
She should probably invest in a tripod.
Jover. Yep.
Oh!
If they kept going, would this become a particle accelerator? We all knew how this would end.
You're gonna eat that sauce with your fingers? Okay, don't get any on your shirt, okay? It's like a brand new.
These little guys are often called the Pikachu of the sea by divers. This guy found a rock in Brazil that looked just like the Cookie Monster.
What happened?
My mom beat the system.
Somebody was eating all the Oreos in like 2 days.
I mean, but they're goated. Like, you can't.
This diver managed to capture the moment an octopus buried itself in the sand. Octopuses often hide in the sand to avoid predators and other threats. Have any of you ever seen an army of caterpillars before?
Caterpillars. That's nuts.
Oh wow, where are they all?
Look how slow they're moving.
Oh, they're all coming from there.
Just got this thing ceramic coated and water don't even stick to it now.
Blink and you'll miss it.
Yes! Oh!
I went and bought a burger. And it keeps... Bro, I'm just hungry. Bro, where's my burger?
What am I even looking at? They were trimming this tree when it suddenly started spraying water.
But you've never seen that before.
It's coming.
You guys liked this clip from a couple of videos ago so much that I found another angle of it. He somehow made a piano using popsicle sticks.
Mommy.
Yes, Riley.
I thought you could close your eyes.
Okay.
Now look.
Oh, thank you.
This really is the flex he thinks it is. I guess that's one way to stay cool whilst riding your bike.
Right.
This is taking privacy screens a step too far. I think the little guy was tired of his grandma.
You don't want to deal with me? So you gonna act funny like that? Okay.
I need to know the story behind these statues. If you like this video, you might like this one as well, where I went through the funniest pet videos from 2025 on my pets channel. And I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Later.
There's some anime joke here. But I watch anime. I have so many personalities.
The reason Punch is popular is not for one reason. Punch activates multiple psychological drives within us. Punch is cute. So if you look at human beings, we've evolved to think babies are incredibly cute. Oh my god, poor Winter Baby. We feel so much compassion for Winter Baby Punch. Second reason, this is a little bit darker. Punch is us. So let's understand the story of Punch. A little baby who, through no fault of his own, was ostracized, taken out, rejected by his own mother. Punch falls in love with a stuffed animal. He's always turning to the stuffed animal for comfort. Does that sound like any generation? All you can do is weed out the bad thoughts and cultivate. Overcome that.
Actually, just a safer discussion for young males. They can talk about, trying to get body fat percentages, or they're doing like mewing for their jaw or something. I have a feeling there's a lot more going on.
The best way to run away from an unsolvable problem is to solve something else. Here's the thing. My name is Dr. Just a reminder, all psychiatrists that we discuss on stream today is intended to be taken as medical advice. Everything is for educational or entertainment purposes only. If you'll have a medical concern or question, please see a licensed professional. Thank you guys so much for coming today. Happy June 2nd, everybody. I am super hyped. We've got a lot of great stuff in for y'all. We're coming off of some really great stuff, so I want to spend a moment talking about that. So May was mental health awareness, and we've been celebrating, honoring, I don't know exactly what the right word is. We've been doing stuff for mental health awareness month for about 6 years, and I think a couple years ago everyone was doing stuff for it, like it was kind of a cool thing to do, and then I guess like now it's kind of died down, like people are like it kind of let meta, like the big corpos to celebrate, like look at us for mental health forward. So first thing I want to say is, okay, so we launched Dr. K's Guide to Love, Sex, and Relationships. It seems like a lot of people are really enjoying the guide. This is the most highest amount of the guide has been watched historically, so people are watching way more of the guide than they have any previous guide. We had a set of stretch goals which we were shooting for in terms of sales, and we were pretty clear with y'all about why we sell things to y'all. And so we basically, as of like ending yesterday, we crossed 8,000, which was our stretch goal for May. So thank you guys so much for all the support. If you guys have checked out the guide, if you guys haven't checked out the guide, definitely check it out. If you already got it, watch it. Hopefully it helps. What we try to do is really break down sort of the science behind love, sex, and relationships. Great. So Julie, Unreal Juju is on her third watch of the love, sex, and relationships guide. Nice. Maybe that's why we're seeing such a high percentage of watch time on the guide, because Julie is chain queuing. Yeah. So thank you guys so much. Another thing, am I stupid for paying for your guide course? I feel like I should just read many books. This is a great point. You know you're not stupid. So let me explain. Okay. So the whole point of the guide is that you don't have to read many books. So if you guys read like non-fiction self-help books, so you'll notice, like, for example, Outliers is a good example, right? Outliers is like, hey, there's a thing called outliers, and it's a repetition of that concept over and over and over again. The whole point of the guide is that it actually goes through a ton of principles and actually boils them down so that you get all the most important information from the dozen books. The whole point of it is that you don't have to read a dozen books. You can get a really solid distillation, right? And by solid distillation, that's also important because if you read like a one-page summary of a book, you can get the key points, but it's not going to be actionable. It doesn't lead to behavioral change. So the guide is designed to be in-depth enough where it feels accessible, where we get yourself kind of thinking about it, understanding it. It also covers a lot of ground. So just a simple example, we talk about charisma, we talk about flirting, we talk about why you're attracted to what you're attracted to, right? You're sure you're attracted to, maybe you're talking about what, so you're attracted to unhealthy foods, does that mean that you should eat it? You're attracted to a particular kind of person, does that mean that you should date that kind of person, right? The presumption here is yes, of course. But then we run into a basic problem. I don't know if you guys noticed this about dating relationships. I'm attracted to this kind of person, I hate this kind of person, and I'm unhappy in a relationship. Right? So there's a really interesting discovery from research. There's a difference between what you are happy with and what you want. Literally, the circuits in the brain are completely different. The wanting circuit is your dopaminergic circuit, comes from the nucleus. The hedonic circuit, how much you like something, is the endocannabinoid circuit. So wanting and liking are actually two different things. There's a lot of psychology about why we're attracted to what we're attracted to. And a lot of it is like trying to fix our trauma. So the whole point is like it's like all that stuff, like all the key points that y'all need to know across the lifespan of relationships. The other thing that I try to do is like there's people who are in a relationship for 15 years and they've never been on a date. And how can we create a guide that's helpful for each of them at each stage of their journey? And fingers crossed, here's what I was really afraid of when I made guys. Like there's someone who's going to meet their forever person, but they're going to be so inexperienced that they screw it up, and then that one is gone forever. Okay, now there's a lot of good data, not data, but perspective. There's not just one person, not destined to fall in love with one person. You fall in love with a lot of people. There's a lot of more forever people on the planet. I believe all that stuff. But also there's like a part of me that's like, but let's not take that chance. Right? If you find your forever person and you've never been on a date before, how can we help you navigate the full spectrum of the relationship? How do you engage in early relationship touch? What does sexual act like? What leads to success in sexual act? So that's kind of the point. Yeah, I mean you can buy a bunch of books and read them all. That is an option, very viable option. The whole point is that most people don't do that, and even if they do that, it may take you like a year or 2 years to read a bunch of books. So I think that's very possible. The other thing I strongly encourage y'all to do is if you get the guide, fill out these surveys. This is code for not just surveys. We're collecting a lot of really important information about your tendencies in dating relationships, how you form connections with people. And we're working on something that thanks for all y'all about this is how we have some additional funding to continue building that just to make. But we want to send something your way in the next couple months, probably Q3. If you fill out surveys, you should get something cool. Okay, completed survey. Excellent. Did you guys notice, by the way, what y'all notice for those of y'all that have done surveys? What do you think about surveys? Are they like other surveys that you take? Do you think Jungian concepts are too abstract or mind therapeutic effective? No, that is actually what we're going to solve in today's lecture. Spot on. I love that question. That's a goal of today's lecture. Okay, where's surveys? If you get the guide, your surveys. What do you guys think about surveys? Did y'all do them? Survey felt targeted. In what way? Survey felt like a personality test. Very good. It's not just a regular survey. It's not just a satisfaction. They're satisfactory. Are you being satisfied with your guide? No, they're measuring certain things. Okay, excellent. Not excessive. Excellent. Right? Not excessive. Okay, so another thing that we just a quick heads up. So a lot of people are struggling with actually implementing skills, getting practice. So we're launching our friends on end zone. This is a time limited thing. Okay, so like we do these occasionally. We have a set of groups that we launch. Okay, so useful for people who are tired of feeling alone, want to have more fun, trying things out, find more fulfilling relationships, ready to move from collecting more dating theory to actually dating differently IRL. Okay, want to share your stories and learn from others' experiences. This is a huge part of our we've been doing groups HG for a while, but what we've actually found is the most effective is when they're really targeted. So it's like if you guys are interested in this, then you should sign up for the group. Okay. And there's time limit. So we're going to run for a while, and then we'll probably be okay, so if you guys are interested, that was the other problem with groups is that people would like when they kind of like ran perpetually, like too many of them were not getting filled, and then we had closed groups and all kinds of other problems, like logistical problems. So what we found works really well is let's start a set of groups, people kind of run through it, and people who are interested sign up. And since there's a lot of people interested in this right now, they should a lot quickly launch quickly. People are not like waiting a holding pattern for weeks. So that's kind of the goal. So check it out if you guys are interested in application and skills building, actual skills building, in a controlled, facilitated environment that is designed to move you forward. Okay, I need to turn on your computer, and we'll start our lecture on animals. And we'll start with this question. We'll start with this question of are Jungian concepts too abstract to clinically apply? Okay, so let's talk about this. So today we're doing a lecture on anima and animus. Okay, so anima and animus are archetypes. They are Jungian archetypes. We'll explain what that is in a second. There's floating around in assumptions. Okay, but someone asked a brilliant question, which is, are Jungian archetypes too abstract to apply clinically? And my answer to that question was basically yes. So in preparation of this lecture, okay, which I'll just tell you a little bit about how I came on this lecture. So we did a lecture on queer eternus, which like cracked something open in this community. It's one of our most successful like set of lectures. People are like, holy crap, this is neat. Okay, and then what I noticed is that there's like, a lot of problems with like dating and mating. People are struggling to connect. That's why we made a guide to sex and relationships. And there's something deeper going on here. There's like something going on at a very deep level in society. It's making it hard for human beings to connect. So I was reading this set of essays by Emma Jung on anima and animus. And I was like, holy crap, this is describing like almost perfectly what we are experiencing. Okay, I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to show you all how to find it. Let me find this part about relationships. Okay, so I want to show you guys this. Okay, so as long as the projection C succeeds, that is, as long as it's the image corresponds to a certain group. I have to explain this. Never mind. I will explain that. So the person someone asked in chat, is this too abstract or clinical? And that's my frustration. So when I was preparing for this lecture, I asked a bunch of people, I was like, hey, do you guys like have any texts about Jungian archetypes that are clinical? Like, how does this show up in someone? Because most of the stuff on Jungian archetypes is not clinical. It's like fairy tale analysis. They're like, oh, we can see this archetype represented in this fairy tale. And if you look at like the Christian mythology, theology of like the Virgin Mary, like what is this? The Virgin Mary is the ultimate anima archetype. The Virgin Mary is someone who is a perfect mother, but she remains pure. She's not been defiled by sexual act. She's virginal in her purity and she is a mother. She's like this fundamental contradiction of pure purity and pure motherhood. So this is what I would find. I was like, hold on a second, there's something going on here where like men and women are struggling. We're having all kinds of problems. Okay, and like something is going on here, but I don't know how to apply this. So part of the reason we schedule lectures, like what I try to do is break down anima and animus in a clinical way. I'm a clinician. Okay, so I'm not Jungian psychoanalysis and analyst. I'm a old school psychiatrist who does psychotherapy, psychoform, and meditation, all this kind of stuff. So basically today what we're going to try to do is explain what the archetypes are. Okay, so the lecture's going to have a couple pieces. So first, what is archetype? And then we're going to explain what anima and animus is. But we're also going to look at the problems of a disconnected anima and a disconnected animus. What does that look like? And then hold on a second. Can I figure out why we're like? Okay, we're gonna hard discuss. That's the like. Give me a second. We're gonna try to. I want to continue recording. I'm gonna just take a moment while I transfer some things from hard disk to space. So while we're waiting, I'm gonna just yapping over here. Tell me about. Time to uninstall video games. Yes. So let me ask y'all. What do y'all? Where are you guys with archetypes? Do y'all know what archetypes are? Do y'all feel like this is no? Okay. Oh, you know what? There's another thing I can do. I'm gonna just. Okay, sure. We should install Star Citizen, such a huge so actually, okay, so we're going to talk about disconnected anima and animus, which is when we are severed from our anima and animus, and then we're going to talk about possession by the anima and animus. And each of these has a clinical picture, like a clinical presentation. Then we're going to talk about how the anima and animus affects us relationally. So if I have problems with my anima and animus, it's going to affect the relationships that I form. Okay, so just to give y'all a quick example, let me find the yeah, so look at this. Okay, so here's an example. Okay, so it derives its authority from its connection with the universal mind, but the force of suggestion it exercises due to the woman's own specificity in thinking and her corresponding lack of critical ability. Such opinions or concepts, usually brought out with great aplomb, are especially characteristic of the animus. They are generally valid concepts or truths, which though they may be quite true themselves, do not fit in a given instance because they fail to consider what is individual and specific in a situation. Ready-made, incontrovertible, valid judgments of this kind are really only applicable in mathematics, where 2 times 2 is always 4. The same sort of unrelated thinking also appears in a man when he is identified with the reason or logos principle. It is not himself, but let's say such men are naturally especially well suited to the embodiment of the animus in the woman. Okay, so I know that's kind of like a random thing, but what I pay attention to is they're talking about something called animus possession. And in animus possession, what happens in this person's mind is they come up with these factory produced styles of thinking and they trot them out. Here are these truths based on mathematical principles, but there's no room for individuality. This is a sign of animus possession. Okay, and this is like a book that was written by Emma Jung like 100 years ago. Okay, so when you guys think of in dating and mating, do we have a situation where people are trotting out universal truths as if they are mathematics that remove all individuality from the equation? Okay, we pretending like things that are individual and highly variable are actually scientific, not even scientific mathematical proofs. This is a sign of animus possession. Something that Emma Jung talked about almost 100 years ago. She's like, by the way, here's this pattern. Okay, and it's because of this I think that anima and animus is so important to talk about. Okay, so let's start with this. So then we're going to talk about the relationships that are formed with anima and animus, and finally we're going to talk about constellating, which is how we fix it. This is what we're going to cover today. So let's start with the basics. What is it? So Jung noticed something kind of interesting. He noticed that if you go across cultures, there are these primitive things in our unconscious mind which are universal across cultures. So like, this is kind of interesting, right? Because we're all conditioned by our environment. So what he noticed is that there's this fundamental masculine thing in our unconscious. This is what he called the animus. And the animus is that which deals with the external world, so it's externally oriented, is logical, is like motivated to accomplish. It's fundamentally the way that human beings, so you look across cultures, like there's this basic thing that some human beings, not some, all human beings have the capacity to deal with the external world. And dealing with the external world involves a set of skills, right? It's interpreting information, it's some amount of analysis, it's building things in the outside world, it's shaping the outside world, it's interacting with the outside world. It's logical. So you kind of lump these things together. He said, you know what, this is what we're going to call the masculine principles. If you look at men, especially in Jung's time, right? Men are people who go out and they build things, they shape the external world, they build tree houses, they don't talk about their feelings. That's what work of men. And then what you also notice is that there was an internal principle as well. There's an inner sense of being, a sense of feeling, a sense of connection, a sense of relation, not shaping, but relating, connecting. These are these two lumps of stuff. One is an internal orientation and one is an external orientation. And because the society was very gendered in that time, people associated masculinity with external stuff, with accomplishment, with logic, and women are emotions, feeling, internal, relational connection. But this is really important to understand. What Jung said is that these are not male and female, they're masculine and feminine. So every human being has both of these qualities. These are primitive parts of our unconscious mind. If you look at any human being on the planet, there's a part of us that wants to shape and interact with the external world, and there's a part of us that has an inner sense of being, feeling, aliveness, and connection. This is what he called animus, and this is what he called anima. Now, back in the day, animus and anima mapped on more to men and women. So we used to live in highly gendered societies where men were more animus oriented and women were more anima oriented. Okay, so each of us Okay, so man or woman, both of us have animus and anima. And animus is external, logical, accomplishment, driven, challenging. Okay? And anima is internal, healing, connecting, being, nurturing. And he sort of said, okay, every human being on the planet has these two qualities. These are archetypal things. So what is an archetype? It is a very deep-rooted pattern that lives in our unconscious. So if you look at your life, you have a part of you that is externally oriented, a part of you that is internally oriented, you have a part of you that is logical, a part of you that is literally like now. This is, remember, this is like Jung, okay? This is around the year 1900, 120 years ago. So I think it was around 1900. Okay? And now, like back then, they didn't know that there was left brain and right brain. Right? They didn't know that there was the amygdala feeling portion of our brain, and there was like the logical portion of our brain, the analytical portion of our brain, that language is over here on the left, and Broca's area and Wernicke's area. Right? And there's some emotional circuits over on the right, so our limbic system is more right brain. They didn't know that stuff. They just observed it. They sort of noticed. Okay? And then Jung also, Jung really did a lot of this work. So notice every person has an anima and every person has an animus. And what we want is a healthy balance between the two. We want an integration between these two things. So my life is a balance of going out and accomplishing things in the world and being one with myself. That I have logic and I have emotion. But then what happens in some people is one of the forces can become imbalanced. And this is where the abstraction becomes clinical. Okay? So we can disconnect from one. So some people are disconnected from their animus. This is where things get complicated. This is where it's complicated. So as a human being, I have an animus and I have an anima. And if I get disconnected from one, what happens is the other one kind of becomes dominant. So I can have a life where I'm way too emotional, way too internally focused. I don't deal with the vagaries of the external world. And all those plebs who are always like out there working dead end jobs and clawing out a pathetic living in life, right? All these dirty people out there who try to claw out some kind of low meaning. No, I'm more grand. I'm not gonna debase myself to join the rat race of the normal world, the external world. I'm gonna be philosophical. I'm going to be intellectual. I'm going to be all the deeper things, the spiritual things, to pierce the veil of reality, to understand the metaphysical nature of the world. I'm not gonna actually go get a PhD in physics and do math problems. I'm gonna contemplate quantum mechanics and synchronicity. I'm not gonna engage with this dirty, oh my god, like I have to fill out applications and fill out surveys and get my, oh my god, I'm not gonna do that. Right? You see how these people they're not able to engage with the external world. But we also have cases of animus and disconnected animus. These are people who are not connected to their inner being. In the same way, I can deal with feelings. Facts don't give a about your feelings. Feelings are useless. Feelings are low. Feelings are pathetic. I'm gonna focus on mathematics. I'm gonna focus on ROI. I'm gonna focus on analysis. This is how you succeed in the external world. No one gives a crap how you feel. Feelings are to be conquered. They're to be severed. I'm gonna use drugs. I'm gonna use steroids. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna have bitches. I'm gonna have cars. I'm gonna be big on the outside. That is where success lies. It's being content with yourself on the inside, being able to feel, being a pussy who focuses on nurturing and feeling. Oh my god, how pathetic is that? Sound familiar? Right? No, but someone's saying I was about to say until he said drugs and steroids. But think about it. Drugs are the ultimate way to deal with internal feeling. They're a way of exerting control. What I feel on the inside is not worth anything. I just need it to stop. So give me a little bit of that vitamin K. Let me roll up to Wall Street. My job's an investment maker. I'm gonna go down to the 60th floor of the building that I'm in on Wall Street. I'm gonna go into the mobile ketamine clinic, which is a bus that parks outside my building, and I'm gonna inject it with vitamin K. Okay? You guys understand? And by the way, I'm gonna show you all some cool quotes. I got both of these things. It's gonna be hilarious. So this is a lopsided animus and this is a lopsided animus, where we disconnect from part of ourselves. And this Jung, Emma Jung, and Carl Jung both said that both of these are fundamentally unhealthy. You won't be a healthy human being. But there's another thing that can happen. So this is called disconnection. And this manifests in a particular clinical way. Clinical in the sense of like shows up in a human being, not in the sense of like diagnosis. This is the picture. It's sort of model real. Okay? Oh yeah, well, Dr. Case, I think animus is so helpful in us understanding things. This is not me making these connections. Okay? This is me just using the current version, but we will literally see versions of it. You guys want to see this? Okay? So then something weird happens. There's something called possession. So this is another layer. Right? So this is where we have the anima and animus. Let's say I am animus sucks. I'm all animus. Then something weird happens. This part of our unconscious. We can try to bury it, but it is like a fundamental part of us. We can't really get rid of it. No matter how much I think that emotions are dumb, right? Emotions are useless. Emotions are a waste of my time. Facts don't care about your feelings. At the end of the day, I still have a limbic system. That part of my brain is like there. And similarly in my mind, which is different from the brain, but in my mind, there's a part of me that is nurturing. There's a part of me that is inner. No matter how much I try to make it go away. So then something weird happens. The anima actually possesses the animus, and this becomes a puppeteer. Okay, so what does this mean? This means that on the outside, I appear to be very logical. I appear to be very analytical, but behind my logic and behind my analysis, emotions actually control. I become highly sensitive to criticism because internally I can't handle it. So I need to prove them wrong. I become highly sensitive, or not sensitive, paranoid, manipulation. I'm worried about people always manipulating me. I'm paranoid about people manipulating me. Why? Because I'm not anchored in myself. So I discovered these people who are anima possessed are hyper analytical, hyper logical, but they're incredibly moody. They're actually like, you know, when we talk about the fragile masculine ego, like look at this alpha who's like got a bunch of money and got a bunch of muscles and all this kind of stuff. Like, you're like, yeah, man, you're pathetic, bro. And you're like, oh, they can't tolerate. They pick fights with middle-aged dudes who have really loving kids on the internet and try to flex on them. They have to put everyone in their place. They're actually incredibly emotional creatures. They're very unstable. They do things like get up and walk out of interviews because they can't tolerate conversation. They're incredibly emotional, but they're the last three lives, right? They go picking ego fights because hold on a second, you have all this money, you have all this fame, you have all this stuff, you have all these big muscles. So why are you picking a fight with a random dude who's got 3 kids? Why are you doing that? They're not answer for it. Like, oh yeah, like I'm doing it for fun. Well, hold on a second, what about that is fun? They don't know because they're not connected to their inner being. So the anima actually puppets their animus. Their feeling actually drives their analytical thinking. Okay, so this is what happens in animus possession. Then we have animus possession. Then we have animus possession. So this is animus possession. Remember what we're doing is we're lopping off our analytical portion. So this part of us that tries to control, tries to restrain, tries to make a world tries to get the world to conform. Remember, this is external and this is internal. So these people too, their animus starts controlling their anima. So in the case of animus possession, we see a different kind of picture where they're very like, well, this is where things get a little bit tricky because the one of the pictures that Emma Jung talks about with animus possession is actually when this gets tricky. So you can sort of think about someone who is like a woman who's severed off all of her feeling and has become hyper animus. So this is like the cold bitch, the boss babe. Okay, where our feelings, even though we cut off our animus, we cut off our externally oriented things. So instead what we do is that drive or to exist in the outside world gets translated into fantasy. Sorry, I'm gonna stop for a second. This is what this looks like. So this is a person who, when we get animus possessed, this is someone who lives in the realm of fantasy. So they can't do anything in the outside world, but that drive to do things in the outside world infects their internal world. So these are people who build castles in their mind. They're highly theoretical. Their desire to create, their desire to analyze, their desire to accomplish in the external world gets flowed into their imagination. Because they're too stuck, right? Their anima shifted. So they're shifted internally. So all their external drive manifests internally. So they build idealized versions of themselves. They have a beautiful example of the perfect version of themselves. This logical idea of the perfect self. That perfect self lives within them. The perfect self cannot grapple with the muddiness of the outside world. Okay. Then we get to the relational component. Right? I think I'm going to explain some of this stuff. There's lack of balance. So anima disconnection. I'm going to talk about some of these features. Okay. So we're disconnected from our animus. We're disconnected from our feeling portion. Okay. So anima disconnection started to happen a lot with feminists. Not me saying this. Emma Jung saying this. Okay. So what happened? Let's talk about this. Okay. So there used to be a period of time where men did one thing and women did another. And then a couple of fundamental things changed in the world. So Emma Jung talks about this. So one of the animus activities most difficult to see through lies in this field, namely the building of a wish image of oneself. The animus is expert at sketching in and making a plausible picture that represents us as we would like to see. The ideal lover, the selfless handmaiden, the extraordinarily original person, right? Which is now being intersected with the sick fancy of AI, which is now telling AI, yeah, you are extraordinarily original. Your ideas are revolutionizing quantum mechanics. This is quantum biology, bro. You're really breaking barriers that no one else has broken. And this person is spending their time in the external world. No, this is the animus being filtered through their internal being. Other examples are a largely retrospectively oriented pondering of what we ought to have done differently in life and how we ought to have done it. Or as a compulsion, we make up strings of causal connections. We like to call this thinking. On the contrary, it is a form of mental activity that is strangely pointless and unproductive. A form that really leads only to self-torture. Here too, there is again a characteristic failure to discriminate between what is real and what has been thought or imagined. Boom, here we go. Animus possession, written by Emma Jung 100 years ago. 100 years ago. She's like, here's what the pattern is. This faculty of thinking is not being put out into the world. The faculty of thinking is being pulled internally, and these people just fucking chew on these thoughts. They're really good at analyzing. Oh my god, they analyze so much, but they analyze in the past. They form all of these complex theories, and it never translates out into the external world. They're stuck inside themselves. This is the animus possessing the anima. Okay, that's the example. Now, okay, we'll get that. So I'm going to show you guys one thing. No, I'm going to find this. So this is important. I wasn't really include this now. If you like to. So we're going to start with feminism for a moment. Okay, this is not like these people. I don't think like I'm anti-feminist. So we have to understand. So this is why I'm talking about this. Okay, I'm using the trigger word feminism. Oh my god, he's talking about feminism. Let's understand. We really understand this. Okay, I was going to include this originally because I don't want people to this is important. Oh, but what is an anime? Oh, remind you guys. Let me show you all the anime part of Emma Jung's thing. Okay, remind you the anime. We're going to talk about anime. Okay, so yeah, I want to cancel. We gotta understand. So we as human beings have these psychological parts of us. Right? So every human being has the desire to make themselves known in the external world and has the desire to like be good internally. This is fundamental. And then what happened is these internal psychological drives manifested in a particular way. So for like 100,000 years of evolution, human beings live in a particular society. So our brain and our psychological drives evolved with the society. Then what happened is society changed. And as society changed, these psychological drives no longer fit normally with the world that we live in. So Emma Jung noticed that in her patients, something was going on with their anima. The relationship between their anima and their animus was getting messed up by advances in society. This is really important to understand. She is not saying, and I don't think Marie-Louise von Franz doesn't believe this, Emma Jung doesn't believe this, I don't believe this. This is not good or bad. This does not imply that we should have stayed in the old way. So what Emma Jung talks about, she says there are 3 causes for animus and anima problems. So the first is that we used to rely on religion to give us a sense of like inner being and help us connect with our internal self. As religion started to decline, we no longer had a clear way to connect with our spiritual selves. Okay, second big thing that changed a lot for women, changed drastically for women, is birth control. So a huge part of what a women's psychology had to be oriented towards is like to breed or not to breed. That is the question. Medical care was not great at that time. Infant mortality was really bad. Even today, statistically, the most dangerous thing that an average woman will do in her life is get pregnant and bear their child. Most dangerous thing they will ever do. So a lot of our psychology was wrapped up into this question, which now suddenly we have freedom. And the third thing is technology. So there were many tasks, for example, Jung talks about, there are many tasks which the woman previously applied her inventive and creative spirit, right? Which she formally blew up on fire and still accomplished from making an she just turns out her switch and has no inkling of what she sacrifices by these practical novelties. Okay. So basically, what she's kind of pointing out is, if you look at, let's say, a woman 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, the drive to be inventive, the drive to be creative was in some way satisfied by the way that they took care of her household, right? To make order out of chaos and engage with the external world. I had to keep my house in order. And a good example of like a well-integrated animus woman is what I think of as like a matriarch. So she's not someone who's just dealing with feelings, she's dealing with practicalities. So So I remember when my grandmother was, when she had young kids in India, there was rationing going on. So she would get a lot of sugar that was really expensive. She couldn't buy more. And so she had to use her analytical capability to make sure that the sugar lasted through the month. She had to be very analytical, very externally oriented. She also had to account for the fact that my grandfather was not good with money. So her animus was very represented. It's not some bad stuff to do. So with the creation of technology, right, so what happens is suddenly like the stuff that women used to do is no longer that big a deal. So then where does their external drive go? And this is where she also observes a couple of things, okay, which is for everything not done in the traditional way, we done in a new way. And that's not altogether simple. There are many women who, when they reach a place where they are confronted by the intellectual demands, say, I would rather have another child in order to escape or at least postpone the uncomfortable and disturbing demands. So this is important to understand. This is like I want you to be really careful about what this means and what this doesn't. So what Jung is saying is that, look, if there used to be something done a particular way, and we just take that away, it's not such an easy problem to solve. And some women will avoid their intellectual engagement by retreating into just being an oven for babies. And Jung says this will cause you a ton of problems in life. You have a fundamental psychological need to engage in the outside world, to accomplish things in the outside world. And society was so simple that you used to be able to satisfy that. And just having children is a way to run away from the intellectual demand. Remember, Jung was like 100 years ago, right? So she's like maybe 1920s, maybe 1930s, 1950s. And she was saying, okay, there are a lot of women who just want to have kids, that's fine. But some women choose to have an additional child instead of grapple with this. What am I going to do with my IQ? How am I going to feel accomplished in life? And they will retreat from this challenge by having children. Now, notice she's not saying that having children is good or having children is bad, but she's saying like this is a psychological reality that like your brain's got to be occupied with something. And you can run away from it by having kids, or you can embrace it and have kids. You can try to be the best analytically accomplished oriented mother that you can. Very easy. This is right. Now, the reason this becomes important is because women used to be in the kitchen, and then around the time of feminism, they stopped being in the kitchen because of the decline of religion, decline of religion, birth control, loss of traditional gender roles. So there's a new challenge that women have to face, which is why they started entering the workplace. They started becoming more masculine. They started balancing the anima and the animus. Right? This was a necessary thing that evolved with technology. Now the really interesting thing. So if you read Emma Jung's words, which we're going to go over time, what I'm saying, which is really interesting, the same thing that happened to women 70 years ago is happening to men today. Traditional gender roles for us are now disappearing. Men have a lower college matriculation rate, graduation rate than women do. We don't make on average necessarily more money than women do. We're no longer the providers. So it used to be that we used to have a well-carved way to get our animus and anima figured out, and now that's gone for us. So now we're the ones spinning the wheel. And just like Emma Jung said, they say some women run away from the problem of intellectual engagement by having more kids. Some men run away from the inner problem, getting to know myself, getting to connect myself by going hard in the other direction. I'm just going to make more money. I'm just going to make bigger muscles. I'm going to do all this stuff as a substitute for the inner work. To find inner contentment and peace. I'm actually looking inward. What I'm going to do is become the best version of me that I can ever be. And hopefully, if I accomplish enough externally, that'll wrap around and I'll be internally content. They're running away from the inner work by leaning into the external work. Same thing that was happening to women 60 or 70 years ago is happening to men today in a different direction. Right? It's insane, guys. How prophetic this is. And this is the beauty of archetypes. The archetypes are deep within us. They don't change. The society around us changes, and the way that our archetype connects to society changes and creates this lack of connection is what creates a lot of our problems. Okay, so during around this time of anima disconnection, right? So women became a little bit disconnected from their anima, their inner being, their feelings. So it was like sort of a whole scale suppression of their feelings. Right? We sort of viewed, and this is interesting when we talk about patriarchy, this comes relevant too. Because what we did in society is we said analysis is better than emotion. Logic is superior to emotion. Right? We made a fundamental statement that our left brain is just better than our right. Our left brain is just better than our right. To be logically sound is superior to becoming emotionally aware. This is the overarching like system of our society today. Some people call it the patriarchy. And so then what happened is women were like, okay, if you want to be successful, you should become a man, you should become a CEO, you should go into STEM. And we try to make that more accommodating, which I have nothing against. So my point is that we're still shifting into the masculine being superior to the feminine. It is such an insidious and profound way. Right? If you ask someone, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? And they say they answer with job. You say, what do you want to do when you grow up? Content. Oh my god, you can never date someone who wants contentment. Like, oh my god, where's the ambition, bro? Ambition is superior to contentment. To be externally oriented, to be grinding every day, to be accomplishing more is superior to having inner peace. This is the society that we live in. And so since that was the attitude, feminism actually followed that. If you read into Jung in particular, right? So she's saying that, and Marie Louise Armstrong talks about this quite a bit. But she kind of says that we made the masculine the ideal. The masculine way of living in the world became superior to the feminine way of living in the world. We're not saying male or female, it's masculine and feminine. The animus became superior to the animus. We said logic is better than emotion. What's happening on here is not as important as what's happening on the outside. We made those value judgments. And so then what happened when feminism rolled around, we had a lot of anima suppression in women. We had anima disconnection in women. So women became, some of them became ball busters. They became very, very like masculine in their vibe. Right? And we came up with a particular term for it, which is ball busters. Even the men don't like it. Even though the women are just doing what the men have always done. Right? It's like, if this is done by a dude, it's logic. If it's done by a woman, we get all bent out shape. And we come up with a particular term, ball busters. So this is a sign of anima disconnection. Okay? So people who are disconnected from their anima view feelings as impure, and thus become anti-impurity, which becomes a denial of our very own instincts. Right? The way that I feel is actually like bad and is inferior to the way that I think. Okay? Now here's what's really interesting. Another thing that Jung talked about is when we become disconnected. We'll just use the example of anima for now. When we become disconnected from our inner feeling, that part of us still exists, and we must get it from the outside. So we do not have a good relationship with our feelings. Our feelings, instead of the source of our feelings being us, we have to get feeling from somewhere. So then what happens is we get our feeling from the outside. Okay? So the absence of connection with your own inner being means that your emotive manifestation needs to come from other places. So what does Jung talk about? Sexual emphasis. Where when we are disconnected from our internal emotions, we rely on sex to give us feelings. Literally. And if you look at what's going on in the manosphere right now, right, there's so much stuff about the status of sexual conquest. Sex is not just nothing. Sex is meaning, pride, power, status. Where does pride, power, and status? Where does that exist? It exists within us. You say, no, status is in the outside world. No, it isn't. When I walk into a restaurant, they're like, oh, welcome, Dr. K. You have everything ready for you. Status. Is that nice in the outside? Yes. But when I walk into a restaurant and I'm like, hey, you have my table ready? We're sorry, you don't have your table ready. Then how do I feel? How dare you? Do you know who I am? I'm Dr. K. I'm an influencer with 3 million followers. I'm the most followed psychiatrist on the planet. What has changed when people don't give me status? Internal. Internal has changed. When they give me status, what has changed? Internal. Look at me. Say, I'm so great. Everyone's bound down. Everyone's paying respect, man. Come on, man. Like, don't you know Dr. K? Status is internal. This is what we see when you're disconnected from your own inner being. You are dependent on the rest of the world to make you feel a certain way. That's why I need to get laid. If I get laid, we can hear it. So you just pay attention to all the incel, red pill, black pill, alpha, whatever. I'm a loser because I can't get laid. If I become like, hey, should I go see a prostitute because I will feel like such a loser. I went to go see a prostitute and now I feel even more like a loser. It's all about feeling. And they pretend it isn't. This is anima disconnection. Sexual emphasis to feel a certain way. Status, power, privilege, whatever. Right? It's all actually feeling oriented. So these people end up developing very, very hyper-logical tools. Remember, the anima society, anima is love. So they develop hyper-logical tools to control their feelings. Here are the rules. If you're ever in love with a girl, peace out. She controls you, bitch. You make her let her control you. You gotta step out of that relationship. You can't let her control you. If you're ever in love with a girl, you better have sex with 10 other women until that feeling goes away. They come up with rules and terminology and lingo, all to control a certain amount of feeling within them because they can't get it within themselves. Okay. So let me see if there's a good quote here. Okay. Let me look at some of these. Let me have a look at this. So what we see when we're disconnected from our feelings, we become controlled by our animus. We become controlled by our hyperlogical thinking. Right. So such opinions are concepts usually brought out with great power, especially characteristics of the animus. Generally valid concepts are true, but they may be quite true in themselves, not in any given instance, because they fail to consider what is individual and specific in a situation. Love is an individual thing, not a neurochemical thing. Right? I say that as a psychiatrist, there's neurochemistry of it, which we explain in Dr. K's Love, Sex, and Relationships, but it is more than just neurochemistry. Right. So ready-made, incontrovertible, valid judgments of this kind are only applicable in mathematics, where 2 times 2 is always 4. But in life, they do not apply, for there they do violence, either to the subject under discussion or the person being addressed. Or even the woman herself delivers a final judgment without having taken all of her reactions into account. Okay. So okay, this is what's kind of confusing about this. I'm going to show you. So we've got a couple of different scenarios. One is anima is low, and by compensation, animus is high. So this is a hyper-animus picture. But the other thing that's kind of weird about this is that when we talk about possession, the anima actually controls the animus from behind the scenes. So when we talk about this kind of possession, these people are actually very emotional. They have no awareness of it. They behave like emotion. They cannot afford to put themselves in situations where they do not look superior. Right? So this is where narcissism comes. So narcissism is sensitivity about my self-image. Why am I sensitive about myself? What is the effect of that? Means the way that people judge me determines how I feel about myself. I can't afford to look bad because I have no awareness or skill or connection with my anima. So my internal emotional state is determined by how I'm treated. Okay, this is hyper-animus, anima disconnection, and or possession. Okay, this is where things get a little bit tricky because in my experience, I try to translate this. These two are not necessarily the same. But the basic idea is that the emotions are controlling you from behind the scenes. Okay, next. Okay, hypersensitive status. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about anima possession. Okay, hold on, I'm getting confused myself. I think I'm getting confused because I think I'm just checking and then we move on to it. Okay, yeah, this is anima possession. Okay, so now we're going to focus on this. This kind of confuses me because I wonder if I'm muddling things together. Hold on a second. Disconnected animus. This makes sense. Disconnected animus. Animus possession. Got that. Oh no, we haven't talked about animus possession. Okay, this is where I see what I'm saying. I mislabeled something in my notes, which is why it's so confusing. Hold on, let me just not work this out. This feels like neuron. Okay, so we have animus, we are disconnected to, and then we have the anima, so we have animus. Yes, this is correct. Okay, so the scenario that we looked at over here is anima possession. This is what we looked at. Okay, the anima possessing the animus. So when our feeling is locked on, our feeling is locked on, the feelings end up controlling our logic. Okay, so now let's look at the other scenario. Let's look at the scenario of animus possession. So this is when we are way too internally focused. Okay, and all of our external drives are manifested internally. I'm going to show you all these. Go on example this. Okay, this is the go cell. Okay, so
as you see, for instance, in puberty, when young men are very active and then suddenly they become passive. On a primitive level, it appears in men generally as an element of romantic, unreal, mostly sexual fantasies. You see, for instance, in puberty, when young men are very active and then suddenly they become passive and dreamy, and they are not there, and their performance in school goes down tremendously. Everyone has the feeling, where has that young man disappeared? He's in the clutches to the neck of daydreaming sexual fantasies. In that age, it is a normal transition. If a man gets that indulging in wishful sexual fantasies, he literally falls into the hand of a vampire. He loses his capacity of taking his own life in hand. He loses his willpower. He loses all his male efficiency, and he just daydreams all the time about women and their curves and would-be romantic adventures and so on. He lives in an unreal life. I saw once a man who was 43 still living with his mother who had never approached a woman. I asked him, what on earth are you doing with your sex? And he gave a secretive smile and didn't confess. He just masturbated quietly every night. And then he dreamt that he was in daytime living an ordinary life, but in the nighttime he was living on a luscious island where he had wild sexual adventures with women. That was a fantasy world into which he had disappeared. In a primitive type, one would say such a man has been bewitched, is bewitched.
This is what I mean. Every once in a while, as a psychiatrist, okay, I'm a psychiatrist, people come into my office and they like have trouble. And then what I try to do is I try to figure out what's wrong with them. Does this person have ADHD? Do they have maladaptive daydreaming? Is this a trauma reaction? Like, what's going on? And then every once in a while, this is what I love. This is what's so important. See, I think psychiatry is the field of medicine where the things that people knew 100 years ago are just as important as they are. This is the key thing to understand about psychiatry compared to other parts of medicine. So we discovered we can do coronary artery calcium scans to determine how clogged your arteries are around your how clogged your coronary arteries are. Right? We can do brain MRIs, or we can do EEG to monitor where the seizure focus or your epilepsy is. We can do dialysis to dialysis treatments. We can check your blood creatinine clearance, blood urine nitrogen clearance, creatinine clearance. See, in other parts of medicine, we've gotten physical abilities to know what's going on. If anything, in psychiatry, we've gotten a lot of red herrings. Like, sure, we can brain scan a lot, but to this day, brain scanning is not used in any clinical psychiatry or psychology, unless there's neuropsychiatry. Right? You come into your psychiatrist's office and you're like, hey, I'm depressed. We don't brain scan you. There's arguably some elements of things like TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation, where we're directing the brain to do something depressed. That's like 1.5% psychiatry talks. So our tools for understanding the mind have not gotten better at all. That's not true. We have some of these personality analysis and surveys and stuff. But for the most part, they haven't gotten better. So occasionally I find a video that's 100 years old, and she is describing Goonie. She's describing to a T what we are seeing. There are men. Right? So what is the anima? When the anima goes out of control in the man, what does that look like? They're too internally preoccupied. Like, I had a patient who was 43 living with his mother. Right? That used to be unusual. It's not anymore. She's like, what are you doing with your sex? But I'm sure that's like a translation of German, whatever. I don't know what German is, but that's a translation. Right? And then he offers a secret spot. He's not even there. He's like, no, baby, let's go. He's caught in this. So this is a case where the anima has become. Remember that when we talk about animus possession, we are traditionally, so this is what we've already done. So I want to do this conclusion. This is what I'm pointing out. So traditional picture of animus possession was a woman who cuts off her anima, and then the animus comes and possesses her. But now I think what we're starting to see. So this was the challenge that women faced 50, 60, 70 years ago when feminism was on the rise, and they lost their gender identity. We're seeing the same problem with men. What does it mean to be a man today? What is masculinity? Now we're calling masculinity toxic masculinity. What is healthy masculinity? Nobody knows. It's not being toxic. What is healthy masculinity? I will say is an integration of your anima and animus. It is a well-constellated anima and a well-constellated animus. It is a balance of feeling and logic. It is having an inner awareness. And even a lot of the pushes in men's work, if you guys are familiar with it. It's like now the red pill bros are actually really cool. They're like, bro, you should go therapy, hit the gym, go to therapy, learn how to regulate your emotions, start meditating, right? Discover what you want, go work on that inner journey, go hike the Appalachian Trail, go find yourself, bro. It's not all just about zeros in your bank account and your body count when it comes to how many people you suck. There's a deeper, you have to discover who you are as a man, you have to do the inner work. And so when we talk about traditionally, when we talk about anima and animus, when we talk about hyper anima, the examples that they give will be women. Right? So here's a woman who fantasizes. So the man will come and sweep her away. She's caught up in her own head. She doesn't engage in the outside world. She's just being waiting to be swept away like a Disney princess. But now the problems that men used to have, or women used to have, now men are having. Right? We're getting equality in society. We're seeing this really interestingly enough in the balancing of prevalence of mental illness, eating disorders, rising in men, anorexia, body dysmorphia, rising in men, addictions, rising in women. This used to be men were more addicted, women were more body dysmorphia, eating disorders. Now it's evening out. So we're abolishing these gender roles in our society, right? Because now we're truly independent. We don't need a segregation of labor anymore. And some people say this is morally bad. That's not my place to say. Whether this is right or wrong, or whether we should go back to traditional values, that's up to you. You make that decision. I don't know. What I'm here to comment on is what is the psychological impact of the society that we live in today? How do you as a human being cares about whether general should be this way or shouldn't be this way? You are alive today. You're trying to date people. You're trying to figure out what to do. Like, I don't care about what society should be doing. I care about you. How do you navigate this? If you are stuck in a life like this where you're in your head, you're living idealization and fantasy. You live in your head. Right? There's an interesting element here of animus as well. An interesting word. One of the reasons I think that we've gotten so dependent on external things to evoke feelings. So we talked about sexuality, we talked about status and conquest. But there's also things like anime. I watch anime. One of the most common features of someone who's addicted to anime is anime makes me feel. I love the way that I feel. When I want to craft a life, I long to be this person in the anime. And they watch this stuff because it evokes an inner feeling. What is their basic problem in life? They cannot evoke that feeling in life. They look around at the external world and they say, this is nothing. I can't get anything from this. It doesn't give me that zest. So I watch artificial versions of this and it evokes this feeling. They are disconnected from their own anima. Right? And then things get kind of confusing. This is why it's hard. Someone asks the question, is this too abstract for clinical anxiety? Kind of. It's hard for even me to wrap my head around. Because I think there are clinical versions of this that are like lots of different alternative matter. This is what's hard. I'm going to do my best. So let's try to map this out. So there's anima and there's animus. So if my anima is low and my animus is high, okay, then what's going to happen is I have an absence of inner feeling. And I'm going to rely on the world to create you, right? And so this goes in one of two. The second has a brain point. Either I go the alpha male route of money, status, power, or I go the beta male route. I don't believe this. This is just the anime route. Let's call that drugs, video games. I'm going to use these things to evoke feeling. But the basic problem is I'm not in touch with my face. I have no sense of inner being. I have no inner spirituality. If you talk to these people are nihilistic. Their life feels empty. What is it that provides the fullness of life? It's anima. It's my inner being. They're like rudderless in a war. Right? So there's kind of this clinical differentiation here. These are just men. And so then what happens with women, right, is they start to degrade the feeling. I don't want to be like the other girls. I don't want to be moody. I don't want to be this. They become hypermasculine, career focused, right? But brutally so, moody, sensitive. I'm not saying that women can't be career focused. I'm married to a woman who is very career focused. It has a relatively balanced anima and animus. Got an MBA, runs a company very successfully, but she's not disconnected from her feelings. She loves her feelings. We engage in a lot of feelings oriented stuff, right? Whether that's okay, we're gonna like have a meeting with someone who wants to invest $20 million in our company on Monday, and on Tuesday I'm gonna spend time at the spa with my daughters. Really just connecting with them as human beings. I'm just gonna feel good against it. Right? Career focus doesn't have to be animus oriented. A well-integrated animus will be career focused. The whole point is that this career focus is one of the fundamental psychological drives that we have. Drive for external accomplishment. Let's call it that. Is broader umbrella, of which career focus can be one of them. Okay, so there's a denigration of feeling. In this case, these people they feel they require this thing for feeling. But if you actually ask this group of people, how do you feel about feelings, they will hate them. I hate that I feel this way. I wish I didn't have to feel this way. I wish I could be great. I wish I could be more disciplined. I wish I was less lazy. My feelings are torture. The key common element between all of these things is feelings, not feelings. Anima, bad. I don't want to get rid of that. That's the key binding thing. These are three distinct clinical presentations. Okay, then let's talk about scenario number 2. Anima, animus. Anima high, animus low. Okay, so this is where we get I'm internally focused. Okay, this is where we find the high scores. Okay, so the features of this are a life that is ungrounded. Animus is what engages with the external world, so they don't engage with the external world. Their capacity to engage with the external world is lost. They're swarmed by feeling. They're swept up by the reason they can't afford to engage in the external world is because they get triggered. Their triggers determine their lack of engagement in the external world. Sounds familiar? But I can't handle being at work because it triggers too much. And I'm not trying to denigrate trauma. I work with people with trauma all the time. Triggers are absolutely real, and the pain is real. Make no mistake, pain is absolutely real. This is difficult. It's not stupid. They've locked a part of themselves for some good reason. But their experience is that they're swarmed by feelings. The feelings dictate what they do. Right? So these are people who are like, I don't know what to major in because what if I major in the wrong thing? Then I'll have wasted 4 years of my life. And the feeling that comes with wasting 4 years of your life is so dominating that you cannot engage in the external world. Okay, so what do they end up doing? This animus gets translated through the anima and results in idealization. Fantasy, right? They're so logical in their head. They can construct castles in the sky. They have difficulty grappling with the external world. Okay, another thing that's really interesting about animus we'll talk about is that sometimes these people can have a very harsh self-dialogue and very critical self-dialogue. This is a feature of the animus. And so it's kind of dormant and it comes out a lot. Like, it's not manifest in the external world. It kind of comes out in your head. Okay. Okay, so animus possession results in an idealized wish image of oneself, sketching a perfect version of yourself based on logical ubermensch, but we don't move towards it in any significant way. Okay? So this is because the animus energy is not oriented towards the external world. It's oriented internally. All of our logical and analytical ability is being driven into the logical ubermensch. And remember, the animus is what engages with the external world. So when we engage with the external world is dirty. We'll get this when we get constellation. The way that things work out in my mind, anytime I go into the real world, it doesn't work out like that. How do I make it work out like that? What is that other variable in the equation that I have? What kind of meditation can I do to conquer my social anxiety? So once my social anxiety is conquered, then I can go into the world. I will have the idealized version of myself. The picture that I have of me being funny and a charismatic leader. I know I'm capable of it. I did it on my WoW server. I ran a WoW server of 300 people. I know I'm capable. But the real world is dirty. The real world doesn't work out the way that it does in my head. How do I bridge that gap? And these people do something very insidious. They try to figure out how to make the dirty world ideal worse. What's the meditation? What's the technique? What's the video that I need to watch? How many more videos? I just need to figure it out. Something's missing in my calculation. I just need to figure it out. So what I'm going to do is watch 1,000 hours of David Goggins. Try to internalize this thing. Because if I can be like David Goggins, then I can run a marathon. Right? I need to figure out David Goggins' secret. What's the secret of David Goggins? How do I make it so that pain is something that I love? How do I do that? How do I love to endure pain? And you start thinking about that's the problem. Is you want to love to endure pain instead of enduring pain even though it sucks. They're stuck in their idealization. Okay? So what do we do about this? This is one other area that we talk about, which is relation. Okay, let's look at. So a couple things that we have to understand about the anima and the animus. Okay, so one thing that I talked about basically we covered so far is when I lop out of who I am, that part will circle back around and kind of like take control of the other half. So either I will be hyperlogical on the outside, really engaging with the external world, I'll be incredibly moody, incredibly sensitive, and super hyperlogical. The anima is actually controlling my life without my knowledge, right? And that's why like, you pay attention to some of these like ministry influencers. I'm not like anti-ministry. I'm just using these caricatures, right? Like sometimes like, you're kind of like, they're not confident, they're like little bitches. Right? They like appear confident. It's really important for them to continue to appear confident. They're not actually confident. If they were confident, they were able to the range of things that they could do would be like way higher, right? But they can't do certain things. Like, they can't like deign to like fly economy. That makes them a loser, right? And where's loser? Loser's on the inside. And then there's the anima possessed. So that's anima possessed. And there's the animus possessed, where I'm stuck in a world of feeling and all my logic is coming out in the world of feeling, in idealization, in fantasy. So there's another option, okay? So when we're locked off and disconnected, there's basically like a couple different ways we can do this. Energy has to go somewhere. So option number one is, let's say I'm anima disconnected. So one way that my animus can get this. One way that my anima manifests, it has to go somewhere. So I can go through the animus, and then I end up as a successful little bitch. That's what I call a little bitch. I'm really successful. I was successful. And another example of this is the ball busting female CEO. Right? She's still hypersensitive to criticism. She has to be number one. Anima is really running her life. She's hypermasculine. The other place that when we don't have room for our own anima, the other thing that we do is project it onto someone else. Okay, so we're going to take a look at that. So this other person can contain it. Okay. So basically what happens, I'm going to explain this first and we'll move to the text. So I'm going to project it, so I don't have room for my anima energy. So my anima energy, I'm going to project out on someone else. So I try to find a vessel that is their fixed anima. So this is like basically, and this goes vice versa, right? So if I'm locked up on my animus, if I'm way touched by my feelings, what I look for is a partner or romantic partner who can embody my animus. So I'm going to be at home, I'm going to cook, I'm going to clean, I'm going to feel, I'm going to nurture, I'm going to be spiritual, and I want you to go out into the world, and you're going to be the breadwinner, you're going to be the conflict person, you're going to be the fighter, you're going to be the protector, I'm going to find the perfect man for my, I'm gendering this, but I'm going to find the perfect man for my animus energy. So basically I'm going to find another human being to do all the external work. On the flip side, I'm going to find another human being to do all the internal work. I can nurture anything, I can feel anything, I'm going to let the feeling be handled by that person. Literally, this is like what Jungian archetypes say manifest in our relationship. So we transfer this energy to someone else, and that energy, the whole person holds that energy. Now here's the problem, is that what I'm looking for is a perfect person. So when we look at the anima archetype, often for these people, it's like the perfect person, right? And it's like this too. Have you guys heard of anyone who focuses on finding the perfect partner, who embodies all of these qualities, who's perfectly nurturing, perfectly available? Yeah, I want the mother of my kids to be a virgin, because virgins are pure, right? They want a perfect version of this. They want the purest woman, they want the most manly man, man who has the most houses, and most of these, and most. And then what happens is we engage with someone, and then we meet someone, and if we are not plugged into our own anima or animus, we will project that out onto them, and this is why we fall so deeply in love with that so quickly. Oh my god, she's perfect. Oh my god, he's perfect. He's everything. He's this. He's this. He's this. Oh my god, he's everything that is missing in my life. He completes me. She completes me. She's my other half. He's my other half. Why are you so desperate for another half? Because you're only half of a person. You're looking for your other half because you're not a whole human. And when you're not a whole human, you become incredibly vulnerable to finding your other half. And then you project, oh my god, dude, she's so great. Oh my god, I've been standing in silence for 4 or 5 years, watching her, waiting for her to realize how great I am. She's perfection incarnate. She's Aphrodite reincarnated on the world. She's beautiful and carrying all these things. Oh my god, she's amazing. It's the limit quality to it. And then there becomes a problem because when I engage in a relationship with that person, they cannot live up to the projection of my mind. I'm relying on this person to do the healing for me. But another human being can never truly make me content. A lot of men will seek a woman to bring them inner peace. If I find a woman that I don't have to worry about her cheating, I don't have to worry about this, I don't have to worry about this, she's gonna take care of me, I'm gonna feel a certain way. I'm gonna come inside, I'm gonna be the master of my castle, and I will be content because I conquered the internal world, and she will be here in my home to take care of everything. I can relax, I can trust her, right? And then, oh my god, this bitch, she comes to me, she's like, hey, my friends are having a bachelorette party in Vegas. And what do I say to her? I say, that's what whores do. Because now she's shattering the image. Oh my god, she could be out there because I'm insecure. I can't have her being approached by other men. Can't have that happening. No, she needs to stay home. She needs to know her place. She needs to do these things that make me feel a certain way. Right? I can't have her expressing any masculine energy when she tries to do something in the external world. When she expresses dissatisfaction with her place, when she wants to go do something in the outside world. We can't have that shit, bro. You gotta tell your bitch where she needs to be. You gotta teach her her place. Because I need her to handle the work of two, right? So if she's doing my feeling and she's doing her feeling, I'm gonna do the work of two, and she's gonna do the work of two. I'm gonna handle all the external stuff for her. I'm gonna, my career's gonna be so good that I don't need her. It's not just dudes, by the way. It's gonna be reversed. For the woman, I'm gonna do all the feeling. I don't wanna do any external stuff. A man should provide. A man should treat you like a princess. My life should just be feeling. Should just be feeling great 24/7. That's my job. My job is to feel. My job is to feel. My job is to be ideal feminine. My job is to be beautiful, and that's what I bring to the relationship. I'm gonna work. I'm gonna deal with the muddiness of the external world. I'm not gonna degrade myself to order my own food. That's gonna be your job. You take care of that. And if you can't handle my feminine energy, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me. But I don't need to get better. I'm feeling. That's just the way that I feel. I can't control it. It's feelings. That's just the way that I felt in that moment. Yeah, the reason that I had an affair was to manage his fragile masculine ego. I knew it hurt him so much, so I told him. So I kept it private. It's a life of feeling, and a differentiation, a separation. We look for this partner who fulfills us because we can't get that ourselves. Okay, so the guide not intermediary then becomes the bearer of the representative of the animus image. In other words, the animus is projected on him. So I project, if I'm severed from my animus, I will project my animus onto the person that I'm dating. Okay, so animus is low, anima is high. So either my animus goes over here and causes possession, or my animus goes over here and I project onto someone, and then they hold, right? This is where my animus goes. So they are now animus times 2. So let's see how that goes. As long as the projection succeeds, that is, as long as it's the image corresponds to a certain degree with the bearer, there's no real conflict. This is what's really fascinating. So I can find if I'm a woman who's looking for hyper masculine man, I'm a hyper feminine woman, I can transmit my animus to them, and they're happy to be hyper masculine. So what's side? You're happy to have a partner who's hyper feminine. So we're just gonna split the work, and I'm gonna do all the masculine work, you're gonna do all the feminine work. There's no real conflict. This is actually work out fine. This is gonna be harmony. On the contrary, the state of affairs seems to be, in a certain sense, perfect, especially when a man who's the spiritual intermediary is also at the same time perceived as a human being to whom one has a positive human relationship. If such a projection can be permanently established, this might be called an ideal relationship. Ideal because it's without conflict, but the woman remains unconscious. So this is what's so interesting. And Jung says, and it's almost like weird. It's almost like she's saying this seems perfect. It's like, hold on a second. Do we live in a world where people are telling us this is the perfect way to be? Interesting. What did she watch? Is she on the manosphere, wife, feminist algorithm? Is that part of her algorithm? Is that where she learned this? She's watching all this stuff where people are saying find the perfect traditional wife and be the happiest man on the planet, or find a man who pays her nails and does this. I got confused there for a second. Is that what's going on? Okay, but she notices a couple things. This purports to be a perfect animus relationship. The people who do this are often troubled with nervous or bodily symptoms. Very often anxiety, state of fear, sleeplessness, general nervousness, physical ills, headaches, pain, disturbances in vision, occasionally lung infections. Okay, I can attest to this. This may be a little bit outside y'all's experience, but when I work with men and women, I didn't realize this back then because it's like I was seeing 100 patients. I would see so much chronic fatigue syndrome, weird psychological problems, headaches, migraines, weird psychosomatic stuff, and oftentimes in retrospect, my light bulb would go off in my brain. Oh my god, what were their relationships like? Yes, absolutely. There was one partner who came in and was the anima, embodied all of the feeling. Life was dictated by feelings. They couldn't work because they were sick, and their partner is embodying the animus, doing all of the work, scheduling the appointments, providing for the family. Right? They're doing all of the external work. That person is going through caregiver burnout because they're not connected to their own internal feeling. They also are terrified of being emotionally manipulated because they're married to a vampire who's sucking their life dry, and they feel incredibly guilty about it because their vampire partner is sick. I'm not allowed to blame them. I can't blame them. I can't acknowledge my own feelings. They get to do all the feeling. I get to do all the work. Seen this dynamic 1,000 times. This is what's tricky. This is what we have to be clear. What I'm saying is it's very easy to blame the person. This is all unconscious, right? So what is the purpose of psychotherapy for these people? It's not to make psychotherapy make their pain go away. It is to help them engage in life, develop some degree of agency. They don't like being that way too. They actually do enjoy work. They just can't because they're suffering themselves. That's the work that we have to do. Some symptomatic management that we need to do. Cognitive biosystem, reduce inflammation. There's a lot of medical stuff that can actually be done. And that's what I really love about working with these people. It's like it's not all in their head. They're not doing it for attention. This dynamic is propagated just as much by the caregiver as the person who's receiving the care. I got a random story. So one time I got consulted on the neurology service for a young woman with non-epileptic seizures. These are called pseudo seizures. And so a woman was completely disabled and was there. Maybe she was about 19 or 20. There were parents. Parents had all kinds of trouble getting her to same school and things like that. And then she started having like a pseudo seizure in the room. I was asking her some questions. And I was like, help me understand like, how often they happen. You know, like, help me understand a little bit about how you feel about not being able to go to college. Like, what's that like for you? And subconsciously she didn't like the questions that I was asking. So she started doing this. And it was pseudo seizure. It's like crazy. Really simple test that you can do. You can pick up the arm. They're seizing on the hospital. Pick up the arm. You hold it above the head. If they're really seizing, you'll smack them in the face. And if they're pseudo seizing, that's what happens. So I made the mistake of administering this test. So she's seizing. I pick up the arm. I got goes over here. Now everybody in the room knows that the game's up. So what does she start doing? She starts seizing hard, starts flopping around, and then both of the parents put their bodies on top of her and literally contain her. They can't handle it. It's like, oh my, they panic. Like, what is so bad? So bad. Like, this is the problem. They've gone out of their way so intense that they're literally holding her down. And after we're talking about it, like, yeah, we have to do this like, several times a day. And we have to quit. And we're like, I can't go to work. And I can't do this. And it's like tearing apart. And I was like, you guys have to stop. I didn't say that. In my mind, I was like, this has to stop. They're taking responsibility from her. They're becoming their animus. So I was on consult service. So I really intending on consult service. Eventually this, which you guys may have heard me say before. The doctor who goes the extra mile for a patient goes a mile too far. When you start doing someone else's work for them, they stop doing it themselves. This is the relational problem of anima and animus. And I'm not saying that you can't have a healthy co-working relationship where you have a division of labor. This is why like, how do you tell differences about your animus and your anima? So is your capability of interacting with the external world sufficiently met? You don't have a job, you don't have a career, but if you're a homemaker, are you the most analytical, organized, driven, creative, accomplishing homemaker out there? Or is your idea of homemaking sitting around on a couch and browsing social media for 12 hours a day while maids, chefs, and everyone else takes care of everything? Where is your energy to accomplish in the external world actually going? Right? And on the flip side, if you're someone else, you're married to a partner who handles a lot of the emotional work, does the funerals, does the birthdays, things like that, are you still doing your own emotional work? Are you learning how to meditate? Are you going to go camping even by yourself for like a week and get in touch with yourself? Are you reading books about alexithymia, going to therapy? Are you doing some amount of inner work that's fulfilling? Because unless you do it, it's going to get messed up. Okay? Such a total transference of the animus image as that described above creates, together with apparent satisfaction and completeness, a kind of compulsive tie to the man in question and dependence on him that often increases to the point of becoming unbearable. Okay? So oftentimes what happens when we have this kind of animus anima projection is that, and you guys may have felt this, this is where the caregiver burnout comes. When someone projects their anima or animus onto you, when a woman does all of it, this is becoming for years, they write all this emotional labor, the hidden emotional labor that women do. I'm married to a man that is emotional like a child. And people get fed up with it. They're like, I can't handle all of your emotional stuff all the time. You gotta handle some of it. You gotta ask therapy, bro. I'm happy to help out, but this is becoming some kind of weird dependence. Like you're like basically a man child. I can't handle this anymore. The projection starts to fall apart because you have this idealized anima, you have this idealized animus, and another human being can't hold it. Okay? However, projection means not only the transference of the image to another person, but also the activities that go with it. So the man to whom the animus image is transferred is expected to take over all the functions that remain undeveloped in the woman in question. Whether the thinking function or the power to act or the responsibility towards the outside world. In turn, the woman upon whom a man is projected his anima must feel for him or make relationships for him. And this symbiotic relationship, in my opinion, is the real cause of compulsive dependence that exists in these cases. Okay? The state of the completely successful projection is usually not of a very long duration. Then the incongruity between the image and the image bearer often becomes all too obvious. So like I said, this is the last. Now here's a Okay, so here's the other thing. So now I'm asked, when do you guys read the Bible? Okay. What is the name of it? Rewind 2 hours for the answer. So, you guys remember this, but what happens next? This is what I love about honeymoon. Okay? So when someone does not live up to our expectations, the ideal man can be ideal, my boyfriend can be the ideal man, my girlfriend can be the ideal woman, what happens next? When the projection starts falling apart, well, yes, this is so great, this explains so much. Double down in what way? Break up. That's one option, is break up and go to another person. Compromise is not an option. Turn on them in what way? Projection to another person, leaving, that's an option. That happens. So we're going to move on to somebody. Protest, evaluation, resentment, look for, there we go, 8999. When this discrimination between the image of the person sets in, we become aware to our great confusion is when the man is seen to by our image. Just like the perfect man does not correspond to it in the least, but continually behaves quite differently from the way we think he should. At first, we perhaps try to deceive ourselves about this and often succeed relatively easily, thanks to an aptitude for facing differences, right? We talk ourselves out of it. Number one, it's not that bad. We start to cut the slack. They may not be the person I thought they were, but I'm going to kind of ignore it. That's something we do a lot in relationships, right? If we go to our blurred powers of discrimination, we start to ignore red flags, we ignore warning signs. Oftentimes we try with real cunning, this is my favorite, to make a man be what we think he ought to represent. Not only do we consciously exert force pressure, but more frequently we quite unconsciously force our partner by our behavior into archetypal or animus reactions. Naturally, the same holds good for the man in his attitude towards the woman. He too would like to see her in the image that floats before him. By this which works like suggestion, he may bring it about that she does not live her real self, but becomes an anima figure. Okay, this in fact that they usually constantly one of the worst complications in relations between men and women. So what do we do? They become the project I can fix. They're not living up my animus representation. Oh my God, I really need to make sure my husband flies for that promotion. He's not ambitious as I want. Let me make him ambitious. Let me do it consciously. Let me do this. This woman is not. Oh my God, I said, now that we're having kids, she wants to continue her career, but I really think she should stay home. That's the kind of, and we make it for kids. So yeah, think about our children. Who's going to take better care of our children than me or you? Who else on the planet loves them as much as I do, as much as you do? You're so nurturing, you're so caring, give up your career. No one else can do this as you can. They become like, have you seen this in relationships? Have you all ever been in a relationship where the person that you're dating doesn't think you're manly enough or womanly enough, and subtly either by over pressure or covert pressure starts to make comments, starts to follow certain girls on Instagram, threatens you, wishes you, manipulates you, starts to recommend, hey, here's a podcast about making more money, maybe you should check it out. Hey, my brother has a friend who's actually in the same field that you're in, and he's at a really successful company, maybe you should talk to him. Maybe you become more like that person. Maybe you become more like that person. 100 years ago, and today he's a prophet. Okay. Okay, so then another important question is like, how do we differentiate between like healthy encouragement and the anima and animus, right? So the healthy encouragement is totally fine. Suggestions are totally fine. The question is, who is doing your satisfying for you? Right? I've seen this like the weird versions of this in measurement projection. So good example is, I once had a patient who was training for the Olympics, not pregnant, dropped out of college, and then when she had a daughter, who's gonna make her daughter train for the Olympics. So again, really, really nasty woman. And the patient was actually the daughter. Just really, just you ruined my life, you ruined my dreams. So you're gonna fulfill my dreams in your life. Basically, what I gave up my career, I gave up my hopes when I got pregnant with you. I could have aborted you, and I didn't. And this is what you owe me in return. Okay, so what we see is we see that this person does not have their own needs met. So if this person is fulfilled and is encouraging her daughter to go to the Olympics, that's fine. There's a certain tenacity to the anima and animus. There's a certain, you gotta change. I need you to change. I can't be fulfilled by you're such a fuck sitting at home, not getting promoted. It's my fulfillment that I get from you. You are doing this work for me. You are my proxy. You are my agent. You are my projected image. I need you to live up to that projected image. I got all the mental gymnastics, all the blurring of my powers of discrimination. I really need you to change. I gave up my own career. I need you to be number one. I hang out with my friends, and they have yachts and private jets. I'm tired of driving a Toyota Sienna. I want to drive a Bentley. So you need to get your ass on that. This is the deal. I need you to be this way. So I need you to get better tits. I need you to get Botox. I need you to do this. This is my better tits. This other body mine knows. His partner had a boob job too. Over. What does she have that I don't have? Better tits. So what to do? So this ran a little bit longer than I wanted, but we're gonna talk about installation. So how do you fix this? So if we want to fix this, what we need to do is have a balance between anima and animus. We'll have to do part 2 on memberships that includes spirituality and stuff. We'll talk about in a minute. So the first thing is to understand we basically need an integration of these two things. So how do we achieve that integration? We achieve that integration by, if we look at the root of it, okay? So remember that the root of it is anima is down, so animus is up. And this fuels the whole thing, right? So we look at this diagram, like all of them start with this, right? And then you can go this way, you can go this way, you can go all these different ways. So it always starts with this. You guys see this is the core. So anima is down, or anima is up, and animus is up. So the core way to fix all of these things is to balance this out. Because the moment this dynamic goes away, all of the other patterns, the projection, the trading in your boyfriend or girlfriend for a newer model, the trying to fix them, turning them into a project, being attracted to someone who's hyper masculine and treats you like shit, being attracted to a woman who's hyper feminine and treats you like shit, because you're missing something and this person completes you, compulsively falling in love with people, all this stuff falls apart if you can be content within yourself. And that contentment involves a balancing of these two forces. But the balancing of these two forces is done in this way. It's really cool. He even says this. Okay? So this is beautiful. When a man discovers his anima and has to come to terms with it, he has to take up something which previously seemed inferior to him. Right? Then to our laws show clearly how widely the concept of women's inferiority is prevailed. Even now, in many places, the law frankly sets the man above the woman, gives him greater privileges and makes her guardian, and so on. So basically, here's the problem with anima: is that if we look at our society, this is a society where Excel spreadsheets and ROI matter more than feelings. Right? Actually, let me read this later. Okay. So the inability to realize the discernment, reasonableness, and objectivity are inappropriate in some places, often astonishing. We believe a masculine objective attitude to be better in every case than a feminine and personal. Right? So this is a little bit dated, but it still holds somewhat true. Like the idea that why you want to do this, because I feel like it's inferior to a data-driven. Logic is superior to emotions. External status is superior. Ambition is superior to contentment. Right? So if we look at the attitude, the base problem of the anima and the animus, it's that we denigrate the anima. We say women are inferior. The woman's way of doing things is worse than the man's way of doing things. We are data-driven, we are focused, we are analytical, we're logical, we're not doing things based on feeling. You can't trust that. Instinct is inferior to data. Intuition is inferior to data. So the work in a nutshell of constellating your anima. What it feels like is what I like about what Emu says. It is lowering yourself. It is debasing yourself. It is this thing that you used to think was inferior. You have to descend towards it. You have to embrace that which is weakness. Get in touch with your feelings. No, bro. Pussies get in touch with your feelings, bro. I get in touch with my feelings. I'm gonna conquer feelings. I'm not gonna listen to them. I'm gonna beat them into a pulp. My feelings are gonna touch me. Only pussies get in touch with your feelings. Only weak people get there. Therapy is for losers. Therapy is for losers. I want to know how I'm gonna get a yacht. How am I gonna fly private? That's what matters. I want people laying out. I get in touch with my feelings. So the interesting thing is, if you're struggling with this problem, what you're gonna have to do, that the work is gonna feel debasing. You're gonna make yourself inferior. That's what you actually have to do. You have to do the thing that makes you inferior. You have to become pussy. You have to embrace being a loser. Embrace being a beta. Embrace all of the things that you denigrate. Because if we want to get integrated, what we need is like not to have this separation. And separation means you're up here. You need to go down here. You need to move down there. But this is descending to the level anima. Right? This is if you have animus hyperactive. If you're like status oriented, ambition oriented, and goal oriented, and feelings are for noobs. Right? And then even I see a subtle version of this, which is like the animus orientation for people who go to therapy to be done with. If you say acknowledge, okay, feelings get in the way. So when you fix my feelings, I'll be done with my. They're not inherent value. They're just a problem that needs to be fixed. And once their problem needs to be fixed, my upward trajectory, my ambition, all that stuff becomes easy. Done with those. Finish with. Sure, but they're not inherent value. I'm gonna start listening to them. Right? I'm gonna do mindfulness to make myself 10% happier. I'm gonna do mindfulness to improve my attention span. I'm gonna do mindfulness, I'm gonna do meditation to lower my cortisol levels, improve my inflammation, all this kind of stuff. Mindfulness is a tool to utilize in the juggernaut of my ambition. I want more in life. And meditating gives me more. I can play less. I can read more books. My attention improves. I can sleep less. My physical health improves. My cortisol level gets better. My atherosclerosis level really slows down because my cortisol is lower. Now I'll be able to live long. I'll be able to live for 100 years instead of 80. I'll have to do more stuff all in the service of my ambition. This is not anima integration. This is not anima constellation. For the anima to have value, meditate to realize your true self. Meditate to cultivate inner peace. You guys have seen me interview a lot of people in places where I'm hey, if I gave you pills to make you content, would you take it? Hell no, not at all. Right? This is great. This is the problem. You give people pills to make them content, but they take it. No, feelings don't have intrinsic value. Just elevate the value of feelings. Let me go to therapy so that I can be content in myself. And if I can content myself, then I can handle the judgment of other people. Let me be free and independent. Let my internal emotional state not be dependent on the way that people react to me. Let me have the freedom of tolerating, the courage to be dislike. Courage is one thing. Contentment is what I go for. Let me be content enough to be dislike. Yeah, you just like me. That's fine. Right? That's anima integration. What about animus constellation? So this is where once again when we're caught up in our anima, the external world becomes dirty, becomes muddy. Isn't very good. Right? I don't want to deign myself. So I interact. I want to fill out applications. Oh my god, like do I want to learn quantum mechanics? Yeah, but I'm not going to study for the GRE and then take the GRE and then apply to 40 places. And then what if I don't get into MIT or Harvard or Stanford or other prestigious places? What if I get into like community like El Paso Community College for a PhD? Oh my god, like I can't lower myself to do that. So in animus constellation, the main goal, the main thing that you have to do is once again lower yourself. Remember both cases. One is above you. You have to debase yourself to go and stand in line and fill out applications with the plebs. This idealization, this world that you live in over here, you have to abandon that world and realize that life is messed up. That life is muddy. Life is imperfect. Life is not going to work out the way that it does in your head. And these people have a base problem. They're not willing to do that. I don't want that. So what I'm going to keep doing is keep spinning my wheels in a relatively unproductive fashion until I figure it out. Because once I figure it out, it'll be easy. Then I will be brilliant and it'll be easy. It's not enough for me to be brilliant. It's not enough for me to be accomplished. I can be effortlessly accomplished. The real world is oh my god, the real world is oh my god, it's kind of like people are just oh my god, people, oh my god, I just wait in line so long, and application, it's going to cost $250, and that application costs $250, and I work this many extra shifts, and even if I work all this extra, and I apply for this place, it's not guaranteed that I'm going to get it. How do I guarantee that I'm going to get it? And they're very conditional way of thinking about the real world. They're not willing to invest anything and get nothing in return. They want to keep figuring things out until the ideal in their head matches the reality. If they keep tinkering, right? So this is sort of where the weird things that animus kind of injected into the anima. All of the logic is fantasy in your head. Instead of trying to do logic and actually going out into the world and using that faculty for iterative improvement in the real world, they're just always in their head, always learning, always turning, never improving. So they too have to debase themselves to join the rest of us in line at the DMV, where you wait for 138 minutes and the person says, oh yeah, this is the wrong location. You're registering this car in a different county. You have to go to that location. And that's just one day. This happens 100 days out of the year. Things get lost in the mail. You start sending things by certified mail. You go to USPS and wait in line, send by certified mail. Right now you're applying for a job job, get an AI interview, this is what you have to do. Be like, I don't want to do that. World's like, yeah, I get your world stuff. It's challenging. Here's the thing about the anime and the animals. Neither of them are wrong. That's the other thing that Hume talks about. That's really good. It's not that these things are not true. They're just like not applicable 100%. Or there are other variables in the equation. The world does suck, and you still have to engage with it if you want to accomplish something. And here's the thing people who are unconstellated animus don't realize is that when you're constellated animus, you pay the price of living life. Absolutely. But the joy that you get is astronomical. You get fulfillment, right? So instead of living a fantasy life in your head, like sure, you started out at El Paso Community College, but then you did get a paper published, and you did work really hard, and you do go to a conference, and you present something, and you get a postdoc opportunity at Stanford, or UC Berkeley, or Queens College in London, right? And then you end up moving there, and then you do meet someone who's not perfect, who you enjoy being with, who's constellated in their own animus, and you guys are two whole, complete human beings living an imperfect life together, and you're kind of in love, and you're supporting each other, and then you start to find a joy in life, a contentment in life, because you are not stuck in your anima, where it's so stuck in your internal being. You have somehow external and internal balance. So even if the animus isn't everything at once, even if your external life is imperfect, you have enough internal vibrancy, you have enough internal awareness, internal being, spiritual connection to where you're okay with, and you're still happy. You're not chasing external things. You're not caught up in internal things. There's a balance. There's a constellation. There's a combining of these two forces to form something else. That's what constellation means. They always separate parts. So when you put them together, make like a new picture. And that is constellated animus. That's the goal. In both cases, you have to lower yourself in different directions. One is to lower yourself to the world. There's to lower yourself to embrace that which you thought was inferior. Now, the wild thing about animus, so this is really interesting. Because I got into Jung. Part of the reason I got into Jung is because he's the psychoanalyst that has some of the first lectures on Indian spirituality. So my first book that I got by Jung is a book on Kundalini yoga and Jungian analysis of lectures. So there's one thing that you missed. So one of the things that he was kind of saying is that these archetypes are like somewhat related, like connect them to the chakras. So the one thing that I think you miss, which I'm pointing out, is a spiritual practice to directly target the archetype. That's what the yogis work at. Here's the practice. Here's what you do in order to fix this problem. So they understand really well from a psychological perspective what does the relating to overcome. What does debasing yourself look like? Does it mean journaling? Does it mean applying for a job? Getting all those things in the external world. But one thing that's a little bit interesting is if you look at archetypes and the theory of archetypes, they're deep within us. There are a couple of very interesting parallels. So one example of an archetype, the principle of an archetype, is that if you do not properly constellate your archetype, that which is potential becomes poison. Right? So if you don't live up to your potential, it's not neutral, it's harmful. So either you live up to your potential, or you suffer the burden of being a failed potential. It's either or. That energy has to go somewhere. It will either manifest in the positive plane or it will manifest in the negative plane. And in yogic theory, there's a really interesting idea, which is we have this thing called which is created here at the top of our crown chakra. And this is like a divine sour that drips down. When it drips through the chakra, one of two things happens. If it is not digested properly, it goes down to the root chakra, and our potential becomes manifest as an addiction. The striving for something, the wanting to accomplish something becomes damaging. So if you guys look at the imagery of you. You can kind of see here. So Shiva has a blue throat. You guys see this thing with this. So there's like even this principle in there for Shiva that in the Vishuddha chakra, it holds poison. And the stuff that descends down, it becomes poison over here if it's not constellated properly. So your potential will become something that is neutral, you become depressed about your potential. Your capacity for greatness becomes the source of your depression. This is what the yogis say. So a big part of the spiritual work of depression is like when I work with people who are depressed. It's like, okay, I understand you got to talk about your feelings, but how can we give you accomplishment? How can you be proud of what you want to do? What is that thing you're passionate about? Make something about it. And that's when I see depression get way better. It's not just in managing your emotions, but in taking that energy that is feeding your depression because you did not live up to your expectations. You did not live up to your potential. You have actually gotten on track. You become a has-been. You peaked back then. And one of the things I hate about being a psychiatrist is the sort of idea that I was taught not by all my mentors. This idea that okay, when someone peaked in high school, we should help them breathe. It's like sure, that's useful, but let's also help them achieve. Let's show them they actually did peak in high school. Let's help them accomplish something so they can be proud. That works so well for depression, as well as the cognitive behavioral stuff and the automatic thoughts and the breathing is all important. It's not that psychiatry is incomplete. It's not that psychiatry is wrong. I think that it's incomplete in this way. It's part of the reason we went into coaching all that kind of stuff. That's focused on achievement. Right? So this weird spiritual stuff, which by the way, we talk about practice for aware, which I now have steps like 2 and 3 on. We're going to have to do a follow-up on this. So I'm becoming this theory some time ago that there are yogic practices that will directly target each archetype, meditative practice. And so we're going to focus a little bit more on that spiritual angle and the connection between spiritual and anima animus. Which by the way, this is kind of a no-brainer. If ever you wanted to see a spiritual practice about anima animus, here it is. Right? So this is already embodied. What is Ardhanarishwar? Shiva is often seen as pure masculinity, yet in Ardhanarishwar, half of him is fully developed as a woman. We have both masculine and feminine within us. In the balancing of these energies, there's a set of spiritual practices that is designed to balance these energies within us. And this is where it's like, I can't say this with confidence because I haven't seen my spiritual trial, but it's like there's no doubt in my mind. I admit that just because there's no doubt doesn't mean I'm correct. There's no doubt in my mind that the practices that cultivate Ardhanarishwar energy will absolutely help anima animus. Right? They had the concept. And the person who came up with the concept of anima animus was heavily influenced by these theories. But the yogis never did psychoanalysis. They never did psychotherapy. They didn't care. So Jung understood this stuff, did his own work, and combined the two. These primordial forces, we have this concept of primordial forces that will manifest or not manifest, will manifest in a positive way or negative way. The problem is that Jung hadn't practiced, right? So he actually was interesting. He was very avoidant of certain teachers and certain kinds of practices. There's an element, this is what Western psychology misses. We sort of touch on things like DBT and stuff like that. Is that these spiritual practices can be done for psychological change. Right? It's sort of touch on. We can do it right now. That makes sense. That's going to be part 2. Cecily Locke asking, do you think you show more bias towards your cultural truths? It sounds a lot like post-hoc rationalization. Obviously, I'm human, and so I'm going to be biased towards particular things, including cultures that I grew up. The way that I manage that bias is by looking at some truths. Right? There's one spiritual tradition which has been scientifically demonstrated to have profound mental health benefits. There's only one has been studied to this extent. There have been tons of studies on prayer. They don't touch meditation. So while I'm biased, there's also like a lot of evidence in favor of it. So these two things are not mutually exclusive. Just because there's evidence in favor of it doesn't mean that I'm biased. So both of these things can happen. And this is where I try to be like clear, right? So I'll even make a statement. So the way to do a bias is to acknowledge. So I said like, hey, look, I've never seen an RCT, but Ardhanarishwar oriented practices will fix the anima animus complex. I'm like also 100% sure to be wrong. That no one has ever done a study on Ardhanarishwar spiritual practices of people diagnosed with anima possession and anima possession. Like, I'm like 100% confident that study's never done. It's just so wild. Like who would ever do that? So we're so many steps away from that trial. The problem is that just because it has not been studied does not mean it isn't. So this is what I've seen as a clinician. As a clinician, when I teach them these concepts, they tend to work out really well in a clinical perspective. Okay. Right, so yeah, we're gonna take 1 or 2 questions, and then we're gonna show you something cool that we're working on. Religious beliefs change about beliefs that equals to not really, but I think let me be clear about this. So this video is vocalized. So I was like, hey, I'm getting kind of pulled in nihilism, but being pulled into nihilism is not the same as being in nihilism. So as I learn more about neuroscience, as I read all these papers that are very materialistic in orientation, with biological reductions about the nature of free will and stuff like that, it shapes my thinking, and I have a crisis. So like, okay, well, listen, I don't know spiritual work. Look at all these scientific papers, and look at all these papers from philosophy and theories of consciousness and stuff like that. Look at all these people saying all the spiritual stuff is BS, and that creates doubt in my mind, which I embrace. So people are like, yeah, well, are you biased? Yes, but the way to deal with that bias is to not shove those kinds of things away, to actually embrace that. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've been suckered in by the cult of yoga and meditation. I have to embrace that. Can high anima and less anima be a thing? I think absolutely. Right? Because anima is more. So here's what anima is. Anima is an internal orientation. Because when you're too caught up in that which is inside. But anima, especially when it's animus possessed, is an internal orientation towards logic. You're stuck in here. Oftentimes people have this problem will be very, very sensitive to certain emotions, so they'll be stuck thinking in their head. I'm not specifically familiar with the Vajrayana version of Ardhanarishwar. Ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom, that makes sense, right? It maps onto Ardhanarishwar. But that's what you're going to see in Vajrayana. You're going to see development of some of these concepts. They're actually more developed. What if you depended on your animus, got traumatized, so now you stay in an anima dominant mode, but your anima is inexperienced for weak? I don't know if I understand that right. I'd be super careful about applying that kind of thing, right? So if you're in an anima dominant mode, it's hard for it to be weak. It's just a mouse. So it's good that you guys are playing around with these concepts, but I'd be a little bit careful about that kind of like mapping on. Red Rebel, what do you advise for a woman with ADHD struggling with severe executive dysfunction? I'm trying to help her, but I do not know what to do when I'm not there. I think that helping someone who struggles is always a good thing to do, but also you're not responsible for that. Right, so I think that ultimately the right thing to do for severe executive function is treatment. And support your friend getting treatment is the most important. What resources are there for learning Ardhanarishwar for balancing anima and animus? I've never seen them, and I'm making them. That's what I have. That's what I'm working on. Okay? Have you read Autobiography of a Yogi? Yeah, I think it's a very good introductory. It's a very good introductory book into yoga. So I think it also misses a lot. I think the target audience is basically people who are very familiar with Christianity. It's introducing the basic concepts of yoga. So what if I see things in reverse, where the fantasy in my head is worse than the reality of the world? I still think it's like, I think this is where, remember, I showed you guys like the different paths. So this is not complete. There are lots of, this is what's annoying about the Jungian literature. It's not very clinically focused, right? So what they'll do is they'll do dream analysis, and they'll have like a dozen different dreams for people who are animus possession or anima possession. And each of them will look slightly different. So the key thing to remember about archetypes is that they're like a primordial thing that can manifest in 1,000 different ways. So there'll be a core idea of internally focused to the point of external. There's a disconnect between the internal and external. So that can still be there, but it doesn't mean that you have to idealize. Like there can absolutely be a situation where you internally don't idealize, but you're still stuck in your head. Now how that goes, I'm not sure. Okay? We have talk more about. Yeah, you mentioned that you think possession and disconnection are different, but I'm not sure if you said how. Yeah, so that's one of the challenges. So this framework is something I made up, right?
What?
When I was reading this stuff, and when I was thinking about it clinically, I was like, I don't think all of this is always possession, right? So possession has a particular picture, but then there's the disconnection, there's the symptoms of being disconnected from the anima, and then there's a separate symptom of that anima controller animus. So if you're disconnected from feeling, then what that will create is you're externally oriented, and you rely on the external world. So I think that this is where like you take 1,000 different ways that anima disconnection manifests. I think 500 of them involve possession, but 500 of them don't involve the picture of possession. That's the weakness of the lecture, which I'll admit. But I think that it smells different to me. Okay. All right, we're gonna hop into a lecture real quick. Now we have a guest. Take one. And then do I need to show?
I may I have to. Maybe.
Okay, Alex, yes. You can't hear me? Should be able to. You should be able to now. Okay, so hey, welcome. Let me see. Okay, we'll figure this out. But you want to just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're sharing with us today?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Alex Waxer. I'm the director of HG Institute. Also licensed clinical social worker and supervisor. So I'm another clinician here. So I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about what HG Institute is. It's been around for about a year, but we're kind of entering into phase 2, if you will, of it. So yeah,
okay, awesome. I'm going to just change an overlay real quick. And so one of the, just to give you guys a little bit of context, we had a stretch goal for May, which was we wanted to get some additional funding for the institute. And Alex is one of the people that runs the institute. So let me just hold this. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just slide over. Okay, let me. Weird. You have a. Okay.
Just do voice.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so tell us a little bit about what's going on, Alex.
Did you want to just talk about the stretch goal?
Yeah, so we had this is so weird. This is not something I was going to say. Okay, so we don't see you, but that's okay. Just do, yeah, we don't see you, Alex, but that's okay. So yeah, we had a stretch goal which was for HGI. So people supported us enough. They bought basically 1,000 guides, and that gives us funding. So what are we planning on doing with Alex?
Yeah, okay, so HGI, what is that? This is kind of the educational arm of HG. We've been around officially for 2.5 years. So really what the goal of HGI is, as you guys know, we talk a lot about AOE healing, and the idea that mental health is not just like a single target that can really be the area of effect. So instead of helping just one person at a time, we cast wide net, and radius kind of gets everybody gets in that radius. So at HG Institute, what we're doing is we kind of take that same idea and we just kind of move it upstream. And
what do you mean upstream?
Yeah, so we've seen it with you on stream, with coaching, with memberships, it's a little bit more one-on-one, and there's kind of a ceiling. So because there's only so many hours in a day of you for the coaches, etc. So it's sort of like there's a ceiling of how many people we can reach. So we start kind of asking like, okay, what if we train more people? Basically, and what if we train especially the clinicians, other clinicians? I've been there myself when I'm working with colleagues, and I've asked them, and we are poorly trained and not informed about what's going on today in mental health, what's going on today with people, with the internet, how this is interacting with our lives, etc. As clinicians. So we really wanted to come in as a training institute and start providing continuing education for therapists, for coaches, for teachers, all those people.
So basically, the way I would describe this is like there's a common complaint which we hear in the community, which is I tried therapy and it didn't work. So they didn't get you. Like they didn't understand. Like my therapist was like, why don't you just like your video games, or if you're addicted to pornography, like why don't you just stop watching porn or just start having sex with people instead? And so our goal is to, and this is what we're building, Alex. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yes. Okay. So over the last year, we launched and we focused kind of first on the coaching program that Alex built, and we got board approved by the National Board of Health and Wellness Coaches, which is the biggest kind of gold standard out there for certifying coaching programs. And so we are now running. We're on I don't even know what number. There's 12 or 13 cohorts, training coaches that some go on to work at HG, some go out into the world, and that's the goal. Is we are training coaches who go elsewhere. So we have launched that product and it's doing incredibly well. And so this year we kind of shifted gears and really want to start building out the clinical continuing education thing. So we are currently approved CE providers for the American Psychological Association, ASWD, which is social workers, NADAC, which is kind of addiction licensures, and then HWC with coaching. So the big one is today, as of a couple hours ago, we launched our second name, Big CE, which is Manipulation Guide to Porn Addiction. And this one's really kind of deep dive into compulsive sexual behavior, specifically how it's manifesting online. So as clinicians and as people who listen to people who are trying to go to therapists, we kind of keep having this, like people coming in, they having spent thousands of dollars on OnlyFans. They're talking about booming. They're describing behaviors that most training programs, they barely touch sexual behavior at all, much less what does this look like today. So we really wanted to kind of just deep dive with the really clinical kind of diagnostic stuff, but also like, what does this look like in this day and age, and what are the clients actually going to talk about.
And what are y'all working on?
So we are working on a number of things. We're going to build out the CE library, but a couple of the teasers. We've got a large project for creator mental health, so helping clinicians know how to work specifically with people creators. We've got maybe a couple somewhat familiar faces who may or may not be involved in that. And then the other one is, now you've got me thinking we're going to have a Jungian one, but
yeah, we have to do a Jungian one. I was thinking this too. I know that I tend to torpedo things because no, but dude, Alex, I gotta tell you. So I've been doing Jungian stuff for like a couple months now. So people from our scientific advisory board, I got a DM. I don't know if you saw this, but someone from our scientific advisory board was like messaging me and was like, hey, I've been getting super into Jung too. And then literally I got a text message about a week ago from a buddy of mine from residency who I haven't talked to since 2018. I think so I haven't talked to him in 8 years. And he was like, hey, I saw you on a podcast, and like I've been getting super into Jung too. So we may say and so something weird is going on with like a Jungian revival. And so we gotta figure that out. I don't know what, but like almost like Jungian, but we're not like a Jungian psychoanalytic institute, so we gotta figure that out. But chat, we just wanted to show y'all kind of what we're working on. A big thing that we try to do here at HG is be like sustainable. So Alex said like we started the institute 2.5 years ago. The funding of that came from us. So we're like, okay, we're gonna like build this thing. And then the challenge though is that if we want to build some of this stuff, like if we want to expand HGI, we want to start doing research, like we have to invest that first. And so we have to build a program. Like now there's a porn addiction CE. There's another CE. Are we having another CE go live in a month? Alex, you know if that's happening?
We've got AI and mental health, and just sort of that will be a little bit shorter. Just kind of this is the thing we all know. It's constantly evolving. Here's what we're seeing. And then we probably by the end of the summer we'll also have something on gambling, and that one's the one that's terrifying me mostly these days.
Yeah. So guys, like I just want to emphasize, like, so we'll ask for these like stretch goals and stuff. And so part of what we do here at HG is we try to make things sustainable. But anytime you guys support us, some of the support that y'all given us over the last year, so that's ad revenue for YouTube or checking out coaching or getting a trauma guide or whatever. Like that money went into building HGI, and now we're hoping to grow it faster and do more things with it. And so that's what we do with the money that you guys send our way, and it's like going incredibly well. And it really serves our mission of like, okay, let's make more competent clinicians for this situation.
The mental health field as a whole is kind of that goal, the big picture.
Cool. Okay. Any last thoughts, Alex?
No, thank you for having us.
Yes.
I'll get to thinking about Jungian.
Yeah. Well, I mean, go slow.
Yeah. Okay,
thanks a lot, Alex. Take care. Okay, so we just wanted to show you a little bit about like what we do. Like this is something we've been working on for a couple of years. It's gone really well so far, and we really want to increase the rate at which we build things. So yeah, the creator one's gonna be pretty big, and then there's just like new problems cropping up, so we can't keep up. So Alex has been with HG for a couple of years. She transitioned over to the institute when we started it. We've had a couple of other people kind of moving over. We're really trying to grow some of that stuff. We're trying to move in a lot of different directions all at once. So thank you guys so much for your help. We've really been able to accomplish a lot of amazing things here, and it wouldn't be without you. So thank you guys so much. And yeah, we'll see you guys. I don't know when we're streaming next, but we'll see you when we see you, chat.
Pause for just a moment. Yep. Oh well. Did a bunch of chores.
Novo tratamento para câncer deixou mais de 15 mil médicos e cientistas aplaudindo de pé, gritando, até assobiando. Isso nunca aconteceu, pessoal. Foi um dos congressos de câncer mais importantes do mundo. Um cientista apresentou simplesmente o maior avanço da história no tratamento do câncer. Câncer de pâncreas é um dos mais difíceis de tratar. Ele quase não gera sintomas no início, e quando você cobre, já está todo ponto da cirurgia. Para piorar, o tumor constrói uma parede de tecido fibroso ao redor de si mesmo e bloqueia a ação de um remédio das células de defesa. Por conta disso, os pacientes vão viver por apenas 6 meses depois do vírus, mas isso está prestes a mudar. Cientistas criaram um comprimido que o paciente toma uma vez por dia que desliga a proteína que está alterada nas células do câncer. Ao invés de 6 meses, os pacientes agora vivem 13 meses na média. Parece pouco, mas é mais do dobro. E há anos não se viu um avanço tão significativo assim nessa área. Então manda esse vídeo para alguém que fala que a indústria farmacêutica contra o tratamento do câncer, porque essa notícia é revolucionária. E me segue para ficar por dentro de todas as novidades da ciência.
Interesting. Oh fuck, I'm the wrong account.
Um novo tratamento para câncer deixou mais de 15
The music. Put in there just because funny. I never turn on the audio back then, the music in the game. So yeah, it's kinda strange. The fuck? I got ugh. Interesting. No. I probably got a bunch of recommended music from Overwatch now. It's weird, just to call it Overwatch 2. Yep. Let's see. No depression. We'll give us some hope and then give us some depression later. There is the depression. Bro.
Salve, salve galera! Está começando mais um vídeo aqui do meu canal. Meu nome é Lucas Castilho, seja muito bem-vindo ao canal. Vamos falar sobre o assunto da semana. Na verdade, sim, esse assunto já vem gerando burburinho nas últimas semanas, mas nos últimos dias foi que realmente foi o estopim disso tudo. Que é o quê? O fato dos Estados Unidos, até então ele tinha a intenção, e agora já foi determinado isso, que estão olhando para organizações criminosas como Comando Vermelho, como PCC, como terroristas agora. Classificaram eles dessa forma. Então o que isso quer dizer? Muda alguma coisa? Muda. Porque quando se envolve teoria, uma coisa assim, eles podem alegar que de fato existem coisas que estão impactando no país deles, então eles têm direito de agir contra. Você tá entendendo? Mais ou menos isso. Eu gosto de explicar sobre essas coisas assim, gente, porque assim não é do jeito bonitinho, do jeito formalzinho, até porque nem tem capacidade para isso. Quando se toca essas coisas, então todo mundo consegue entender. O cara que é leigo, o cara que entende um pouco mais, o cara que entende pra caramba, todo mundo tá entendendo o que eu tô querendo dizer. Então eu fico parafraseando, contando história pra facilitar. Obviamente que dá pra se aprofundar muito nesse assunto, a gente pegar especialistas pra debater e tal. Se bate um papo geopolítico, eu tava analisando, observando o que tava rolando e tal, e tem muita coisa que é minhas próprias conclusões também. Quais são os impactos disso para o Brasil diretamente? Isso muda alguma coisa pra quem tá aqui? Vamos falar sobre isso nesse vídeo. Primeiramente, eu postei um react que eu fiz, na verdade, sobre uma fala do Lula, e aí tem muita gente, a maioria, obviamente, esmagadora concorda comigo, mas tem que parar de falar de política. Assim, cara, eu não sou um cara que gosta de falar de política, mas quando interfere na imagem do imigrante, quando interfere no país em si, nessa questão que envolve as pessoas quererem sair, tudo isso, de uma certa forma, tem a ver com o meu canal, que é o quê? Pessoas que querem sair do Brasil, por que elas querem sair do Brasil, o que tá acontecendo no Brasil, vale a pena no Brasil, não sei o quê. Eu tenho um vídeo que eu gravei com o Nicolas Ferreira, você sabe que ele estava aqui em Boston, eu fui gestor desse evento, então quem tá cuidando da passagem aérea, de hotel, tudo isso, né, deles, assessor alemã, que tava com ele, tem a Carol Paiva, entre outros players também, que foi um evento de empreendedorismo, foi eu, então a gente bateu um papo, eu gravei isso, vou postar pra vocês, somente nessa próxima semana. E eu falei pra ele, cara, eu sou um cara que acredito no Brasil, acho que o Brasil é incrível, mas assim, eu não tenho esperança. Eu acho que a melhor saída pro Brasil é pro aeroporto, e é triste falar isso, não fala isso com orgulho. Você já viu aquele parente que você tem, que às vezes é viciado nas drogas, no jogo, alguma coisa assim, você fala, pô, tinha tudo para certo essa pessoa, é de boa família e tal, não sei o quê, mas a pessoa decidiu gastar a vida com porcaria. Mesma coisa, o pai de família tinha uma família linda e decide ficar aí atrás de rabo de saia. Arrebentou com a vida, arrebentou com a família, com os filhos, porque ficou atrás de rabo de saia. Então é tipo isso quando você olha pro Brasil, é mais ou menos essa sensação de, tipo assim, cara, tão lindo, tão poderoso, tão, sabe, a gente é tudo, nossa cultura é incrível, a nossa estrutura, a natureza, sabe, é tudo tão lindo, por quê? A gente é tudo pra ser a maior potência desse mundo. Por quê que nós não somos? E por que tá cada vez piorando? Gente, eu saí do Brasil faz 7 anos, não faz 200 não, parece que faz no mínimo 30. Quando começa a olhar as mudanças, já que quando eu saí já tava ruim, tá entendendo? Então é triste demais. O que acontece? A gente viu algumas semanas atrás o Lula vindo aqui na Casa Branca, o bicho me mordeu, parece que você uma ferroada, veio aqui na Casa Branca pra conversar com o Trump e tal, e tentar, né, fazer com que ele mudasse de ideia e não classificasse, né, os criminosos do Brasil como terroristas. Isso já pra mim, na minha opinião, é ruim demais. Ah, mas você tem que entender que também o Trump tem, segundo os interesses. Eu não duvido também não, tá, gente? Não tô passando pano pra ninguém. Ninguém tá limpo, ninguém tá puro. Famosa frase, ninguém tá puro. Não acho que não tem interesse. Acho que tem interesse sim por trás disso. Até porque, na verdade, existem muitas coisas que acontecem por trás que acabam recaindo sobre os Estados Unidos com essas investidas, com essas atuações do PCC, do Comando Vermelho em si. Então é óbvio que os caras vão querer fazer assim, olha, a galera fazendo bagunça tá respingando aqui em mim. Então a gente precisa resolver isso. Então, primeira coisa, já foi determinado isso. O que muda? Acho que isso possa se complicar, de repente, na pessoa que tinha visto. Agora falando achismo, tá? Isso aqui é achismo. Eu acho que isso pode complicar. De uma certa forma, cara, se o Brasil for visto ali com uma grande quantidade de pessoas que vivem sob esse domínio de agora terroristas, que é como eles vêm, eles com certeza vão dobrar o cuidado, tá? É o que faz sentido. Isso não é só eu que tô falando. Eu vi especialistas também falando sobre isso e eu concordo totalmente. Isso a gente vai ter que ver na prática, esperar na prática pra ver. Mas acaba sendo muito mais complexo. Acho que vai gerar também preconceito. Isso acaba gerando uma imagem pra galera de fora muito ruim. Assim como tem aqui, eu vejo aqui, as pessoas olhando pra galera meio árabe, não sei o que, nessas partes do Oriente Médio, não sei o que, com certo preconceito por conta de algumas coisas que acontecem no país deles. Tá entendendo? Isso eu tô falando que eu vivo na prática 7 anos aqui, entendeu? Que eu vejo aqui, as piadinhas que eu escuto aqui, quando se trata dessa comunidade. Sendo que, na verdade, eles estão meio que no mesmo barco que nós, tá entendendo? Tipo assim, existem as pessoas más no Brasil e nos outros países também, enfim. Mas por terem mais expressão, se tem origem de outros países e tal, acaba que a galera que é de lá fica meio com carregando esse fardo. E agora é o fardo que a gente vai carregar, né? Existe um grupo terrorista no Brasil que será combatido pelos Estados Unidos agora. Goste você ou não, gente, os Estados Unidos é sim a maior potência. A China tá bem perto, tá? Isso não sou eu falando, mas a China tá bem perto de se igualar ou passar os Estados Unidos, mas os Estados Unidos ainda é a maior potência. E olha que a China tem 3 vezes mais a população do que os Estados Unidos, ou mais até. Então, o poder militar, as investidas que a gente vê os Estados Unidos fazendo com outros países é surreal. Então, eu acredito sim que os Estados Unidos vai começar a atuar pra combater o PCC, combater o Comando Vermelho. E isso, às vezes, você para e pensa só no cara que tá com a arma mesmo, e matando e tal. Quando, na verdade, existe uma série de outras pessoas que estão precisando por causa da Rouanet, que aconteceu. Então, isso vai ser pra empresas, bancos e qualquer coisa, qualquer fintech, qualquer coisa assim que tentar, não que tentar, mas que, por exemplo, permite um cara desse ter conta lá. Você teria qualquer movimentação. Ninguém vai ter comprar guerra com os Estados Unidos nesse sentido. Então, isso vai retalhar pra muita gente, desde os bandidos marginais que estão lá, na linha de frente, quanto também os de trás dos bastidores que estão ali de pai e gravata. E aí é onde a gente vem, que vai ter gente na política que vai sambar. Por que vocês acham que aconteceu com a Venezuela? Pra eles captarem o Maduro, capturarem, né? O Maduro. Então, assim, é complexo. Tem uma galera que tá com uma esperança boa, muito se diz que, tipo assim, os bastidores, tudo já tá sabendo que vai ser acontecido, vai acontecer, eu acredito nisso, tá? Eu acredito que os caras já sabem os próximos passos. Eu acredito que nenhuma peça jogada que, vamos fazer isso aqui, ver o que vai dar. Não, só que eles estão respeitando um passo a passo de algo que eles porventura queiram fazer, você tá entendendo? Aí tem aquela galera que fala, vem aqui no Brasil também, pega o Lula, não sei o que, papapá. Eu não sei se é o melhor caminho e não tô nem dizendo pra vocês que, olha, eu acho que isso vai acontecer, mas o fato é que não vai parar só nisso, não vai. Agora que os Estados Unidos classificaram, de fato, eles têm autoridade pra começar a combater. Então a forma que eles vão começar a combater, quais vão ser as próximas medidas, é que vai ditar, de fato, o futuro disso tudo. Aí tem aqueles que falam assim, mas e a soberania brasileira? Respeita a nossa soberania, gente, com todo respeito. Mas assim, esse papo de respeito à nossa soberania, que soberania é essa? Que tá precisando da intervenção de um país de fora. Talvez eu fale isso porque você não viva sob o julgo desses grupos que agora são terroristas. Você fala meio comida pra lá, porque às vezes pode entender não muito bem e quando derrubar o vídeo, ou enfim, depois bater o terrorista, entendeu? Dá pra confundir no algoritmo. Mas o fato é, muita gente tem que defender essa tese da soberania do Brasil. O Brasil poderia ser assim, mas que soberania é essa que a gente vê, por exemplo, praticamente 20% da população vivendo sob o julgo desse tipo de organização criminosa, vivendo sob o domínio deles. Não é polícia, não é, na verdade, a polícia não tem nem coragem de entrar em algumas áreas, o exército não se faz. Aí você vai dizer soberania, se o próprio país não tá dando conta, os bandidos estão ditando as regras. É triste demais ver isso. Então, a gente não tem, é só uma falsa falácia de soberania. A verdade é essa. E a gente tem visto esse debate cada vez mais na mesa, em pautas mundiais. As pessoas não o Brasil não dá conta da criminalidade que tem. O buraco é muito mais baixo. Se você fala às vezes isso, talvez você não tá vivendo sob o domínio dessa galera. Mas existem sim milhões de brasileiros que vivem tendo como seus prefeitos, seus presidentes, né, Lula? Não é o prefeito da cidade, é o próprio bandido. É o bandido que manda matar, que manda prender, que manda fazer o que tiver que ser. Você tem que pagar um aluguel pro bandido pra você viver onde você tá, porque ele quem cuida da comunidade. Cara, isso é absurdo demais. Isso é absurdo demais. Já tive a oportunidade de conhecer pessoas aqui nos Estados Unidos que viviam em lugares assim e os relatos são tipo assim, caraca, mano, eu vi uma realidade ruim no Brasil, mas que não era essa. E quando eu escuto as pessoas falando, você fica de boca aberta, entendeu? Aí o pessoal sempre fala assim, né, mas o caso que eu postei do react lá falando pra vocês. O Lula foi lá e falou assim, hoje é um dia muito triste pra mim. Que dia? É porque os Estados Unidos acabaram de reconhecer os nossos criminosos aqui como terroristas. Ele falou desse jeito, eu fui pesquisar, falei, não, isso aqui é alguém da direita querendo fazer alguma coisa, uma fake news, deixa eu pesquisar, isso aqui. É isso mesmo, foi isso mesmo que rolou, velho. Foi isso mesmo que ele falou. Então como é que eu vou passar pano? Como é que eu vou falar mal dos nossos criminosos? Falou até com orgulho, assim, parece que alguém falou do seu filho, você fala assim, não, alguém falou dos meus filhos, isso, sabe? É normal isso. Eu acho que na verdade deveria ter feito um acordo pra pessoal, realmente, não tá dando conta, vamos trabalhar junto, tá entendendo? Assim, eu vou, se você se posiciona dessa forma, você vai colocando pedindo ajuda, mas você vai vir aqui, né? Você continua sendo o chefe da parada, sendo soberano, vamos dizer assim. Tá entendendo? Mas você pega ajuda, pega esse poder de fogo, pega essa inteligência, pega essa grana que os Estados Unidos têm pra investir nesse tipo de rolê, pra combater então o crime. Mas não, as caras, não, a gente não quer não, a gente não quer ajuda, fica tentando interceder pelos criminosos, pelo amor de Deus, cara. Pelo amor de Deus, ou você pega ajuda, ou você fala assim, ó, então faz assim, eu não tô dando conta mesmo, resolve essa parada pra mim aí, que eu tenho certeza que pra população vai ser muito bem, vai ser muito benéfico, tá entendendo o que eu tô falando? Então, gente, o fato é, não dá pra passar pano pra conduta com que a gente tem visto políticos defendendo esse tipo de atitude, é o que eu falei, também não dá pra achar que não tem interesse sobre isso, mas eu acho que pior que não fica. Aí esse é o ponto. Aí nem aconteceu a parada da Venezuela lá. A galera toda criticando, mas a Venezuela, vocês viram como é que tá a Venezuela agora, por sinal? Já melhorou muito. Os caras estão com comida na prateleira, estão conseguindo comprar, inclusive, tá mais barato que o Brasil. Inclusive, daqui papo de 6 meses, com certeza o venezuelano tem mais chance, tem mais coisa do que quem tá no Brasil. Daqui a pouco a Venezuela que tava no fundo do poço, vai ter brasileiro que não, então eu não consigo vir dos Estados Unidos, eu vou pra Venezuela, vai ter uma vida melhor lá. Você tá entendendo? Então, tendo interesse, mas os caras tinham interesse no petróleo, vai. Foram lá, injetaram dinheiro, compraram barato, mas você acha que o cara que tá no final ali do rolê, ou seja, o trabalhador tá preocupado se o cara tá interessado em terras raras e não sei o que lá. É lógico que esse cara não tá, gente. É lógico que esse cara não tá. Esse cara não tem arroz e feijão direito pra comer. Eu tô vendo aqui as coisas dos preços, de comida, de aluguel, disso, daquilo, cada vez subindo mais e mais e mais. Aí a gente vai normalizar isso. Quem fala, quem defende, dificilmente, das duas uma, ou tá sugando até o último dia de benefício do governo, ou sei lá, cara, eu não sei. Tá entendendo? Não tem como a gente normalizar. É o que eu falei, não tem a ver com o Lula apenas. Se alguém da direita também tá tendo esse tipo de conduta, a gente não passa o pano do mesmo jeito. Entendeu? Não dá pra gente normalizar isso, gente. O fato é, esse é o assunto da semana. Tem muitas outras coisas acontecendo e com certeza vão impactar esse relacionamento Estados Unidos e Brasil. Tão estreito no sentido, tipo assim, tanta coisa acontecendo ali. E é lógico que isso vai impactar a gente de uma certa forma. Como eu falei pra vocês, na verdade, eu comecei a fazer o vídeo, me ligaram, eu retomei. Eu já tô não aguentando mais andar e voltar pra casa. Vocês sabem que eu tô recuperando a cirurgia, muito obrigado a todas as mensagens, carinho de vocês. Tô me recuperando bem, graças a Deus. Mas é isso, gente. O meu desejo pro Brasil é que o Brasil se recupere, se levante, se torne aquilo que tem potencial pra ser. Confesso pra vocês, não sei se vai acontecer. Não sei, mas o meu desejo é esse. Entende? Não deixei de ser brasileiro. Muita gente falando assim, lá nos meus vídeos do Instagram, mas você nem tá no Brasil, vai falar de coisas Estados Unidos, você não tá no Brasil, você não sabe isso aqui. Eu não deixei de ser brasileiro, não, eu tenho total direito de falar. E se eu estiver falando besteira, abre uma rede social e vai falar o que você defende, o que você acredita. É sobre isso, por isso que a gente tem que agradecer essa liberdade de expressão, principalmente nos Estados Unidos, que eu posso falar o que eu quiser de quem for. Posso falar do presidente, posso falar do ministro A, B, C, D, posso falar de quem eu quiser. A liberdade, freedom of speech, né? Que é a liberdade de falar, a liberdade de expressão, que até isso o Brasil perdeu nos últimos anos, né? Eu vejo muita gente preocupada nessa área de criação de conteúdo, então eu vejo muita gente assim, não, mas não faz isso aqui, que Deus me livre, isso acontece com o fulano, ciclano, doutor. Estamos cada vez mais coagidos por aqueles que deveriam nos defender, nos proteger, trazer um Brasil melhor. Enfim, gente, é isso. Não tem como a gente não, de vez em quando, pairar sobre esses assuntos aqui no canal, uma vez que você que tá assistindo esse vídeo, possivelmente quer morar aqui nos Estados Unidos, se você quer morar aqui, a grande chance de você estar insatisfeito com o Brasil é grande, né? É grande. A maioria que quer morar nos Estados Unidos, vamos dizer 100%, vamos dizer 99%, quer vir pra cá porque tá insatisfeito com o que o Brasil tem oferecido, como foi o meu caso, né? Eu falei isso com o Nico, eu falei, cara, eu trabalhava muito, era um cara dedicado no Brasil e tal. E mesmo assim, meu próprio país, sabe, não me dava condições de viver dignamente. Aí eu tô aqui num outro país que nem é meu, cheguei sem falar língua, sem nada, sem recurso aqui, com 7 anos, tenho outra vida, termos de qualidade, termos de tudo, de dignidade. Eu tô numa ruazinha simples. Você começa a olhar uma ruazinha simples, você vê os carros, você vê as coisas, a vida não é sobre ter coisas, mas faz parte sim. Você comeu hoje, porque o seu dinheiro teve condições de comprar. Você deu pros seus filhos hoje, o que o seu dinheiro teve condições de comprar. Seu filho veste o que seu dinheiro tem condição de comprar. Você dirige o carro pra ir trabalhar, pra levar seu filho médico, pra ir tirar uma vez pra sua família. O carro que você tem condição de ter. E o que você tem condição de ter, às vezes não é o justo, às vezes não faz jus ao que você trabalha, às vezes não faz jus, inclusive, ao poder que o Brasil tem e que poderia, com certeza, te dar muito mais oportunidade, muito mais acesso, muito mais conforto pra você e pra sua família. A gente tá em junho, esses primeiros 5 meses do ano, tudo que você ganhou foi pro governo, foi para imposto. Se você não sabia disso, tá aqui uma informação pra você. De 12 meses de salário, o que fica no seu bolso é praticamente 7, o resto é imposto. E é por isso que você não consegue ter um carro melhor, é por isso que você não consegue desfrutar da tecnologia do momento, que isso pode favorecer você em diversas coisas, é por isso que você não tem liberdade pra comer o que você quer, muitas vezes, é por isso que seus filhos pedem coisas que você não pode dar. Aí tem como a gente normalizar isso, não tem como, cara. Tem como a gente não falar sobre política, não tem como. Não tem como, eu confesso também não gosto, sugo minha energia, parece que eu tô aqui reclamando, mas faz parte desse game, tá bom? Quando a gente tiver outras informações como essa que são relevantes, né, assuntos importantes como esse, uma outra coisa engraçada, eu vi o Lula falando, né, ele falou assim, olha, nós seremos o país que vai ser referência no crime organizado. É óbvio que assim, eu sei que eles ficam de olho aqui. Ou talvez não, né? Ou talvez não, gente, não tem como passar por simplesmente, mano. Ó, comenta aqui o que você acha, com todo respeito, você pode mudar de opinião, não tem problema, contanto que você seja respeitoso. Aqui os comentários tá pra isso mesmo. E quem sabe um dia eu pego esse vídeo, esses cortes de vídeos antigos que eu tenho, pra mostrar uma evolução do Brasil, mas por enquanto o negócio tá feio. Um beijo pra vocês, até o próximo vídeo, fui,
I think this country is awful. It's going bad politically. There's always Brazil to compete against. There's always. Yep. What do you mean? This comment reminds me of the previous FBI director saying that what was it like Antifa? It's like the biggest organization, criminal organization to combat. It's like that needs to be repressed, but like the guy could not even explain what Antifa stands for. What they're like, if they can even be targeted at all. So the two major criminal organizations. One would probably be Antifa, supposedly. What is the other one? Hey, God damn it. Well, I don't know, man. The ODR is. Yep, pretty much every Brazilian living here is living like a fucking refugee. Because, yeah, fucking sucks. Even when people don't apply to be to stay here as a refugee of their own country. It's just like a fucking silent war against its own people. It sucks. It's, yeah, what can you do about it? You cannot apply for a fucking refugee status like that. But it's still, you still get out of the fucking country because, yeah. It's just unbearable. You cannot go outside during the days. There's still a chance you can be fucking assaulted. But, yeah, it fucking sucks. Especially if you're living in a favela, in a very poor neighborhood. Yeah, what can you do about it? Save enough cash? Tell the American consul that you have enough cash in the bank and enough of an employment status to convince them to give you a travel visa and then become a refugee here and wish for the best with an immigration attorney and start a new life here. That's the best you can do. Yeah, the quiet part out loud. Yeah.
There could be 10,000 people in my street spamming W's and hi, Lacey, and now's your day. And then I see the one person who says yourself. And that's the one that I focus on. I'll go to comments and I'll see. There could be 10,000 people in my street spamming W's and hi, Lacey, and now's your day. And then I see the one person who says yourself. And that's the one that I focus on. I'll go to comments and I'll see like I just tell Lacey's a bad person. How do I get myself to not care about being judged off?
Yeah, so one way that I deal with hate, one way that I help other creators deal with hate is to really like look at a comment and be like, how much of this is accurate or inaccurate. If someone has a misjudgment about you, they're not thinking rationally to begin with. So the ability to correct their thinking, and I'm sure you've tried, it takes way more effort than it's worth. Does that kind of make sense? Because now you're combating ignorance. The pathway is to remove your ego. And the way you remove your ego is by existing in times and spaces where you have no ego. So the more you spend time on the internet, the more you're judged, the more you're considered lazy, the more your ego will grow. And I don't mean narcissism. I mean that the more you'll be like, I am this. The more time you spend climbing rocks without anyone watching, the more time you spend wiping your ass without anyone watching. When you exist with yourself, the ego starts to dissolve. That is the ultimate solution, right? And then something cool happens when your ego starts to get in control. You can actually healthily receive the criticism of other people. Because hey, you know what? I'm not perfect. If people criticize me, they may have something that's worth listening to. And then you're able to sit because I don't get butthurt, and I'm able to sit through, does this person's criticism accurate or inaccurate?
We're here in the Bell booth for Alienware showing off the AW3926QWB, world's first 39-inch 5K RGB striped tandem OLED. You might feel like that's a lot of qualifiers, it's really that impressive, but the answer is yes. What it amounts to is basically a zero-compromise gaming experience. You can have it any way you like, in its native resolution, 5K by 2K, so it's 5120 by 2160, so it's up to 165 Hz. So if you're using a GPU that's made on planet Earth, you're probably not going to be running frame rates above that anyway. Or if you want to push things into competitive titles, you can do up to 330 Hz in a 1080p ultra-wide mode, or actually supports a couple more esports oriented modes, including 32 inches, 16 by 9, as well as 27 inches and 25 inches plus. The big highlight is, of course, the RGB striped WOLED. It comes with all of the advantages of WOLED. So you're going to have crystal clear text, you're going to have peak brightness up to 1300 nits, and typical brightness above 300 nits, but you're not going to have any of the potential downside of 2D OLED. So here, let's turn it off. There is functionally zero magenta hue, and you don't have the admittedly better these days, but still slight agility of the front. The other thing we'll be missing is any reduction in color saturation once you pick the brightness, which was an issue with previous non-RGB striped OLEDs. As for non-gaming, surprisingly, Alienware, a gaming brand, has you covered there as well. It's got a built-in KVM, including handling 90 watts of power delivery to your laptop while simultaneously accepting a DisplayPort signal in. So you can use this as a single cable docking solution for your monitor, something that I do every day and absolutely freaking love. And the best part, okay, is I was expecting to say $15.99, something along those lines. Apparently, this is confirmed. They're targeting more like $1,100 US, which is a lot of money. 59-inch 5K panel OLED monitor. That's actually less than their first 34-inch OLED gaming monitor. Cool, right? Coming this summer with a 3-year warranty that does cover burn. But wait, there's more. Next up is the AW3426DW. This one is a little bit smaller. We're looking at 34 inches, a little lower resolution. More classic 3440 by 1440 ultra-wide resolution, but that's where the compromise is in. This guy does up to 280 Hz, which is a 40 Hz bump over their last generation QD OLED, and it's got all the other new generation QD OLED going for it as well. So we get the increase in surface hardness from 2H to 3H, meaning that I shouldn't be able to scratch it with my thumbnail here. But you got lots of these for demo, right? Should be fine anyway. And I'm actually going to turn this one off as well because you can see right here on the show floor that there is so little of that magenta hue that QD OLEDs tend to be known for, and you're not getting any of the goodness that QD OLED is known for. Like the one we just saw, we're looking at 1300 nits peak brightness, 300 typical for us, and HDR experience, and it's got the same RGB stripes.
I'm not even paying attention to this video.
Also, it's
Whatever.
surprisingly accessible.
I couldn't care, really.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for attending my PowerPoint presentation on how to accidentally win more games in Overwatch. Winning more matches doesn't require forcing yourself to hit impossible shots. Instead, you should let the game do the heavy lifting for you with smart settings and simple habits. These are the most effortless ways I could find to help you win more games in Overwatch almost by accident. One of the most powerful tactical cues in Overwatch was historically disabled by default, leaving players completely dead to friendly deaths. It makes absolutely no sense. You're trying to track a chaotic team fight, your focus is entirely locked on your crosshair, and you have no idea your backline is getting shredded. For years, players had to play completely blind to sudden deaths because this setting was buried in the menus. The game plays an emergency siren upon an ally's death, a vital cue that was historically turned off by default for many players. Some players considered enabling these cues a
Yeah, then there come the update recently, and that shit is enabled by default. And yeah, they have to browse for the fucking settings. It's so annoying. It's way too loud. Seriously. Cannot even adjust that, apparently.
complete revelation back when Overwatch 2 first launched when they were added. It makes perfect sense. If you don't hear that sound, you're operating on old information. You might think your Ana is still alive, but people feels, even though she's been on her way back from spawn for like 2 minutes now. Some people complain that having all these sirens blaring can get overwhelming when mixed with the game's other chaotic audio cues, but the tactical value is just too high to ignore. Recently, these were actually turned on by default, but you should check your sound options immediately. The queue won't tell you who died or how they died, but simply knowing your teammate is dead is enough to save your life. Without this, you can roll your valuable resources into a fight that was already lost 3 seconds ago. Now your ears are tuned to the battlefield, but make sure your eyes are tuned to the visual data possible. Beautiful graphics are an absolute trap in a competitive shooter. Intentionally tanking your resolution to maximize frame consistency wins more duels than any high-definition graphics preset ever will. Your game does not need to look like a cinematic masterpiece. High-resolution textures, detailed shadows, and heavy visual effects do nothing but drag down your performance and clutter your screen. When you're tracking a moving target, a simple frame starter means you miss your shot and lose the duel. Lowering any settings you have to achieve a consistent 100+ FPS is the absolute best thing you can do for your Overwatch experience. Trust me, I would know. For a long time, I played on a laptop with 45 FPS, and I don't know how I ever won any duel. Sacrificing a little bit of image sharpness to get perfectly smooth gameplay is a trade you should make every single time. It lowers your mental strain because your eyes don't have to process visual stutter and lag. If you're playing on a computer or a monitor that's struggling to render beautiful high-definition visual effects, you're giving yourself a massive disadvantage. Lowering these settings takes almost no work and will help you win games without you even realizing it. While maximizing frames keeps your game running smoothly, there's another type of background noise that will absolutely ruin your focus. Ask anyone who's played Overwatch for more than a day, and they'll tell you that your own teammates are often the biggest obstacle to your success. The absolute quickest and easiest way to lower your mental status is to completely block out the game's toxic text and voice. Teammates are often the biggest obstacle to your success. Absolutely ruin your focus. Ask anyone who's played Overwatch for more games keeps your game running smoothly. There's another type of background noise that will absolutely ruin your focus.
I only keep the textures on high because I try to put it on low. It looks way too ugly. But only textures are on high. Everything else on low. Yeah.
Ask anyone who's played Overwatch for more than a day, and they'll tell you that your own teammates are often the biggest obstacle to your success. The absolute quickest and easiest way to lower your mental status is to completely block out the game's toxic text and voice lobbies before they can kill you. You can instantly banish text toxicity with a quick shortcut or simple chat command. It's that simple. One quick input and a constant stream of blame, sarcasm, and soundboards will completely disappear. There's tons of ways to disable these options in the menu, which is a savior for your peace of mind. If you use the hijack command for the keyboard, you can completely mute these channels directly through your settings or quickly toggle them on and off while you're in game. Either way, it's a simple habit that keeps your mind clear. Another simple habit that's much better for your mental health than arguing with teammates is subscribing to the channel. Go ahead and hit that button. Clear. Another simple habit.
But if you're playing competitive, you gotta be aware of what's going on. I don't know, anyway.
Your settings or quickly toggle them on and off while you're in game. Either way, it's a simple habit that keeps your mind clear. Another simple habit that's much better for your mental health than arguing with teammates is subscribing to the channel. Go ahead and hit that button so you don't miss out on our next presentations. Thank you so much for watching and back to the video. If you have successfully silenced the toxic team chat, you still need a way to track who's actually winning the fight, and the kill feed is the best way to do that. It's a small text-based feed positioned in the upper right corner of your screen. It's turned on by default, though an option exists in the gameplay menu to remove it entirely. And I've played with friends who have had it removed. But first, make sure that you have it on because it's just a core fundamental piece of information that you need to play Overwatch well. However, just having it on is not enough. Actually looking at it is a different story. Consistently glancing at the top right corner of your screen is a simple habit that stops you from wasting game-winning resources on lost fights. Lots of people find it difficult to see during a chaotic fight, stating that it's just easy to miss in those situations. Actively checking it can temporarily divert your attention away from your crosshair placement as well, making you miss shots. But ignoring it completely is absolutely throwing. Tracking this feed is the most reliable method for gathering information in a game like Overwatch, and like 90% of FPS games have a kill feed. Learning to check the kill feed consistently is a habit that you should build that will wind up helping you in any game you play pretty much. It's the ultimate way to know if your team's already won or lost a fight, stopping you from throwing ultimate abilities into a 2v. Tracking the kill feed.
And I think, I don't know, I think since the Overwatch 2 came out, they added up, if most of the team is dead, someone who's still alive may say, yeah, we are outnumbered or some shit like that. So yeah, it's kind of, even if you're not paying attention to this, there's still that fucking, the voice from anybody who's still alive in the team may say that, just to back off, to
tells you when a teammate's down, but what if you could automatically highlight the exact culprit for your entire team? Some players would rather scream into an empty voice channel, desperate for their team to turn around and help them, but instead of screaming into an empty voice channel, you can passively coordinate team focus fire with a single button press that tracks targets automatically. The ping system is one of the greatest things to ever have been added to Overwatch. It's a separate menu from the standard communication wheel bound by default to G on a keyboard or D-pad left on a controller. Pressing this button once activates a contextual ping based on what you're aiming at. If you aim at an enemy, your hero verbally calls out your identity and location. Utility here is massive. You can ping a wide range of enemy deployables and abilities. We're talking about Diva self-destruct, wrecking balls, minefield, jumper queen's jagged blade, hazard's jagged wall, reaper shadow step, you can ping forward, deploy turret, makers venom mine, symmetra sentry turret, teleporter plus jump press, riptire, concussion mine, and steel trap. Honestly, it pretty much works on almost any other deployable utility or ultimate you can think of. On top of that, several heroes feature highly specific automatic contextual pings. Sombra pings, hack, hellhacks, and on pings select enemies, mercy pings, dead teammates, and deny pings distorted targets. You can ping high threat targets, especially supports, or ping immediately after death, which automatically reveals your location to your team. Teammates can reply your ping, which triggers an understood voice line and text chat confirmation. Mechanically, the system is more sensitive to enemy heroes than objects, and while you can change your enemy ping sensitivity in settings, you can't adjust the object ping sensitivity individually, so just keep that in mind. Okay, cool, so the ping system exists and it does all these cool things, but how does it actually accidentally win you more games? Well, I can almost guarantee that if you use the ping system a little more and paid a little more attention to your teammates' pings, you absolutely win more games. Overwatch at its core is a game about information, and having more information is almost always helpful. Overwatch maps are fundamentally built around elevation. Look at the level design, the stairs, the balconies, the platforms. Holding the high ground is a passive win condition because it provides universal safety from half the roster. If you're standing on low ground, you're constantly exposed to danger from every direction. You have no cover, and you're an easy target for any passing tank. Defaulting to high ground forces enemy heroes to waste at least one vital movement cooldown just to reach you and contest your position. This positioning tactic provides a great view of the objective and the surrounding area. It's a much safer position because a large amount of heroes lack the vertical mobility required to contest it. Because of this inherent safety, almost all heroes can benefit from holding the high ground. Instead of standing in the middle of the road, make it a habit to look for stairs. It's so easy. As soon as you come out of spawn, default to let me go to the high ground. I guarantee you that one simple change that you can make accidentally will win you more games. Speaking of holding safe territory, though, there's an even simpler rule of geometry that keeps you alive when the high ground isn't an option. The strongest, most reliable shield in Overwatch doesn't belong to Reinhardt, Sigma, or Winston. It has infinite health, it can't be broken by Bastion, and it costs absolutely zero team resources. It's the map itself. We've all seen players who stand in the middle of the street taking damage from 3 different angles and then cry because their supports didn't heal them through a wall of bullets. Treating every solid wall as a permanent unbreakable shield dramatically boosts your uptime without costing your team a single resource. Constantly using cover is critical because it directly helps players achieve fewer deaths and maintain higher uptime during engagements. If you're constantly stepping behind a wall to break line of sight, the enemy team has to wait for you to repeat. This simple positioning adjustment saves your team's resources and keeps you alive. You don't need amazing mechanics to stand behind a wall. You just need the discipline to stay close to it. Bugging physical map geometry is the most reliable defensive tool in the entire game, granting you zero resource cover that passively increases your survivability. If you regularly watch videos on how to improve at FPS games, I am certainly not the first, and I certainly won't be the last to tell you to pay attention to your crosshair placement. By positioning your crosshair at head height, you eliminate the need for crazy mechanical skill. The enemy walks around the corner and they literally place their own head directly into your crosshair. All you have to do is click. It's a passive way to dramatically increase your critical hit rate. I honestly can't think of a better way to accidentally get more headshots in Overwatch. Walking in straight lines is an active choice to get headshot by a sniper.
Though with Pharah, it's kind of strange because I kind of wanted to sort of aim in the ground because she doesn't have like. If you hit them in the head, it doesn't make a fucking difference. If you hit toward the ground, you can maybe get some impact instead of just letting the fucking rocket go through and hit nothing. Get some damage impacted from the ground, but you know, I guess for Pharah that doesn't apply much, but you know. Everybody else, I guess, pretty much aim at the fucking head level. As for Pharah, just try to hit the ground most of the time, or somewhere close to the ground. Maybe aim for the legs, makes more sense. The feet. Pride Mountain Street, guys. 2.1 mil. Funny how in Brazil there's a problem with organized criminal organizations, left and right, up and down, and here the police is kind of the organized crime itself. The criminal organization itself sometimes, not always, but in this case here in specific, what can you do about it? Besides cry on the internet for some justice.
Walking in straight lines is an active choice to get headshot by a sniper. Utilizing unpredictable movement pathways baits out important cooldowns with zero offensive risk. If you walk in a straight, predictable path, any decent player is going to delete you from the lobby. High mobility heroes rely on his ability to move in unpredictable ways to stay alive. A prime example is Doomfist. His kit is full of advanced movement techs that allow momentum conservation or stopping mid-air or jumping 3 times as far as you thought you would. Bracer is also a quintessential example of this. She can utilize blink and recall to alter her position and timing in ways that the enemy wouldn't normally expect. This is exactly what makes her so hard to kill. Ultimately, mastering doing anything but moving in a straight line enables you to confuse and distract opponents, baiting out important enemy cooldowns and drastically increasing your win rate. Doing anything you can to move more erratically, crouching or jumping at the right time can help you stay alive longer. However, if erratic movement still fails and you end up dying, the ultimate passive happens before you even step back onto the battlefield. Ask any seasoned player with the hardest skill to master Overwatch and they'll tell you it's the art of standing completely still in spawn. When you spawn, the natural urge is to suppress your movement keys and run back into the fight as fast as possible. If your team has already lost 3 players, you're simply running into a meat grinder. Exercising a brief patience in spawn is the ultimate low-effort habit that prevents trickle dying and guarantees your team attacks as a cohesive unit. If you're ever being held in spawn by the enemy, being patient and waiting for your teammates to respawn is a necessary step to getting out of the spawn hole. If you run out alone, you'll just die, and the cycle of trickle dying will continue forever. If you die, standing still in spawn, literally doing nothing for a few seconds is the best way to win more games of Overwatch. And I can't think of a better way to accidentally win more games than by doing nothing. Thanks for watching and subscribe.
Boom boom. Hey, what's the?
Thanks for watching and subscribe.
Okay, just an end card. Boom boom yacht club. What's this one? Oh, let me see. Okay, whatever. Hmm. What do you mean you're so poor? What do you mean you're poor? Oh fuck. No, man, god damn it. Oh.
Train was released at the end of 2024, sporting dark, wet, and rainy. Some sound effects similarly to ancient. This the new
Boom, 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 boom.
The Sony State of Play just wrapped up. It didn't go more than an hour. It was probably like 70 games, and it did show a number of different games here. Yeah, it was very third-party heavy, which is kind of Sony's thing for the most part, as they're like the default. So I guess they had default, so we had it now, especially with third-party games here. But I have a couple of those games here that I wanted to go over. And that's the thing, I immediate reaction to this. I picked out a couple of other games that really stuck out to me tomorrow. In Newswave, I'll go over everything that's announced here, one line summary on it. So make sure you check it out there. If you guys want to like, let's try to do. So right off the bat, and I kind of figured they might do this. They just immediately jumped into Wolverine, and they showed all gameplay of it. It seemed like a sort of a mission where Wolverine is going up by sea, being taken away by the military or something. So here you are as Wolverine, and he is just laying in everything. And that's the thing, people are a little concerned about how Insomniac would go about this. Will they have an M-rated Wolverine content? Well, they put those fears to rest with the initial show. But here they went even further. So I'm jumping immediately gameplay with the copy. You have to spell, but as soon as he's found, he's just ripping everyone to shreds. I mean, it's like first action, hack and slash, and there's blood. Because at one point he was covered in blood. And you know, I noticed as you were going through, they were playing through the games, of course, get shot up or punched or slashed or whatever. And like parts of the costume or bodies died before. And so as he was going through, I noticed his health bar was slowly ticking back up. And it makes sense, you know, the thing with Wolverine Logan is he has that regeneration ability, heavily accelerated regeneration. So it kind of makes sense that anytime you're not taking damage, you're just constantly healing back up. And it also like parts of them that were damaged were healing in real time. So I was more about that. That's actually really cool. That's like chunks of Wolverine flying off and also regenerating there. And as I was kind of expecting, there's gonna be a bunch of other characters from like X-Men universe here. As they show GA, and she had like psychic abilities that she was using. I think that's gonna work into Insomniac opening further into the Marvel universe. And at this point, kind of expecting a full-blown X-Men game from them. So I think that's actually pretty cool. As we just in this quick snippet of gameplay, you see the big senses, and Insomniac was coming nowhere after Spider-Man. So I watched for September 15th, they announced that pre-orders would be live. So with that, and a bunch of other reveals again, third parties, and also mentioned Marvel Comics characters. But we're gonna jump ahead to a theme in this half year where many games already trying to get out ahead of GTA 6. Also, somewhat trying to avoid like October we're seeing movie slide. And so it's just based on the fact that the end of September and that early part of October is now crowded with games. We don't even show Way of the Sword that was shown here with the release date of September. That originally got early and it seemed to line up with everything that's happening with the release schedule as we go through GTA 6. There's also a demo for it, and I'm excited to check that out soon here because I do like Onimusha games, and I think it's kind of cool to see the run that Hamas on right now, really leveraging that Ori engine. So I'm going to see what they have in store for us. But I think it's going to be a slightly different take on Onimusha. And so the day before that, Silent Hill Townfall is coming out, and they showed again first person kind of survival horror. They condemned in there, and he says the vibe I'm getting. That's September 20th. The same day though, Resonance is coming out, and then a week after all that's going down, Ace Combat 8 is releasing, and they even said it's going to come out with Ace Combat 0 War, and that was like a pre-order digital order. That's October 2nd, so we're just a run of type releasing there within like 8 days or so. Getting ahead of a lot of stuff. I'm sure that's probably getting slotted into October. I'm sure we'll find out more, say with Game Fest coming out, and most likely Direct of some kind next week. So it's getting crowded here really quick. So a couple of first party Sony games here that they were closed out. So Until Dawn 2, this is Firesprite. We heard that they were working on a horror game. There was a lot of speculation. They were going to do Until Dawn, and so the way they framed this, they explained it. They're showing it out on text, and it looked like a pretty typical like slasher film, and that's what Until Dawn is supposed to be. Same as the second one as well. But they put a little bit of twist on it where apparently this Ruben goes away, and they go to different spots that we look at as abandoned or spooky spots, scary spots, and they kind of make a lot of footage, and it seems like they sell it to different companies or different movies or documentaries, I guess, and try to force him out of the camera. But this time they went into an actual kill, and then from there it makes decisions that they show in real time. One character she like pushes him off the cliff with her, and he just ends up splatting onto a rock, and she falls in water. They say everyone can live, also everyone can die. So I guess your good ending one that you can do is your bad ending. 2027 on that one, and then the final closeout. Because I was kind of thinking this because it's obviously a Sony Santa Monica big time studio for Sony. I mean, if you look around there, God of War is there along with things like Gran Turismo. You can say now all players, you know, this like God of War has, especially with 2018 and Ragnarok, really cemented as a big time seller. So we heard about this story Parallel A game he was doing as Nate sort of put out there. We're not happy about that initial social media. They closed out with a 20-minute gameplay session, and of course they're working in like cinematic gameplay as we've seen with God of War, where they don't have like avatars or anything, so they just follow along with them. And so they showed the opening part of the game where Peggy burned her body, and we know from their God of War 2018 they're transformed. But here it shows her actually waking up in a way we find out is the afterlife of the gods, and the combat they show is just significant faster. I mean, this is pretty quick to get combat game. It's only 20 minute footage. A lot of stuff happens in those minutes, so it does seem like it's going to be very fast for that game just in general from point of view. But the gameplay, I mean, she jumped like you're gonna do a lot of God of War, but I mean, she has like a lot of air combos. It is indeed a more closer to like that. But it doesn't look that fast necessarily, but it also looks a lot faster. Right? And more actually had with Ragnarok, the last example. The visuals look really good. I think people tend to forget that God of War Ragnarok was also a PlayStation 4 game, so this is technically like the first real God of War game coming out of Sony Santa Monica. This specifically designed for the PlayStation 5, and also the visuals really show that as even watching it through with a compressed Twitch stream, it was still like top tier visuals. And you should also the gameplay with the sword that you get. It has like a ribbon that was talking since they were in the two, also running enemies knocking around. But it seems like the sword is going to play a pretty part in the story. And so as it's going through, it seems like the sword is able to push these enemies their souls out of their body and attack and send it back. So I'm kind of curious about how all that's going to work exactly in some of the combat here. But it seems like the whole thing's going to be Faye trying to find her way home back to Kratos. The game is called God of War Lafe, which is Faye's whole name. So no release timing on this. Now again, I heard about this game that Sony Santa Monica would be working within the God of War universe. I was a bit disappointed because I kind of wanted to see something else come out of Sony Santa Monica because it really it's a God of War. So that was I looked at okay, it's something else with God of War. You know, it's a franchise for Sony. You know, seeing something like okay, it's still God of War, but it's not. Oh yeah, here's Kratos and stuff. Yeah, I'm curious how this is playing the story because she doesn't need to go back. I guess it's working after Ragnarok, and so yeah, I'm intrigued. Even more so than if this happened before God of War 2018, which is a ton of speculation was going around these. So I'm on board. I think the game was awesome, and I'm looking forward to it when it doesn't release. I think in 2027. So that Intergalactic and maybe a couple other games thrown in there, so they have their one game per quarter or something. I'd like to think they're trying to go out this generation. But overall, looking up and down the list of different titles, again, very third-party heavy horse for Sony. But the ones of the first-party games they had were certainly bright spots in this presentation here. And all I'm looking at now is man, that end of September, first half October time period, it's going to get crowded. There's going to be a lot of stuff play, and it's going to be interesting towards the Grand Theft 6 reveal and with gameplay and the next trailer. It's going to be something. So I know just about this presentation down below. I'm kind of in like the C+E territory. I think I would like to see one other big surprise from Sony. Even if it was more nostalgia, like hey, we are doing an Escape, or we are doing a Sly Cooper, or infamous stuff going around. We are remastering something else to kind of bolster that lineup. Because otherwise, it's like okay, Until Dawn 2, God of War, and then Wolverine, and then Mortal Kombat X is doing that. Like the C+E territory. But I know you guys have a presentation now. Thanks for watching.
So it was okay. Yo, dear, it was okay.
New York just posted a bill recently that, in my opinion, is not just a threat to manufacturing in the United States, it's also a threat to the concept of open source software existing as well. It actually helps move us in the opposite direction of what I want on this channel, which is where the devices and the things that we rely on every day don't have to connect to the internet or work. This would essentially do the exact opposite. It's taking me a while to do this video because many things have to be explained, and each section is going to build on the previous section. It's very difficult to figure out what order do I put everything so I don't lose people along the way. So let's talk about this law that was proposed in New York State. Again, this did not go through the standard legislative process. This was passed via a budget initiative that would not be debated on the floor. Keeping New York separate, also signs legislation, strengthening public safety, making our streets and subways safer. This is going to crack down on stereotypes, legally free pistol guns, doing yourself machine guns, which probably makes sense, right? Don't randomly make guns and go around killing people. Right? Now I'm going to try to drill down to the specifics of why this is one of the worst laws there is. Let's read the definition. Three-dimensional printers. No person, firm, partnership, association, or corporation shall sell or deliver any three-dimensional printer in state of New York unless the printer is equipped with blocking technology. As using this section, three-dimensional printer, block technology will have the meaning of. Scroll that. Three-dimensional printer means any machine capable of rendering a three-dimensional object from digital design file using additive manufacturing, or any machine capable of making three-dimensional object from digital design file using subtractive manufacturing. Well, what does that apply to? Are we talking about a build that deals with 3D printers, or are we talking about manufacturing as a whole? See, one of the things that is very important to understand here, and why I'm not going to be getting into the discussion or the debate about gun control in this video, is that talking about gun control while having this conversation is, in my opinion, accepting the premise of assholes. And I'm not saying the people who are for or against gun control are assholes. I'm saying that this is not a gun control bill. This is a manufacturing control bill. So the moment that you start arguing back and forth on whether gun control is good or bad, whether this is a good form of gun control, you are now having the wrong argument. You have essentially conceded that to your adversary that this is a gun control bill when it is not. This is a manufacturing control bill. Let's talk about everything that we consider covered under their definition of the law. We're not just talking about your standard Doodle Labs 3D printer that has a burning thermistor for 3 or 6 months and you can buy on Amazon for $300. We're not talking about that. We're talking about resin printers like what we find in dentistry and jewelry, industrial metal printers like what we see in automotive and aerospace, bioprinters, commercial food printers, printers, large-scale concrete construction printers, CNC lathes, CNC mills and routers, laser cutters and engravers, CNC plasma and water jet cutters, That's a fuck ton more than just a Bambu Labs 3D printer. Now, what is blocking technology? Hardware, software, firmware, or other integrated technological measures capable of ensuring a three-dimensional printer will not proceed to print any print job unless the underlying three-dimensional printing file has been evaluated by a firearms blueprint detection algorithm and determined to not be printing a file that will produce a firearm or illegal firearm parts. Firearms blueprint detection algorithm means a software service that evaluates three-dimensional printing files, whether in the form of stereolithography files or other computer design files or geometric code, to determine if they can be used to program a three-dimensional printer to produce a firearm or other illegal firearm parts, and flag any such files to prevent their use for manufacture said firearm or firearm parts. AKA spyware, something has to run on the printer that can see what it is you're doing with the printer. Now, if we're talking about checking this against the database, databases are always updated, which means that now in order for your printer to print, you have a printer that's connected to the internet. We're not just talking about 3D printer. We're talking about resin printers, common industry, jewelry, industrial metal printers, common in automotive, aerospace, bioprinters, everything else that I just explained. Every single part of our manufacturing base is now going to have spyware that connects to the internet that can stop it from printing if the spyware thinks that you want to print a gun. Keyword thinks. Why is this so difficult? This is difficult because a 3D printed gun has never killed anyone, at least to my knowledge. Now, I know what you're thinking right here. I know you're probably going to stop the video. Lewis, no, the healthcare CEO Diane Thompson was killed by a 3D printer. No, he was not. He was killed by a gun that included 3D printed components. And I know that seems like an actually, but it is not. That is not how this works. You are not buying a $300 Doodle Labs 3D printer, downloading a file, hitting Control P, and getting a gun. That's not how it works. You need an understanding of what 3D printing can and cannot make. I'm not a firearms enthusiast or a 3D printing enthusiast, so I was ignorant. Like many people who may be watching this video who think you just download a file, you hit Control P, and then your 3D printer magically just comes out with a gun that you can shoot people with. And that's not the way it works at all. These guns are going to require metal parts in order to work properly, and I've gone over and taken pictures of a bunch of these parts and put them on this wiki article on my user space page. You can see down below. An AR-15 upper receiver, which houses the bolt and carrier group, a bolt carrier, a barrel, an action spring. There's a bunch of different parts. And if we're talking about Luigi Mangione's allegedly gun that was used to kill Brian Thompson, one important thing to understand is that if you want to build that gun, you are not just going to hit Control P on a 3D printer and be able to get. This is a journalist that tried to put together a 3D printed gun, and what he found, and what I'm going to show you, is that this is not as simple as, oh look, I'm just going to hit Control P on the gun.
We ordered everything we needed. A 3D printer, 3D elements, and household products. Epoxy were all just a few clicks away on sites like Lowe's or Amazon. And the more specialized components were available on sites that sell gun parts, just not the gun.
All of these parts that you're looking at over here, these are all parts that they're purchasing from sites that sell gun parts. You are not 3D printing a gun. You are 3D printing individual pieces for a gun. The pressure-bearing parts were ordered as finished metal components. The slide in the barrel sitting on the table in front of us, the very gun-like components that actually hold the round and contain the explosive forces that propel a bullet. All of these pieces are pieces that are bought separate. Why is that important? Well, we're not printing a gun, we're printing parts to a gun, and this needs to detect the parts of the gun. Let's take a look what these parts look like. On the left is a suppressor, the part that makes the gun make less noise. On the right is a Tesla valve, designed as a one-way fluid conduit. You notice anything about the appearance of these two items? This is a piece on a Glock pistol. This is a camera flash and accessory shoe that used to attach a flash to a camera. On the left is a suppressor, otherwise known as a silencer in the movies. On the right is a flashlight. On the left is a stripped AR-15 lower receiver. On the right is a 3D printed case to a Raspberry Pi computer. On the left is a pistol grip. On the right is a cordless strip. On the left is a Glock 17 pistol. On the right is a barcode scanner. The closest thing on the right gets to killing me is when they use this HEB to scan my groceries post to run more. In all seriousness, we're not talking about 3D printing a gun. We're talking about 3D printing the individual parts of the gun. Now, I could go on forever here if I wanted to, and I'm sure that you guys in the audience will continue to edit this article with as many silly and ridiculous examples as you want. When you ask an AI a question and it gets something wrong, when YouTube puts a copyright claim on something that should not have a copyright claim on it, that is because of random algorithms trying to detect shit. Can you imagine if our entire manufacturing capacity as a country were to go into the shitter because the spyware inside of the printer thought that I was trying to make a part to a gun because I was printing a cylinder or a grip or a camera flash mount? This is bad. The law references STL files. An STL file is only a list of coordinates for the triangles that tile an object surface. Moving a single vertex by 1,000th of a millimeter or remeshing the surface so it carries one through a triangle is going to rewrite the file and change its fingerprint, while leaving the printed object identical to the hand and to a set of calipers. A library of fingerprints, the form that the statute directed the store scans of these firearms most often takes, matches only the files that it is already recorded. By feature matching against a template is harder to evade than a raw fingerprint, but it reduces to measuring a shape against the reference, which returns us to our central problem. The reference shapes are shared with the 9 parts. Because file fingerprinting is brittle, a scanner can instead read the G code the slicer produces. G code is not a model, it's a list of the motor moves that it's going to make. The toolpath of the printhead follows layer by layer. But the same receiver yields different G code when it's rotated on the build plate. So let's say I am trying to print this. Let's say instead of print this, I'm printing this. You get what I'm going here, right? Like the G code is not going to help you very much here because I could just take the item out of the 3D printer instead of printing like this. It prints like this. Like this is all silly. But let's say all that stuff works just fine. Let's say that none of these are actual issues. Restricted geometry is a set of voids and features assembled into one shape, and a constructive solid geometry lets a builder take it apart. An AR-15 lower can be divided into the magazine well, the fire control pocket, and the buffer and grip mount. Each saved as its own file, printed on separate days and then bolted or solved and welded together. Each file on its own is a plain box or block that no per file scan recognizes as part of the firearm. To catch this, a scanner would have to track a user's whole print history and predict how separate shapes assemble in the physical world, which the per file check statute describes not to. Easy way to fix that, right? Instead of just checking what you're printing against the database, what if we just track your behavior while you're using the printer? You see the problem. Well, in order to do that, we can't just check against the local database. We would have to have everything connected to the internet and also track a database of everything you print on a regular basis, even if it's not a firearm. This is not gun control. It has nothing to do with gun control. It's manufacturing control, and that's what it should be called. Let's say that all this tracking shit worked, right? Let's hypothetically say in some fantasy land that you're not dealing with a clanker that hallucinates, that gets it wrong like this, or any millions of examples I'm sure you've experienced when dealing with AI. Let's say that you're dealing with an algorithm that actually works. This still is not possible. It makes absolutely no sense. The 3D printing world is based on open source tools and open source software. The slicer, the thing that takes the picture on your screen and then turns it into something the 3D printer can actually make. All this is based on open source software. Open source software means that the source code is available for you to see, and then you can modify it and change it as you wish. So all of the stuff that this is all built upon is based on software that anybody can look at. So if you were to write a restriction into this software, you could just edit it out immediately. I'll give you an example of open source software here. I have a terminal. I love my terminal. There are many like it, but this one is mine. This is my terminal. I use XFCE terminal. Now the XFCE terminal has its source code online, and one of the features that I wanted on mine is I wanted the ability to rename things. So I can actually go over here and say, and I can rename my terminal tabs over here. Each of these tabs can be named. This is not a feature or functionality that was included with the program, but I'm able to add that because the publishers of this software make it available publicly. I'm allowed to modify and redistribute the software however I want. And I did. I added a feature to the software that allows me to rename the tabs in my terminal. One of the rules of this is that if I make any modifications to software that's licensed like this, I then have to make them available to all of you. So if any of these 3D printer companies decide to put restrictions in there or spyware that says you're not printing unless it matches this database, I as the end user could simply edit that right out of the source code immediately, and then just go back to having a 3D printer that doesn't have any of this bullshit. How do you solve that problem? You just stop enforcing open source licenses altogether, which is essentially the death of open source. You already have 3D printers that are going in this direction. Cruelty is going in this direction. They're violating the GPL. Doodoo Studio is violating the GPL. Many 3D printing companies right now are not releasing the full source code for their software, even though their software is based on open source software. And that's a problem. If any of these companies were to actually close down their software in that way and not release the full code to the public that allows you to just remove any of those restrictions, they would get in trouble legally. And this has actually happened. As I write in the wiki, the source disclosure rule has been enforced against printer makers by Nate. In August 2018, after Cruelty shipped its CR10 line with the GPL v3 firmware, Marlin, and did not release the corresponding source, the US distributor Printed Solid publicly stopped selling Cruelty machines over the violation. The fights continued with sites on compiled binary models shipped inside GPL v3 clipper environment and so on and so forth. Now the problem that exists right now with open source software is that if somebody hits you, you can call 911. If somebody steals from you, you call 911. If somebody releases a fork of open source software but doesn't provide you with the source of the binary blobs, that's like, what do you do? Call 911, 611, 311. There's nobody you call for that. You call your own lawyer and you pay $1,200 an hour and you wait 3 to 6 years in court to get any result. That sucks. Our legal system is already like carrying a boulder up a hill by yourself to get any sort of violations of open source licenses prosecuted and have the companies held accountable. Now, if you're saying that there needs to be proprietary tracking code inside of this that users can't get around, you're essentially incentivizing every 3D printer manufacturer to break these laws that are already not being enforced very well because there are other laws that suggest they do that. Or what they could do is they could just rebuild the entire stack from scratch, which most of them are not going to do. They're going to pull out of those markets. Bambu is not going to recreate this stuff from scratch. Prusa and Cruelty, they're not going to create their own slicers from scratch, not using any GPL license code whatsoever. You're talking about having to rebuild software that has been worked on for 5 or 10 years from scratch and make something that's better immediately, just so that you could sell in one state. That's not realistic. But let's say it was. You have now killed the open source ecosystem for 3D printers. And one of the great things about having open source software is that manufacturers can't make it shitty. When I talk about a thermostat that becomes a subscription or an exercise bike that you can't use other apps on anymore because manufacturers have a firmware update, it's only possible because the source code is closed source. If it was open source, you wouldn't be allowed to do that. Just like I edited my terminal software so that I'm allowed to rename my tabs. Open source software locks a company out of the ability to make it shittier because any program that can see the source code can just remove the parts that they've made shittier over time. You are now encouraging the ecosystem to move in this closed source direction, which means more instrumentation, more subscriptions, more limitations added on over time. More, oh, I see you printed 10 items today. If you want to go over your item quota of 10, you need to pay me 99 cents a month. But that wasn't in the original terms. Well, it is now. That's what happens when you have closed source firmware and you require the device to connect to the internet. You are taking an inherently open ecosystem and you are not only encouraging it to be enshrittified, you are legally mandating that it become enshrittified. And you're giving every single manufacturer the pretense to do so. We have to do that because of safety and security and to comply with this law. We don't want to lock down our platform. We don't want to break AGPL licensing. Forget about 3D printing and enshrittification for a moment. You are codifying enshrittification into the fucking law. The entire thing that I focus on this channel is not 3D printing, it's not guns. It's when you buy something, you own it. It is yours. If I want to use this Silicon Dust HD home run tuner that I bought 20 fucking years ago so that I could record full HD copies of 24 because I did not want to watch Jack Bauer till 2040. I look like a peasant on my 720p and 9 megabits per second MPEG box. If I want to use this thing, I can still use this without connecting it to the internet. To this day, it will still work. That's the way the device is supposed to be. That's what I advocate for here on this channel every single day. Less digital locks, less digital restrictions. Because when a company says that you need to connect to the internet in order to use your device, that company owns the device, not you. New York State is codifying into the law that you don't own what you bought and paid for. The manufacturer will always have a hand in your device, and they've given them a pretense to be able to say, we didn't want to do this to make things shittier, we just want to do it to make things safer because we have to. And if you think that they're going to change the way they do things just for that market, fuck no. Many of these companies that have open source stuff, they want to close down their ecosystem. Bamboo wants to close down their ecosystem. Cruelty wants to close down their ecosystem. These companies can't wait to enshittify and make things more proprietary, and they want to do that in many more markets than New York. If they do that in one market, it's just like right to repair. I always talk about this as right to repair. You're not going to get to a point where you can have a schematic in Dallas, but you're not going to have a schematic in Austin. That's not how any of this stuff works in the modern age. And the same is true here. You're not going to have an enshittified printer in New York. Many of these companies are going to use that as a pretext to sell enshittified printers everywhere. I'm sorry, Ms. Hochul. I know that we're not complying with AGPL and GPL licenses, but we did it to follow your law. Can you tell that prosecutor to give us a break? Can you tell that judge to leave us alone? You're destroying the concept of open source software, and above all, you're putting spyware inside your entire fucking manufacturing chain. This is a major cell phone, and these bills are getting pushed around the country. Now, I know what you're thinking. I'm just telling you how bad it is. What can you do to push back against it? That's an excellent fucking question, and I put that on the Consumer Rights Wiki, and I have it all here for anybody who's actually interested. The whole mandate hinges on one factual question the statute holds to a working group, but the geometry scanning can be made to work. One infeasibility finding under Executive Law Section 837 AA stops the rulemaking, and the printer sales requirement never takes effect. The highest leverage thing you can do is put solid technical evidence that scanning cannot work in front of that working group, and I give you all of the details of exactly how to do that over here. I give you links to click. I try to make it as easy as humanly possible. For the love of God, please do me a favor and read them, and don't email me asking how to do it. I get like 3 to 6 emails a day, man. I need you guys to figure this stuff out. If you want to live in a society where every single piece of manufacturing hardware does not have spyware built into it, if you want to live in a society where companies are not having their arm twisted to go close source with everything, if you want any freedom of what you want to pay for, help out. I would do this. I don't live in New York anymore. Something tells me after the video series I've done, and they don't really give a fuck about my opinion one way or the other. But if you do live in New York, it would be great if you could reach out to your legislators. This has to be. If it doesn't, then we really are going to be living in a world where I want to 3D print a camera flash and my printer connects to the internet. The clanker inside of it says, "I'm sorry, I think that is a gun." But the same reason that Gemini says, "I'm sorry, you told me to do something. I did not actually do any of it. I just like fuck." That's it for today. As always, I hope you learned something. See you in the next video. Você sabia que muitos infartos e alguns derrames não acontecem porque a matéria foi fechando devagarzinho, ano após ano, até que de verdade.
Are you like in Taiwan? What? China? What? What? Is that? It's just a Praça da Liberdade or something, I don't know.
Muitas vezes o desastre acontece antes, muito antes que a imagina, porque o perigo nem sempre está naquela placa gigante, muitas vezes está naquela placa pequena, menor que 50%. Porque ninguém imagina que existe porque não causa nenhum sintoma. Até que um dia, do nada, acontece um problema gigante. E aí a pergunta é inevitável. Dá pra falar uma coisa, a Chinese flag. Oriental, muitos estudiosos consideram um verdadeiro detergente natural no sangue. Isso aqui é maquinado. Afinal, quando você fica mais viscoso, grotesco, o risco dessas pequenas placas se romperem e formarem
I don't know,
corre esse risco. E como proteger suas artérias? Fica comigo, vou te mostrar o poder real dessa dupla no seu corpo, o jeito certo de consumir e os cuidados que você precisa tomar antes de começar. E preste muita atenção, além de entender o papel das substâncias naturais. Fica comigo até o final do vídeo, porque eu vou te revelar uma verdadeira revolução na medicina preventiva saída agora em 2006. É um estudo sobre como evitar o primeiro infarto que chocou a comunidade médica ao mostrar uma nova arma capaz de reduzir drasticamente o primeiro infarto, o AVC, especialmente pacientes diabéticos. Você precisa conhecer esse avanço para proteger o seu futuro. Mas, vai para o vídeo. E me conta, você já teve um infarto, um derrame, ou tem medo de sofrer um? E para não sério, pois a aterosclerose, que é acúmulo de gordura, causa nos vasos sanguíneos, não surge da noite pro dia. Ela se desenvolve aos poucos, inflamando a parede das artérias e fazendo com que o colesterol se deposite ali. Mas como é que uma placa pequena causa um ataque cardíaco fulminante nessa placa de gordura, como se ela estivesse revestida por uma película muito fina, parecida com aquele plástico, filme de cozinha? Se você vive inflamado, estressado ou dormindo mal, essa parede pode sofrer uma microfissura, plástico rápido. Como é que o sangue se comporta quando uma artéria sofre uma lesão? A partir desse momento, tudo acontece muito rápido. O corpo acha que você está sofrendo uma hemorragia interna e ativa o sistema de emergência. É aí que entram as plaquetas, elas chegam para ajudar. Esse é o trabalho. Só que naquele lugar a ajuda virou problema. As artérias do coração, as coronárias, são como canos. As plaquetas começam a se agrupar, o coágulo cresce, e de repente o sangue não consegue mais passar. O fluxo é interrompido em minutos. É um infarto se for no coração ou derrame se for no cérebro. Para o cano não fechar, o corpo precisaria de duas defesas: controlar esse agrupamento de plaquetas e, se o coágulo se formar, tem algo para dissolver. Pequena diferença, grande. E aqui que a história fica interessante. Para entender isso, a gente precisa fazer uma viagem ao tempo e se conectar à China, que eu tô aqui, Japão. Durante séculos, os médicos orientais perceberam que certas populações tradicionais pareciam muito mais protegidas contra o que eles chamavam de sangue parado. Enquanto nós olhávamos para medicamentos, para remédios, eles olhavam para a terra. No Japão antigo, os guerreiros consumiam diariamente um alimento tradicional chamado natto, uma soja fermentada com uma bactéria específica. Eu particularmente não gosto de natto, eu gosto muito de comida oriental, mas natto, infelizmente, eu não gosto. Eles associavam natto a uma circulação mais vigorosa. Durante muito tempo, isso era apenas uma tradição de samurais, uma observação passada de geração em geração. Até que a ciência resolveu investigar, porque ela encontrou foi surpreender. Eles isolaram o grande segredo do natto, uma enzima purificada chamada nattokinase. Só que o tratamento ganha outra proporção quando você cruza a fronteira do Japão e entra aqui na China, através das montanhas de Yunnan. Lá nasce uma das raízes mais valorizadas da história asiática. Os médicos da dinastia Ming guardavam isso a 7 relatos da época, diziam que ela valia seu peso em ouro. O nome dela Sanki, também chamada de ginseng, nocto ginseng. E o curioso, o nome da planta já esconde um segredo. Sanki significa literalmente 37. Os antigos deram esse nome porque ela levava entre 3 a 7 anos crescendo debaixo da terra, absorvendo os minerais da montanha antes de ser colhida. Não confunda com o ginseng coreano tradicional, aquele que é estimulante, acelera o coração, que pode subir o seu peso. O Sanki é totalmente diferente. O foco dele é a dinâmica do sangue. Os chineses usavam o chá das raízes para tratar estase. O sangue pesado, lembra, propenso de estagnar. Eles observavam os resultados, mas ninguém conseguia explicar exatamente o que estava acontecendo dentro do corpo. Essa resposta começou a aparecer séculos depois. E aí veio a surpresa. Quando os pesquisadores colocaram Sanki e a nattokinase no microscópio, viram que as duas atuavam em pontos diferentes daquele processo de coagulação. Lembra do coágulo que fechava a artéria? Para aquela artéria subir, o corpo usa basicamente as plaquetas e a fibrina. Quando os cientistas analisaram a raiz do Sanki, em detalhe, uma coisa chamou atenção. Ela é rica em substâncias chamadas notoginsenosídeos. Em laboratório, eles agem regulando a ativação das plaquetas, impedindo que elas grudem intensamente umas nas outras. Ou seja, isso aqui ajuda a evitar que os tijolos da parede se unam em excesso. E a nattokinase, entra logo em seguida como uma marreta. Ela tem uma ação fibrinolítica direta. A função dela é identificar a fibrina, que é o cimento que amarra o coágulo e ajuda a quebrar essa fibrina. A sinergia, uma evita que as plaquetas colhem, a outra ajuda o corpo a digerir o cimento se o coágulo tentar se formar. É um suporte de proteção para manter o sangue fluido correndo. Eu sei que você está pensando agora, mas doutor, você faz o exercício. E como bem, isso não me protege, claro, protege, mas não zero o seu risco. Olha o caso desse paciente, 55 anos, ele praticava atividade física, cuidava da alimentação, achava que estava impecável, ele fazia teste com o seu cardiologista todo ano e sempre dava normal. Só que o pai dele tinha tido infarto jovem. Por causa desse histórico familiar, quando ele veio no meu consultório, eu decidi ir além do básico. Pedimos uma angiotomografia coronária. O resultado foi um choque para ele. E para ser sincero, é exatamente esse tipo de caso que me faz insistir tanto em prevenção. Ele tinha placas moles em várias artérias e inflamadas, obstruindo cerca de 40% de uma das principais artérias do coração. Muita gente olha para um número desses e pensa, falta mais da metade para entupir. Mas não é assim que a cardiologia funciona. Placas desse tipo podem ser justamente as que racham e causam um infarto fulminante. Ele ficou arrasado. Sentiu que o esforço da vida saudável tinha sido em vão. Não foi, viu? Ele poderia já ter ido embora. Mas ali foi o ponto de virada. Nós ajustamos a medicação de base protetora, colocamos tudo, refinamos o estilo de vida como estratégia complementar. E ele começou a usar nattokinase. E tinha visto em um vídeo da internet. E o Sanki ele comprava quando viajava para São Paulo. Um ano depois, nos exames de controle, a estabilização das placas foi nítida, a inflamação despencou, reduziu placa nas carótidas. Claro, foi o conjunto da obra. Tenho certeza que não foi só a nattokinase ou o Sanki, foi tudo, mas o mais importante foi que o risco foi controlado contra a genética. Você precisa jogar com as armas certas, com todas as armas que a gente tem disponível. Essa combinação de prevenção agressiva provavelmente mudou o destino dele. Para quem quiser encontrar ambas as substâncias estão disponíveis no Brasil. O Sanki geralmente é feito em pó ou em cápsulas. Também tem farmácias de manipulação especializadas em medicina tradicional chinesa. A dose usual da literatura varia entre 1 a 3 gramas do dia com água morna. A nattokinase é vendida
como suplemento. A dosagem padrão, na maioria dos estudos, é de 2.000 FU por dia. Agora, eu preciso que você preste muita atenção, porque essa pode ser a informação mais importante do vídeo de hoje. Remédio natural também exige responsabilidade. Como médico, eu preciso te dar um alerta mais sério. Por ser uma combinação que mexe com a coagulação, existem limites que você precisa respeitar. Se você já usa remédios controlados por sangue, aspirina, AS, clopidogrel ou anticoagulantes como warfarina, xarelto, liquis, você não pode tomar sangue ou naproxenase por conta própria. A combinação pode potencializar o efeito dos dois remédios e causar sangramento graves. Ou você vai fazer uma cirurgia, um procedimento dentário. Suspenda o uso pelo menos 2 semanas antes. Gestantes, lactantes, pessoas com distúrbios de coagulação, se já foram conhecidos, devem evitar. Respeita a fisiologia do seu corpo. Agora, eu sei que tem muita gente que torce o nariz quando o assunto é suplemento natural, ou que acha que a medicina de ponta só acredita em remédio de farmácia. Mas a verdade é que o bom médico busca o que funciona, unindo a segurança da natureza com a força da ciência. E se você prefere que a mais moderna tecnológica da medicina tradicional, deixa eu te contar uma coisa. Uma das maiores revoluções recentes da cardiologia. Historicamente, nós cardiologistas sempre guardamos os tratamentos mais potentes para o colesterol, que remédios injetáveis, apenas para quem já tinha infartado, sofrido um AVC, ou para casos extremamente graves. A gente esperava o cano entupir para depois agir. Só que um estudo gigantesco publicado no New England esse ano, 2026, o Vesário CV, mudou completamente esse paradigma. Eles testaram o Evolucumab, o Repata, uma medicação injetável que bloqueia a PCSK9 e derruba o colesterol ruim em cerca de 60%. Acompanharam mais de 12 mil pacientes. E quando os resultados começaram a aparecer, a comunidade médica prestou atenção, porque eles eram difíceis de ignorar. A medicação reduziu drasticamente o risco do primeiro infarto e do primeiro AVC. Mas o que realmente foi diferente foi a análise de um subgrupo. Eles pegaram pacientes diabéticos de alto risco, que ainda não tinham nenhuma placa conhecida nas artérias. Eles não tinham feito exame específico nesse grupo. A medicação reduziu o risco de infartos e AVCs da primeira vez em impressionantes 31%. A mortalidade geral caiu de 10,1% para 7,8%. Sabe o que isso significa? Estamos começando a sair da medicina que espera o problema acontecer e caminhando para uma medicina que tenta impedir que aconteça. É a prevenção primária máxima. Uma notícia fantástica para proteger o seu futuro. E perceba como as coisas se conectam. No fundo, a ciência mais avançada do Ocidente, em 2026, está correndo atrás do mesmo objetivo que os médicos orientais já buscavam séculos atrás. Proteger a artéria antes do cano entupir. Seja afinando o sangue com a sinergia milenar da naproxenase ou limpando o colesterol com engenharia genética dos injetáveis mais modernos. O segredo da longevidade é o mesmo. A prevenção agressiva. O perigo, como você viu, é silencioso. Mas a proteção começa hoje e não precisa ser silenciosa. Espero que você tenha gostado do vídeo. Agora, se você quer descobrir como fazer na prática um teste gratuito na sua casa, para ver se você tem um entupimento mais sério, clique nesse vídeo que está aparecendo na tela. Te espero lá, o passo a passo completo do índice tornozelo braquial. Meu nome é André Vanderbilt, cardiologista. Esse é o cardiodf.com.br. Lembre-se de se inscrever. Até o próximo vídeo. Muito obrigado.
Monster. Oh hell. Oh fucking hell.
A comunidade do Lux Maxim com certeza modificou a mente dos jovens. E não dá pra culpar pra uma pessoa que foi a vida inteira ignorada. Ver um vídeo de um supermodelo rodeado de mulheres que nunca te olhariam é uma experiência canônica na vida do jovem. E hoje eu quero mostrar um pouco dessa comunidade. Um produto que talvez seja consequência da dolorosa Black Hill hipergamia competitiva dos tempos modernos. E o nome desse protótipo é Fernando Moga. Eu estou realizando minhas pesquisas laboratoriais para decidir se o Fernando é algum tipo de personagem ironizando essa comunidade, ou é uma própria vítima dela. O fato é que seus vídeos explodiram muito recentemente, e toda essa aura misteriosa em volta deles só revela mais que talvez nunca descobriremos quem realmente é o Fernando Moga. Mas uma coisa que a gente já descobriu é essa obsessão. Aparentemente, a trajetória do nosso herói na internet começou com uma postagem dele honrando o seu nickname e mogando pessoas nessa espécie de comigo. Legal que chega um momento que a música do Lux para e resta só o silêncio perturbador de mais de 2 minutos de vídeo. Os comentários desse primeiro vídeo dele logo começaram a teorizar. Alguns perguntam o que aconteceu. Enquanto ganham os fãs, Fernando também ganha vários haters, o que é absolutamente normal. Logo acima vemos uma foto de seu glow up, mas o que mais intriga é a legenda que diz: quando seu glow up é tão insano que quase custou sua própria vida. A partir daí, seu público ficou bem intrigado, com pessoas acreditando que Fernando teria feito o tal do Bonus Maxing, que basicamente se baseia na ideia de pegar um martelo e bater no próprio rosto para que ele se desenvolva mais forte, apesar de ser argumentado como falsa. Outras pessoas apenas disseram que é filtro e postam supostas fotos dele sem. Pra você ter uma ideia, tinha pessoas tentando fazer leitura labial nos seus lábios pra ver o que ele falava em determinada parte desse primeiro vídeo, porém não demorou muito até ele mesmo postar um vídeo falando com a câmera.
E aí, pessoal, meu nome é Fernando, e logo explicado. Eu já disse que eu fiquei realmente a modificar a minha aparência de passado. Sabe você no pessoa que eu uso isso?
What the fuck? It also like a filter. Like a camera filter.
Lembrando que não quer fazer piada ou zoar a aparência dele. O objetivo desse vídeo é entender o que se passa na cabeça de Fernando Moga, e para isso devemos olhar em suas respostas de comentários. Uma pessoa lhe comentou por que ele fica fazendo esse bico na SBC, e ele responde: HTN faz o que HTN quiser. Caso eu demorei pra descrever das coisas aqui. Os cidadãos comuns parece lá tinham um código de lançamento nuclear, mas na verdade é o sistema de castas e a tabela periódica do Lux Maxing. Eles criaram uma escala decimal científica para medir o nível de atividade do ser humano, dividido em termos que parecem ter saído um RPG estético. Primeiro você tem a base da pirâmide, o low tire norm, ou simplesmente LT. Próximo gira é o comum de nível baixo, é aquele cara nota 4 ou 5 que não é horroroso, mas é o ápice da invisibilidade social. E é o figurante que o algoritmo da real decide ignorar aquele cara de canto. Aí você sobe um degrau e chega no NT, seria o mid tire norm, nota 5,5 equilibrado. Mas esse algo intitula algo acima. Eles têm um HTN, ou seja, um high tier norm, um comum de nível alto, digamos assim, famoso nota 6 a 6,5. Um cara aqui com uma boa iluminação, um corte de cabelo caro e a mandíbula tensionada no limite, consegue se destacar da massa. E no topo de tudo, onde o oxigênio é rarefeito, estão chats e assistências genéticos nota 7 pra cima que simplesmente mogam o resto da humanidade sem fazer o menor esforço. Mas digamos que Fernando ele é um cara ambicioso. Ele sonha com algo bem maior que isso. Ele não quer ser Shed. Segundo ele mesmo, seu objetivo é ascender para um True Adam. E se você achava que as outras siglas eram bizarras, o conceito de True Adam é onde o Lux Maxing atinge um nível mitológico. A subcultura mais profunda da estética, um True Adam, um Adão verdadeiro, não é apenas um cara bonito, ele é a representação viva da perfeição genética ancestral. O próprio Adão do Deus. Oi, pessoal, tem um pedreiro aqui mogando meu áudio. Para as mulheres, em vez de True Ada, seria True Evil, verdadeira Eva. É o topo, a nota 9 ou 10 na escala. Estamos falando daquela estrutura óssea facial tão perfeitamente simétrica e daqueles olhos com Hunter Eyes tão afiados e de uma proporção áurea tão bizarra que o cara nem parece real. Parece uma estátua de mármore esculpida no renascimento com um modelo de passarela de alta costura europeia que nunca sorri. Basicamente, o True Ada é o topo da cadeia alimentar da hipergamia. Ele não precisa se esforçar, não precisa tensionar a mandíbula, não precisa postar vídeo com música estourada do TikTok. A mera existência dele deforma a realidade ao redor e faz qualquer shed vai ser um low tire norm humilhado. Então, quando o Fernando Moga diz que seu objetivo é a ascensão para um True Ada, ele está buscando a divindade estética. Ele quer o poder absoluto de olhar para o resto do mundo e decretar o Mog final. Apesar de tudo isso, muitas pessoas começaram a teorizar que o Fernando seria apenas um personagem, pois alguns dos seus trejeitos beiram o absurdo. Como por exemplo, quando ele demonstra responder um comentário que o zoava por usar filtros de batom, um vídeo que claramente demonstra que ele usa filtros de batom. Mas assim, são pessoas muito cruéis no TikTok. Até agora, falando sério, eu ainda acho que o Fernando é um personagem. Se não for, eu fico até meio triste com o que a internet fez com a mente das pessoas. É bizarro pensar que em busca da aceitação, o indivíduo chega tão longe ao ponto de bitolar a mente em fórmulas matemáticas e escalas genéticas para ter. e escalas genéticas pra tentar se encaixar no mundo. Se você entrar nos comentários dos vídeos dele, o cenário é desolador, é uma enxurrada de hate, pessoas xingando a aparência dele, apontando os filtros óbvios que ele usa e ridicularizando seus vídeos. Novamente falando, no caso dele não são personagens, se você para pensar, é uma puta de uma ironia, porque eu olho pra ele e percebi que ele é a maior vítima da própria cultura que ele venera. O Lux nasceu com a promessa de ser uma caixa de ferramentas pro jovem similar, mas pra quem se sente marginalizado ou invisível, ele vive uma lavagem cerebral. O indivíduo fica tão obcecado pelas métricas, pelas siglas, pelos rostos simétricos gerados por inteligência artificial, que ele perde o referencial de realidade. Ele forma a própria imagem e se esconde atrás de filtros bizarros e se submete à humilhação. Tudo na esperança de um dia acordar e ser aceito por uma comunidade que, no fundo, é profundamente tóxica e cruel. A história do Fernando Moga, seja ele um troll genial rindo da nossa cara, ou um jovem genuinamente perdido nesse labirinto estético, nos mostra o lado mais sombrio da Brasil. Mostra que a busca desesperada por validação na internet vai fazer a mente humana cruzar fronteiras bizarras. Enfim, você acha que ele é um personagem, ou você acha que o cara realmente é assim, comenta aqui embaixo, quer saber. Aqui foi o JJ, e até o próximo vídeo.
Nope. Oops. Boom, boom, boom. Wow.
Vamos lá, que eu tô com uma história agora, vai gerar uma polêmica, vai gerar uma confusão. Claro que você tá fazendo. Tem um bairro residencial aqui na Lapa, Zona Oeste de São Paulo. Eu morei muito tempo na Lapa, morei faz uns anos agora. Tô morando na Lapa, então. E aí eu morei na rua, mas o vizinho não sabia. Tem um bairro ali que é só casa. E algumas casas se transformaram em casa de repouso. Quem vive na casa de repouso? Muito gostoso, né? Mas todo mundo fica ouvindo som alto, funk, chão, etc. Não tem nada de paz. E alguns vizinhos não gostam dessa casa de repouso na rua, porque moram nos idosos, eles querem que a casa fique só residencial. Olha a confusão. Uma vizinha mora bem pertinho do lado de idosa, ao lado da casa dela. E aí o que ela faz? Ela não quer mais a presença do lado de idosa. Ela resolveu colocar uma caixa de som na janela, um rock pesadão pra tocar e incomodar os vizinhos. Eu pensei, olha aquele pesadão, ó.
Bro.
Olha lá, a janela. Porque ela não quer mais, então os idosos não conseguem dormir. Sabe aquele cochilinho que o idoso dá depois do almoço? Toma sopa, vai dar um descanso? Não tem. Nessa casa de repouso ao lado da casa dessa mulher moram 8 idosos. Acho que eles fazem barulho, fazem quebrar festa até 4 da manhã. Acho que não. Vem cá. Desses 8 que moram nessa casa, o Pedro veio dizendo que na casa dos 100 anos de idade, com problemas de saúde. A responsável pelo lado de idosos, olha, a gente tem um horário de funcionamento, a gente não tá irregular. Mas a vizinha, junto com outros moradores, alegam que ali é uma área residencial e que não poderia ter um lar que configura algo comercial, porque eles recebem pra manter os idosos ali. A pergunta que eu faço a você, quem está com razão? Chama essa nossa querida doutora Antonini.
Man, I don't care. Even still, they're still fucking wrong to just cause. It's still disruptive. It doesn't. Who cares if it's a commercial, residential type of business? Who gives a fuck? It's still disruptive.
Foi com a nossa querida doutora Antonini, que colocou todo mundo frente a frente. Os moradores que colocam som alto pra forçar o fechamento da casa e o pessoal da casa de repouso acho que não colocaram os idosos ali. Aí esse clima, esse embate ia ser muito coraçãozinho dos nossos velhinhos. Quem tem razão nessa confusão toda? O que vai acontecer a partir de agora? Reportagem Binete exclusiva na tela da cidade. Gritos da janela.
As pessoas não querem a nossa rua cheia de casas de repouso. Entendeu? Isso faz as nossas pobres valorizar. Nessa rua não é permitido.
E som alto colocado pela moradora. No terreno vizinho, uma casa de idosos, mas boa parte dos moradores não quer local ali.
As pessoas querendo morar com tranquilidade no bairro.
De um lado, os donos da casa de repouso alegam que falta funerário, ambulância, mas assim, são pessoas de...
People here wants to live with tranquility. That tranquility is translated to having to listen to loud music. How does that make any sense?
Mais de 100 anos, comentando. Do outro, alguns moradores do bairro. Essa aqui é uma área estritamente residencial, unifamiliar e que não permite nenhum tipo de comércio aqui. Uma questão de zoneamento. A casa abriga 8 idosos, todos acima dos 90 anos e alguns com mais de 100 por causa da idade nem tem ideia do que esteja acontecendo do lado de fora. A vizinha que dá problema mora aqui. Tem uma placa bem na frente da casa dela. Olha, zona residencial proibido, casa de repouso. Sentença judicial tem um número. Tem outras casas de repouso aqui. O que acontece? O cidadão vai descobrir agora. Vamos tentar falar aqui com a Fabiana, que é a dona do lar de idosos. Você não tem de funcionamento desde julho de 2025. Mas os vizinhos dizem que conseguiram caçar. Há alguma ordem judicial para que vocês saiam aqui do local? Não há nenhuma ordem judicial.
Nós visitamos a casa, né, dos idosos. É um lugar extremamente agradável, confortável, né? Não existe nenhuma irregularidade, não existe barulho excessivo, são pouquíssimos idosos, né? E aí a gente vai conversar com ela e entender por que essa associação de moradores querem que os idosos saiam do local onde eles vivem, né? Estão felizes. Vamos lá, eu tô chamada pra vir tentar entender o que tá acontecendo. A gente não tem lado, tá? Do mesmo jeito que a gente escutou ele, vai escutar a senhora.
Essa rua é uma rua estritamente residencial, tá? Onde ela está sendo descaracterizada pelas casas de repouso. A mulher fala, é a mesma que foi gravada no vídeo pelos responsáveis pela casa de idosos. Ela não quer mostrar o rosto. Os moradores dizem que há anos travam brigas na justiça para a desativação das casas de repouso que começaram a funcionar na rua. Algumas...
Some people joke they're just gonna put some loud gunshot, like some loud gunshot audio just to take the value out of the fucking neighborhood, to make the rent cheaper. But they're trying to use the fucking, like, the retirement house, like, for old people, like, they're trying to use it as an excuse that they are devaluing the neighborhood value. Like, what the fuck? Why? What's the... Because they want to play loud music or what? What's going on? It sounds so stupid to me. I don't get it.
É a privada geriátrica na calçada, lixo hospitalar, o funerário saindo, que a gente tem percebido que tá acontecendo no bairro. E aqui as pessoas estão indo cometendo mecanismo. Nós compramos aqui. As pessoas querendo morar com tranquilidade no bairro. Não, aqui vai virar um foco comercial de casas de repouso. E vocês têm o cabimento de ligar na delegacia e dizer que quem tá ocupando é o seu vizinho, porque tá escutando o som. Eu escuto o som, pode fazer o que quiser, mas eu gosto de pôr o som. Fecha a janela, porque nem você abre o seu som. Você fecha a janela, vira, você vai incomodar. Arruma um lugar que seja bom. Entendeu? Não tô nem aí. Quer pagar algum sítio fora da cidade, monta e vê só os passarinhos. Ninguém tá colocando música pra lá. E eles, se eles respeitam idosos, eles têm que cuidar dos idosos aonde é propício, entendeu? E não aqui.
E o morador, em contrapartida, precisava ter a consciência também de colocar música alta. Precisava a casa também ter a consciência de talvez colocar uma acústica pra não interferir o barulho da casa na casa deles. Eu acho que se a gente conseguisse essa mediação, nesse lapso temporal entre a decisão judicial final, né? Porque tem outras instâncias. A decisão judicial final, eles iam viver muito melhor, né? Eu acho que é isso que precisa aqui. Ter consciência em ambas as partes.
Pela lei, a casa não pode continuar funcionando, mas para onde vão os idosos?
Todo um transtorno de quebrar esse vínculo. Não são.
Ter consciência em ambas as partes.
Pela lei, a casa não pode...
What the fuck can I do? It's still my shit. You cannot even fucking rest. The fucking shithole. What the fuck? They're just minding their own fucking business, being quiet. They just, now they are devaluing our property. Because there are a ton of old people in here. Just, I cannot, I don't know really.
Pode continuar funcionando, mas para onde vão os idosos?
Todo um transtorno de quebrar esse vínculo. Não é objeto. Vai colocar aqui, coloca. Não, se vocês perderem uma palestra, você vai fazer com os idosos que estão aqui?
Não
sei, porque eles têm um vínculo com a gente, que eles estão adaptados a. Nós não sabemos.
É um tema extremamente delicado, porque eu entendo a razão dos moradores, mas eu entendo também a razão das moças ali, tudo com carinho. Os meus idosos, a gente vai colocar eles vão ter paz, eu achei muito bacana. Eu acho que sentar, conversar, tentar chegar a um denominador comum, sem violência. Eu sou um alto que vai conversar do lado de fora, é sem dúvida alguma provocação, mas esses idosos estão lá, não merecem isso. Eu sentar conversando, eu tô lá ultimamente, tô tentando, você tá resolvendo uma boa. Não, você tá falando de idosos, você tá falando barulhada, tá fazendo bagunça, entendeu? Levando gente, revelação, não sei o que. Qual é o problema, meu Deus? São idosos, são pessoas que já vêm no final da vida, estão sendo cuidados. Qual é o problema que esses idosos dão na rua? A gente entende que existe uma série de coisas que vocês estão falando aí, mas é direito, você tem uma hora de funcionamento, é direito. Ou seja, se a justiça entendeu, pode funcionar, você pode falando das pessoas que moram ali, sai a casa de idosos, chega um jogador de futebol, eu tô imaginando, eu fui vizinho de um jogador de futebol, amigo, esse somzinho que vocês colocaram aí, é bichinho, ele trazia a banda ao vivo, os caras saíam com surdo, com timba, com... O feriado começava na sexta, e até quarta-feira, assim, ele era malandro que ele fazia, convidava a gente pra ir na festa, cara, pode assim, cara, não, obrigado, por quê? Aí você vai colocar um jogador de futebol, um funkeiro, um influenciador funkeiro, um MCista, aí você vai ver, você vai pelo amor de Deus, volta os velhinhos, vai lá, lógico, 3 da manhã, aí você fala, meu Deus, cadê o velho, traz o velhinho, a galera fazendo passinho, dançando, e pelo pessoal cansado, que você tem um tal de senta, então, ó, pensa bem, pensa bem,
Yep, it's just to me, bro. The biggest enemy to the Brazilian people are themselves. It's just, that's what I keep hearing from other people as well. I mean, there's examples like these, it's just, it's hard to not think otherwise. Just, hard to think otherwise, it's just... No, you're just too quiet to get so boring. Get out of here. But to me, I've been so peaceful and quiet. No. It's just a this is a residential neighborhood. And what they're doing there, they're not fucking being allowed to sell a product, they're just fucking living there like residents as well. God damn it, it's so fucking retarded. This is, I can't. I think America is kind of retarded. It's just kind of by comparison. We have a full retarded nation a little more below. It's just a couple countries below, just South America, see, Brazil, and a bunch of other countries as well, just being super retarded like that. The fuck, you cannot live here because you're a fucking commercial place. A commercial place that it is to provide residency to the old folks. Like what? It feels less like a commercial place and more like a residential place. It's so fucking retarded, man. It's absolutely retarded. And by the looks of this neighborhood here, I don't think they even have to endure fucking, like, dog barking on the streets. At least the looks of it. So not even dogs barking, it's just nope. I guess being a stereotypical Brazilian means you gotta be fucking loud about it. You gotta make noise and be a piece of shit wherever you go. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. It's just, I think I was born in the wrong place. I know this is not the case for every single person living there, but at the same time, if it's the majority, it's just, you don't feel like you take part of the fucking culture anymore. You might as well just fucking leave. As they say, just... Leave. Let them just party all day, all night. And try to not get fucking shot while at it. Anyway. Up with 3 balls. Okay, it's buggy now. It's just start to get buggy. Three balls.
I don't know how good an idea it is to share this incredibly personal medical information on the internet, but you saw the title. When I was growing up, I would say I had a pretty normal relationship with my nuts. When I first noticed something was a little weird was when I was probably about 13 years old. That's around the time I started going through puberty. What I noticed was that my right nut was slightly bigger than my left one. And of course, I thought this was a little bit weird. So, I had to Google this. And according to that Google search, this is apparently something that's completely normal and fine. So I was like, okay, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But the thing is, the size difference between the two just kept getting bigger and bigger, which again I thought was really, really strange. Now at the time I had a Discord server with a bunch of different people in it, so of course in my pubescent teenager head I thought it was a bright idea to ask them what they thought. It was mostly people just thinking I was weird, but I did get one response that stuck with me to this day for some reason. One of my friends, thanks Adam, basically said something like, don't worry, the other one will catch up. It just really put my mind at ease for my tense testicular situation. But the thing is, as the years went by and I reached adulthood, my nuts stood there proudly like King K. Rool's eyes. So now I'm starting to get a little bit worried. I mean, it's giant, and now out of nowhere it suddenly decided to start expanding even more. And I know for a fact that balls are supposed to have this crazy mind of their own. And by now it's probably about the size and shape of a small pear. I kind of feel bad for my left nut because it's got a bloody room down there. So eventually I do bite the bullet and I get appointed to go see the doctor. I don't know how many of you guys have had your privates fondled by someone you've only just met, but it's not exactly the most comfortable experience you can have as a human being. Now obviously the reason I went to go see the doctor was because, well, it could have been something bad like cancer. I don't know about you guys, but I do enjoy being alive, so I wasn't about to give up and have my cause of death be my right testicle. Well anyways, the doctor finishes the examination. I'm told that I need to go to the hospital for an ultrasound so they can actually identify what the heck is even wrong with it. Eventually hospital day comes and yet again I'm subject to an even more uncomfortable procedure. These nurses get some kind of gel which is incredibly cold, may I add, and they just start going to town down there like proper lathering my poor old marbles to hell. They scan it using some big device which again I won't go into detail, but just imagine it's not very comfy. Now a couple months do go by because I'm waiting for my results and also because I just got to call them up. But eventually I did remember. I guess my mindset was that if it was that serious they would call me anyway, so I was probably fine. So I did call them up and it turns out I've got something called a hydrocell. You can Google what that is if you want. I'm not going into detail in this video. I don't really want to know anyway. Anyway, after I'm told this, I'm given 2 options. Leave it or get a needle plunged into my nutsack to suck it out. Yeah, I think you can kind of guess which one I chose. So yeah, I guess I just have a watermelon ball now. As usual, thanks to the channel members, join the Discord and I'll see you in the next one.
Go up. Yep. Oh. Okay, this may be important.
Acho que a gente pode começar o papo sobre por que a Pirula não tá aqui ou qual que é a previsão de volta do Pirula. Então, a primeira coisa que eu posso falar pra vocês é que nesse momento, dia 31/5/2026, não há nenhuma previsão de volta do Pirula pro YouTube. Bom, então, as lives vão continuar acontecendo, o conteúdo vai continuar tendo aqui no canal do Pirula, mas não existe nenhuma previsão de volta do canal do Pirula produzir conteúdo. Nem aqui, nem nos treinamentos, nem em nenhum outro lugar. Isso pode mudar, pode mudar. A primeira coisa pra vocês entenderem, pode mudar se o Pirula quiser fazer coisa que a gente precisa considerar isso. Quando eu falo que não tem previsão, eu não tô dizendo pra vocês de jeito nenhum, esse canal não é esse tipo de coisa que eu tô fazendo. Eu tô dizendo que ele não está aqui, não há nenhuma previsão de volta dele produzindo conteúdo. Eu acho importante começar o papo com isso pra gente fazer um controle das nossas expectativas. A nossa expectativa, a expectativa da família, a expectativa dos amigos, e aí eu quero colocar essa expectativa em vocês, que ele fica cada vez melhor. Eu acho que a gente sente muita saudade dos conteúdos dele, a gente sente muita saudade do posicionamento dele, a gente sente muita saudade dele nas redes dele, público, né, da figura pública, mas eu acho que a gente tem que estar nesse momento, continuar nesse momento, que ele fica cada vez melhor. Eu acho que essa tem que ser a nossa expectativa, certo? Então eu entendo, às vezes eu tenho cobrança, às vezes eu poderia mostrar uma foto, poderia mostrar isso, aquilo. Eu sempre disse pra vocês, desde o começo, que mostrar as coisas do Pirula depende da gente, depende dele. A grande evidência que a gente tem disso é a foto que ele publicou no Instagram. Muitos amigos vieram conversar comigo, falando assim, cara, foi você que publicou a foto, foi a família que publicou a foto, e aí eu posso mostrar pra vocês, ele publicou a foto. Então ele acordou um dia e resolveu que aquela foto era uma boa foto, e ele poderia publicar aquela foto. Então não foi naquela foto, e aí eu não tô falando no mau sentido, não no sentido de que ele teve alguma explicação ou precisa da minha autorização, mas aquela foto me pegou de surpresa, e não senti ruim, eu fiquei tão feliz quando vocês viram aquela foto no Instagram. Então quem recebeu aquela foto não foi ele que tirou a foto, quem recebeu aquela foto, resolveu aquela foto no Instagram foi ele. Então todas as vezes eu falei pra vocês que as decisões em relação a voltar pra internet, as decisões em relação a fazer vídeo, as decisões em relação a fazer elementos, ou mesmo as decisões em relação a mostrar qualquer imagem dele, inicialmente, as passadas dos pais dele, da família dele, não pais dele, não, mas nesse momento não sou eu, não fui eu, não foi a Gabi, não foi o Carlos, não foi ninguém, no entorno dele, no começo ele não conseguia tomar essa decisão, mas agora ele resolveu postar a foto, e aí você pode me perguntar, quando vai ter outra foto? Também não é quando vai ter outra foto, ele resolveu postar outra foto, tranquilo. Eu já vou explicar pra vocês comentar, já vou explicar pra vocês alguns detalhes de novo, eu vou fazer uma explicação limitada, eu não vou contar uns detalhes pra vocês, o Lito já contou um detalhe, por exemplo, na nossa live, não tá nada que ele ia contar, ele contou o link, contou outro, então acho que tem isso. Então acho que a primeira coisa que é legal dizer pra vocês é isso, a gente controlar as nossas expectativas em relação ao que é nosso, o que é a gente querendo alguma coisa, ou o que é melhor pra ele, e o que é melhor pra ele, no final das contas, é fazer o que ele quiser. Eu falo alguém tirou a foto, não é claramente uma selfie, alguém tirando uma foto dele, e não fui eu que tirei a foto, se a foto minha, eu falaria, você tirou a foto, tirou a foto, eu não vou ficar falando quem vai na casa do Pirula, tem visita pra esse não compete a mim, um monte de gente legal visitar ele, ele é muito bom isso, na verdade, mais pessoas visitar ele, melhor é, inclusive, pra impressão dele, tá? Então acho que eu só não disse quem tirou a foto, e não fui eu nem a Camila que tiramos as fotos, tá? Beleza? Então vou pedir pra todo mundo isso, pra vocês, tem gente que mensagem pra ele, deixa eu colocar, eu vou mostrar a foto aqui, de que foto eu tô falando, tem gente que falou que não viu a foto, então vou abrir o Instagram do Pirula aqui e mostrar a foto. Então a foto que eu estou falando, eu produzi na forma de vídeo, né? Essa foto aqui, ó, essa foto aqui, tá colocando aqui na tela, essa foto aqui foi publicada. Então beleza, tranquilo, tá aqui, não é uma selfie, ele não tá segurando a câmera, claramente ele tá com o gatinho, não foi essa foto que foi publicada. Vou dizer mais uma vez, eu já vou dar algumas respostas, eu vou falar coisas deles. Então, talvez seja uma selfie com o pé, é muito bom se fosse uma selfie com o pé, seria divertido se fosse uma selfie com o pé. Meu ponto é, mantenha as nossas expectativas controladas. Uma outra coisa, eu não vi, não sei de que áudio é esse que vocês estão falando, eu não sei o áudio que o Sérgio mostrou, não sei mesmo. Eu posso dizer pra vocês que ele manda áudio pra pessoas, isso eu posso afirmar com certeza. Eu não sei se ele mandou áudio pro Sérgio, de novo, gente, Pirula tem acesso ao celular dele, ele não controla a vida de ninguém, ele pode ter mandado um áudio pro Sérgio, eu não sei especificamente se eu recebi o áudio do Pirula, uma galera, sério, dos amigos, sério, todo mundo recebe o áudio dele que troca mensagens pra conversar com ele, sempre manda áudio xingando, tá? Então, os áudios dele, agora se o Sérgio foi agora, não sei porque eu não sei o que o Sérgio mostrou, tá? Eu não tô dizendo nem se é verdade ou não, beleza? O Miguel falando, ele já fez cuidadores de galinha, por exemplo, ele fala, Miguel, troca áudio com o Miguel, só não vai pra mim, não é só pra mim, tá? O Daniel falou que o QR Code não está funcionando, Daniel, eu não estou duvidando de você, só vou pegar o celular pra testar, o QR Code não vai funcionando, eu vou para outro, Aqui no celular funciona o QR Code sim, tá? Mas se o QR Code não estiver funcionando, é só você procurar por vaquinha com K, pirula, no seu navegador, e você vai ser direcionado lá pra vaquinha pirula, para o site na tela, e você vai ser direcionado pra vaquinha pirula. Caso o QR Code não funcionar, pra mim funcionou, pra direcionar pra essa tela, é só você clicar em vaquinha pirula, e você ser direcionado pra lá. Não é pra abrir o banco, não é pra fazer Pix, mas se você tem gente que faz Pix, mas você faz vaquinha, fiscalmente é muito mais fácil pra gente pelo vaquinha do que pelo Pix, tá? Quem vai fazer, então, vaquinha, por favor, eu agradeço demais. Então, coisa importante, tem um negócio pra você, como a gente já disse, começou o internado, então, não sei se vai fazer esse processo de recuperação. Primeira coisa que eu preciso dizer pra vocês que estão assistindo esse slide é que a gente mesmo, a gente que tá mais próximo, a gente que tá mais distante, é literalmente a gente tem uma percepção de tempo completamente diferente da percepção de tempo dos médicos. O que a gente quer dizer que toda vez que um de nós ou a família comentou com o médico, a recuperação rápida, devagar, qualquer questão dessa, o médico comentou conosco que a gente precisa ter paciência. O que os médicos dizem pra gente? Eles dizem que pacientes que sofreram mais sérios, como o caso do nesses casos, os médicos consideram o prazo de recuperação para manutenção de até onde essa recuperação vai de 2 anos. Então, quando a gente fala que tem um ano, a gente fica com uma sensação de passou muito rápido, já faz um ano, ao mesmo tempo que passou muito devagar, porque aconteceram muitas coisas nesse um ano. Mas pra mim também, eu sempre essa comparação de já foi um ano, ao mesmo tempo que parece que se passa 10 anos nesse um ano de tanta coisa aconteceu. O que os médicos falam pra gente é que pode ser muito sério, a gente já tinha dito isso lá de desenho, a gente precisa ter paciência, porque nesse caso, desse um ano, a gente tá na metade da entender a que ponto a recuperação dele vai. Então, acho que essa é a parte importante pra gente entender, que é um processo lento, porque nosso cérebro aprender as coisas de novo é um processo lento. Ele recuperar as coisas que ele perdeu, as coisas de comunicação, por exemplo, ele muito melhor que estava há 8 meses, é um processo lento. Então, a gente imaginar que ele falar o mesmo, a gente aprendeu a falar muito nova, ele encontra essa dificuldade na comunicação, a gente recuperar isso não é um processo necessariamente simples. Então, a primeira coisa que eu vou pra vocês é que, do ponto de vista que lutar pela recuperação dele, vai falar coisa, mas mesmo assim, a gente precisa ter mais paciência, principalmente precisa ter mais paciência. Nesse contexto, a comunicação dele é hoje muito melhor do que era a comunicação dele há 6 meses. Então, tanto a compreensão das conversas, quanto a conversa com ele, é mais dos últimos meses demais. A conversa sobre tudo com ele. A gente faz, eu, a duas, a gente passa lá toda sexta-feira, a gente conversa sobre trabalho, a gente conversa sobre planos futuros, a gente conversa sobre estratégias para vocês também, a gente discute essas coisas com ele. Então, ele tem projeto, ele tem os problemas e ele discute esses projetos com a gente. Claro que a comunicação ainda não está perfeita, claro que tem dificuldade de comunicação, claro que a gente precisa ter paciência nessa comunicação, claro que ele fica tudo porque ele percebe que palavras. Então, a gente passa lá toda sexta-feira, conversa sobre tudo da vida, mas não é uma conversa fluida, uma conversa que tem muita dificuldade, uma conversa que às vezes escapa algumas palavras, às vezes confundem algumas palavras, às vezes as frases são difíceis. Então, o que eu posso dizer pra ele, pra vocês é que a comunicação é muito melhor, é uma comunicação perfeita em relação a como eles comunicavam antes. Não é uma comunicação perfeita. As palavras às vezes pode trocar maneira, às vezes construir as frases um pouquinho complicado. A palavra já é perfeitinha, mas ele tem essa dificuldade de comunicação. Então, o Ed fez comunicar, eu acho que esse ponto é muito importante. Eu vou dar o segundo ponto pra falar, você vai comunicação dele falando antes. O Ed falou, ele falou, o doente e ele tem trabalho, eu acho que esse ponto é muito legal pra gente pegar agora, eu vou falar esse ponto pra vocês, tá? Do ponto de vista clínico, de doença de piloto de alta, isso é uma coisa muito importante pra vocês entenderem. Porque sempre fica você algo começando a comunicar a parte médica, do ponto de vista clínico, ele tá de alta e volta só no final do ano. Ele não precisa mais ir ao médico, vai no começo de dias, no mês, então ele tá de alta. Isso é uma coisa muito importante pra vocês entenderem. Porque ele volta a trabalhar, você tem que voltar a trabalhar, ele tem que voltar a trabalhar, porque ele tá de alta, ele tem que voltar a viver, ele tem que voltar a fazer as coisas. Se ele quiser, ele precisa muito bem, ele fazer as coisas, uma série de questões, mas a gente fala muito isso, por isso, inclusive, comunicação de terapeutas, dos médicos, mas a gente pode fazer assim, acabou o testado, beleza, exatamente isso, acabou o testado até agora, acabou o testado até agora, agora o testado, beleza, agora o testado acabou, beleza, por isso que a gente cobra assim, mas volta, ele tem que fazer, volta, ele falou, importante estímulo, sim, importante estímulo, importante estímulo de trabalho, importante estímulo de amizade, importante demais, importante de casa, importante começar a viver a vida de novo, não viver a vida de novo, não tem errado, tem outro exemplo, é importante pessoas irem lá conversar com ele, importante pessoas chegarem em casa, tem quando ele vai passear, ele vai comer um ambiente diferente, ele vai comer uma coisa diferente, pode ficar cansado, a gente tem que saber dosar as coisas, faz o melhor possível, mas ele precisa começar a interagir com as coisas, e eu vou ter que ser demais esse sentido, não é tudo que você fazer, mas sempre fica aí, também é uma coisa de empurrado, que a gente força essa comunicação também, beleza? Então, e o Abel voltar ao dele, ele tem que voltar a viver mesmo com uma série de dificuldades que ele tem. Só em relação à comunicação, como a gente disse lá no desenho, eu não estou contando novidade nenhuma nesse sentido, a parte do cérebro dele, uma parte do cérebro dele, a comunicação, como esse tipo, muita compreensão em relação à comunicação, sempre praticamente mais. Em relação à fala, o que parece é que tem uma dificuldade na produção das palavras ainda, parece que é um pouquinho devagar, esquece um pouquinho as coisas, eu tive a mesma coisa sempre, mesmo quando eu gravo, é rabo, gente, difícil, rabo, gente, porque você conhece, não mudou, rabo, gente, beleza? Então, mas eu vou importante ver se você essa coisa que tem que ter na cabeça, tá? Ele protege muito esse ano, muito, cada vez que a gente vai estar melhor. Ele vai fazer terapia assim, vamos fazer melhor, melhor, fazendo terapia, se cuidando, tem gente muito legal, ele falando de dificuldade, fica no curto lado, tem continua apoiando mensalmente ele, que garante, ele faz 1 milhão de vezes, 1 milhão de vezes. A pessoa assim, só porque eu chamei de eu não chamei de nada, ele chama de jeito, mas eu chamei de volta. Vou só dizer pra vocês que só é possível toda essa recuperação dele, desse trabalho feito. Vocês, desde a primeira semana, há um ano, olharam pra ele e acharam esse cara importante demais, eu vou querer apoiar ele. Então, vamos lá, tem aqui o vaquinha, fica aqui na tela, ou vai lá no vaquinha, e apoia, continue apoiando. Você vai pagar R$5 todos esses, já faz toda a diferença, tá? Pra vocês terem certeza disso. Então, eu só pra vocês saberem, tem a menor ideia se ele vai lá de verdade. Eu vejo você vai lá, conversa, com piada, empurrão. Depois é importante falar, ele perguntou sobre a corrupção, eu muito mesmo. E é isso que eu li o livro, ele já tá dando sobre isso, já tá apoiando, ele já tá começando a dar os primeiros assim. Isso, gente, é uma mudança de qualidade de vida, de autonomia gigantesca. Então, é muito legal. Ele já tá recuperando parte dessa autonomia que tava um pouquinho perdida quando ele sofreu. Então, muita terapia, muito trabalho, muito sofrimento, muito tudo. Ele já tá dando os primeiros assim. Então, ele já começa a recuperar uma autonomia que tinha perdido um pouquinho. Então, acho que é isso que eu posso dar pra vocês. Mostrando que todo o trabalho que você fez com ele, que realmente médico tá sendo muito legal. O bicho de vez em quando fazer as coisas. Às vezes podemos fazer isso, às vezes podemos fazer isso, às vezes podemos fazer isso, não pode ficar xingando, mas tá fazendo, assim, ele não vai vir gente, eu vou falar pra vocês, eu caminho ruas e muita gente perto dele, a gente não tá cuidando, a gente do outro dele, continua sendo cuidado, mas é isso, segue, bola pra frente, vamos fazer as coisas, não é pra ele cuidadinho, beleza? Acho que falou todo mundo que viagem, até super tem que mas é isso, que mais faz, ele está há anos luz hoje, ele tava há um ano, vamos cada vez vezes, infelizmente, ele tá muito legal, cada dia melhor, e o que a gente pode torcer pra ele, a gente pode achar interessante pra ele, é que ele melhore cada vez mais, sabe? Que ele fica cada vez melhor, ele fica cada vez mais autonomia, ele fica cada vez mais melhor, esse momento ele fica cada vez mais independente, e isso é o que eu desejo pra ele, eu quero que ele tenha, mas isso é uma vontade minha, esse cuidado todo mundo assistir, então, a gente precisa torcer pra melhor pra ele, claro que eu gostaria que ele tivesse, não eu domingo fazendo live, óbvio que eu gostaria de mais nada disso, porque eu quero que ele tivesse mais rápido, mas eu falei antes, sabe? Eu falei antes, ele tá cada vez melhor, e voltar pra esse espaço, é uma escolha dele.
What the fuck? Oops. Oh.
Dear Creator Community, my name is Jack Conti, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Patreon. On May 29th, Patreon received an official takedown request filed by Bricks and Minifigs for media and accounts related to Reckless Ben and an ongoing dispute regarding a local Lego consignment issue. This is the verified complaint with exhibits. This is the request for immediate content removal pursuant to temporary restraining order. And this is the motion for the temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction. So after an extensive review and investigation by Patreon's trust and safety team, we have in fact unfortunately determined that Bricks and Minifigs can stuff it. We're keeping Ben's page up. And if Bricks and Minifigs doesn't like that, they can sue us. Patreon out.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. It's just so insane, man. It's just Yeah. It's just insane how far this is still getting. It's still getting way too far. God damn it. Holy shit. Oh. The hidden bisexuality of men. Or dangerous label. Yep, just damn trench. Yep, some good news for once. Or twice. Yep, that's pretty much it. I gotta check on this list from us. What do you think? No. Still buggy. Okay. No, okay, whatever. Yeah, that's. Let me double check those links. Pois growing up, Motora Fernando de Salve, York, so about. Oh, wait. Not this hall, the other hall. I kinda. Oh, okay. Okay.